Jianjia led 10,000 cavalrymen, sufficient equipment and dry food, and headed north, diving into the vast grassland. If the Huns can go, I can go too. On the other side, Yan Zhi was leaning on the big bedboard, holding the script passed to her by Day in her hand. It's indeed not as good as what Lu Yuan wrote. Yan Zhi sighed, threw the storybook aside, and actually missed Lu Yuan a little. I don't know what Lu Yuan's expression will be after Day's flow is cut off. When Yan Zhi thought of Lu Yuan's frustrated look, she actually felt an indescribable sense of relief. When I catch you, I will ask you to write a book for me, and I will seduce you if what you write does not satisfy me. I will punish you can only read but not eat. Yan Zhi rolled over on the bed happily. Then let him beg me. Kneel down and beg me. But at this moment, there was a loud noise outside. The sudden sound startled Yan Zhi. The singing girls who were dancing also began to look uneasy. Where did the loud noise come from? I'll go and ask right away. The maid left quickly, but didn't come back until a while later. And when they came back, there were continuous loud noises. Princess, something terrible has happened. There is an enemy attack outside the city. The city gate has been broken and the enemy is rushing in. The maid was frightened. Yan Zhi frowned, her face full of disbelief. Where did the enemy attack come from? I don't know. They said that these people seem to be fighting under the banner of Daqian. Dion Jun stopped easing. Yan Zhi kept shaking her head. But she also started to pick up the scattered clothes beside her and put them on. Where is Xiang? Where the hell is he? Let him come to see this princess. Yan Zhi was so angry. How could this bastard do his job? He was able to allow the enemy to reach his doorstep silently. The general is at the front to defend against the enemy. At this moment, Xiang's confidant Jin Hu ran in quickly. Princess, the enemy is coming. Quickly retreat with me. Yan Zhi got off the bed with a cold face, suppressing the shock and anger in her heart. What's the situation now? The enemy broke through the city gate and rushed in. It was too dark at night, so these people. Bullshit. Yan Zhi slapped him. Can't you give an early warning when the night is too dark? I think you have been corrupted by the extravagance of Middle-earth since you came here, and you don't even know your own special skills. Jin Hu didn't dare to say a word after being slapped. It was indeed their fault for not doing this well. This is their base camp in Middle-earth. Who could have guessed where these people came from? But they not only broke in, but also broke through layers of encirclement. It's incredible. But the enemy was so brave and their firepower was so fierce that they were no match for them. Princess, now is not the time to ask for. See, ensure they are about to rush over. If you don't leave now, you will never be able to leave again. Chapter 433, The Fall of Rongjiang. Yan Zhi can also distinguish the seriousness of the situation and knows that the situation is urgent. She quickly ran out of the makeshift palace. A city that temporarily served as the Xiongnu's secondary capital was previously just a relatively prosperous city in the western part of Dajing, with a population of no more than 200,000 or 300,000. After more than half a year of expansion, the secondary capital, known as Rongjiang, has a population of 1 million, including the army and new immigrants. At this moment, flames shot up into the sky. Seeing this, Yan Zhi gasped. Why so fast? Incendiary bombs. The enemy has dropped incendiary bombs. Jin Hu's eyes were filled with fear, and his voice was trembling. Damn Day. The Huns made a special assessment of Day's weapons, which included incendiary bombs. This special shell can even burn through steel after attaching to the human body. It can instantly burn the person into debris. It is a very terrifying weapon. It is also one of the weapons they fear the most. It's just that they have never encountered it before. But now, they met. I saw the fire spreading. Fierce enemy cavalry roamed the streets. These people, armed with steel guns, wantonly harvested lives and killed indiscriminately. Yan Zhi thought of what her eldest brother said, only by being more cruel than tigers and leopards, or cunning than hungry wolves, and putting aside all morals, can you dominate the world? The reason why the Middle-earth people were no match for the Huns was because they were bound by too many invisible things. However, at this moment, what Yan Zhi wanted to say was that if the people of Middle-earth got rid of these invisible constraints, they might be even more cruel and violent than the Huns. If Xiao Ji and Jia, Shi Gua and others protected in the middle, go in and don't let anyone escape. Capture Yan Zhi alive, and I will guarantee him a title of Marquis. This sentence deeply stimulated everyone. The successive victories also fostered the spirit of this elite force to win every battle. From this moment on, they are the most powerful army in the world. What about the Huns? The Huns were also afraid of death. Their cavalry is very powerful, and their iron pots are the strongest cavalry in the world. But there are ways to defeat them. Cut off their horses' feet, and you can defeat them. When riding a horse, shoot the horse first. When capturing a thief, capture the leader first. After the army entered the city, they were divided into 10 teams and marched across the streets. Their weapons had long been more advanced, and even the armor on their bodies and the armor on their horses were more flexible and had stronger protective capabilities. They lied wantonly in Rongjiang city and brought the fire to the bottom of the palace. They threw away all moral restraints, and the guns and sabers in their hands became weapons for reaping lands. They were like asuras from hell, and at this moment, they left indelible scars in the hearts of the Huns. Retreat, retreat quickly, they have blocked the road. We can't get through. The road ahead was also blocked by the fire. Jinhu and Yan Zhi wanted to rush out, but a large number of cavalrymen stood in front of them and they were eventually killed and repelled. They suspected that the enemy came too quickly and defeated them. You take a group of people and go to the east, and the rest of you follow me to the north to attract their attention. Got off the carriage, and rode her own Yan Zhi horse. Princess, listen to me, princess, there is still hope, otherwise we will be trapped here and die. Yan Zhi took a deep breath and said, then, some people will enter the imperial city and close the gates tightly, so that they will think we are in the city and divert their attention. Jinhu gritted his teeth and said, follow the princess orders. This group of people are the real elite of the Huns. Totaling 30,000 people. 10,000 people followed Jinhu to the east, and the remaining 15,000 people escorted Yan Zhi to the north gate. Others hid in the imperial city to mislead them. Rouge forced herself to calm down. But even from a distance, the thick smoke drifted over and the scorching heat wave hit me in the face. There are pursuers, they are coming. Quick! Escort the princess, and leave 3,000 men behind to cover the retreat. Yan Zhi's heart was in her throat looking at the enemy soldier wearing a ghost mask behind her. She felt inexplicably frightened. Could these people be ghosts? Otherwise, how could they sneak here without anyone noticing? She gritted her teeth and just kept whipping the horse whip. However, when he arrived at the city gate, he found that the north gate had been broken through. The enemy is not coming from one direction, but from multiple directions. What was blown up was not just one city gate, but multiple city gates. Damn it, where do they get such courage? Your Highness, the east gate was attacked first, which attracted our attention soon after. The other city gates were also in danger. This group of people must be at least over 100. After hearing the explanation, Yan Zhi became even more furious. More than 100,000. Is the scout blind? Even if there were 100,000 pigs running under your nose, you would still be able to see it. Her intuition told her that the number of these people would not exceed 30,000. There are too many people and it is very easy to be exposed. Unless they come from several directions, attracting the attention of others. But this is also impossible. Her head was a mess. Let's go and see what's happening with the West City Gate. Yan Zhi gritted her teeth and turned her horse around. Another 3,000 men were left behind to cover the retreat. But when Yan Zhi led everyone to West City, he was dumbfounded. There were countless casualties in Ziking, and the corpses were piled there blocking the way. The east, west and north have all fallen, leaving only the south. She looked behind her suddenly and found that there was also a fire behind her. There were cries, shouts and explosions everywhere. The thick smoke made it hard to breathe. Yan Zhi briefly lost the ability to think. This was the biggest crisis she had faced in many years. She could now conclude that all four sides had fallen. No matter which direction you go, you can't escape. She drew the saber from her waist and said, the daughter of the eagle will not run away since there is no way to retreat. Let's fight. My men, follow me into battle and carve out a bloody path. Still, the remaining Hun cavalry drew their swords. However, their advantage has always been on the plains, not in street fighting or city battles. Fighting against the Qian army armed with steel guns and grenades in the city, they can only be served as food. Yan Zhi led the team on a reckless charge and ran into Xiyang. Xia Zheng commanded the army to launch a surprise attack. Seeing Yan Zhi, he almost vomited blood. Princess, why are you back again? Didn't Jinhu send you away? We've been occupied on all sides. We can't escape. Yan Zhi gritted her teeth. Xiang smiled bitterly. He never expected that his home would be robbed by the enemy. At this time, although the army returned to defend, the Wen family suggested cutting off the rivers, so he pushed most of his troops to the front line to prevent Dai from counterattacking. This means that their inside line is empty, which gives these people the opportunity. No, even if I die, I will protect the princess' safety. Chapter 434, Surrender. Where did the man named Wen die? Yan Zhi asked with a bad look. Your Highness, he is not here, Xian said with a wry smile. Could this one be a spy who deliberately set up a trap to lure the army away? Xiang shook his head. Mr. Wen was even more cruel to his own people than to his enemies. The Wen family showed no mercy when killing Middle-earth people. Forget it, it's no use asking you, let's find a way to get out. Yan Zhi took a deep breath. If they continued like this, they would all die here. Xiang took a deep breath and said, Your Highness, I will let my men to attack from the front. We will fight our way out even if it means sacrificing our lives. You just follow me and find a chance to leave. Rouge nodded. Xiang led a group of people and stood in front with thick shields. They were surrounded. This group of people did not seem to be carrying any heavy weapons, not even a heavy machine gun to sweep away the cavalry. This gives them the opportunity. Go up there. Xiang also tried his best. But the effect was not good. The incendiary bomb exploded in the dense crowd, and the eerie white light spread among the crowd. It will catch fire as soon as it touches anything, and stick to the skin and flesh wounds, making a popping sound when burned. The strong smell of barbecue wafts in the air. The shield men fell to the ground one by one. What greeted them were dense bullets and Day's own version of high-powered explosive bow and arrows. Their horse riding and archery, which they were so proud of, could not be moved at all at this moment. Naturally, it will not be able to cause effective damage to the enemy. The musketeers that were put together with great difficulty could not even touch the enemy's sleeves because their range was too short. The huge gap makes the disparity between the two increasingly larger. The Hun soldiers began to retreat continuously. No matter how Xiang shouted, cursed, and fought, he could not stop the defeat. The escape even resulted in a stampede, with thousands of Xiongnu's soldiers falling on top of each other, unable to get up. This made the already difficult situation even worse. Kill them all, kill as many as you can. Zhao Jianjia said coldly that in her eyes, the Huns were not human beings. She will definitely avenge the burning, killing, looting and massacre in Daqian. Looking at the corpses all over the ground and the Hun soldiers who were still wailing, Zhao Jianjia drew out his saber and beheaded them. She remembered clearly that many years ago, she was a weak princess who had never killed a chicken. At this moment, she is a female general who kills without blinking an eye. Blood dripped from the tip of the knife, but Zhao Jianjia felt very refreshed. She didn't feel the urge to vomit, but she felt anger burning in her heart. As thinking of the human head memorial he saw, he couldn't contain his anger. Killing people is not a crime, but killing civilians indiscriminately is a crime. Princess, I can't bear it anymore. Xiang protected Yan Zichai and retreated. Yan Zichai gritted her teeth and said, we can still resist if we go back to the palace. Immediately, he led the remaining troops and retreated quickly. However, the Qian army had already shrunk its front line, besieging them in the center of Rongjiang. They have nowhere to retreat. Princess, we still have gunpowder. Let's gather all the gunpowder together and blast a path. Xian took a deep breath and led a fully armored horse, was carrying hundreds of kilograms of black gunpowder. There were more than a dozen such horses. This is the last resort. If we still cannot blast our way through, we have no choice but to surrender. They can lose, but the princess cannot be harmed in any way. Yan Zichai also understood that they had reached the end of their rope. Give it a try. Yes, princess. Xiang nodded heavily, lit the fuse on more than a dozen war horses, and then cut the horses' buttocks with a knife. The warhorse felt the pain and galloped forward. A dozen heavily armored war horses ran forward in panic. Great, let's go. Everyone present was so nervous that their hearts were in their throats. Xiang also clenched his fists tightly. As long as these war horses could rush over, the explosion caused would definitely cause heavy damage to these people. However, they overestimated the war horses and underestimated the power of the firepower network. Admittedly, the Peepish is a little worse in terms of armor-piercing ability, but quantity brings about qualitative changes. In addition, with the caliber of the Peepish 7.62, no carbon-based creature on this land can withstand the attack of 7.62. Even an elephant will lie down if hit by a few bullets. More than a dozen war horses were knocked to the ground by bullets halfway through their charge, accompanied by a deafening roar. More than a dozen war horses were blown into a pool of rotten meat. Unfortunately, black powder is black powder. No matter how powerful it is, it has a limit. Because they are too far away, the damage is not great. But the huge noise was enough to burst their eardrums. Many Qian army soldiers covered their ears in pain. Not only them but also the Hun soldiers were the same. The huge explosion also disrupted the rhythm of the war. Zhao Jianjia was also shocked by the explosion. After a brief panic, she tried to calm the horse beneath her. Replace the injured person in front. And let others take over. Your Majesty, what did you say? Watermelon shouted. Zhao Jianjia shook her head and raised her voice. They have run out of tricks. Kill them. Watermelon nodded. Got it. Inside the encirclement, Xiang's blood was boiling. Looking at Yan Zichai, he was also covering his ears with a look of pain on his face. Princess, are you okay? Yan Zichai felt dizzy and even a little nauseous. Look at me like this. Do I look okay? Yan Zichai gritted her teeth. Watching the smoke dissipate in the middle of the street without causing much damage to the enemy, her heart sank. Don't worry about me. Let them shoot arrows and throw out the grenades on their waists. If we don't throw it away now, when will we throw it away? Seeing that Yan Zhi still had so much strength, Xiang also breathed a sigh of relief. However, her words also reminded Xiang that the warhorse was effective, but the opponent's firepower was too strong. Tie a few shields together and led the horses forward. I need some men who are not afraid of death. His idea was simple since this method was feasible, he would just let someone push it up. It's all death anyway. However, no one dared to stand up. There is still a possibility of survival. If you rush forward, you will really die. Seeing that no one stood up, Xiang gritted his teeth and said, since no one has stepped forward, whoever I point out will go. Everyone kept their heads bowed. Yan Zhi sighed and stopped Xiang. Forget it, the situation is so bad that even if we send more people to fight, they will die. At worst, we will be captured. Do they dare to kill me? The brothers here are all from our Xiongnu tribe. If one dies, one less. I can't let them die just for me. Hearing this, everyone was deeply moved. Xiang gritted his teeth and said, it is the duty of every one of us to protect the princess. We deserve to die. Alright, I don't need you to die. Surrender. Yan Zhi knew very well that even if they all died, they would not win. Chapter 435, Disfigurement. All four city gates were broken. The main force of the army is not here. It was the middle of the night now, and he was caught off guard and his weapons were inferior to his own. If they don't lose, who will? It was with this kind of desperate fighting style that the eldest brother unified the grassland in just a few years, and then marched into the Western Yi, charging forward and having no enemy to match him. Middle-earth is indeed the birthplace of culture. Even though Middle-earth is in such chaos, there are still talented people. She just wanted to know who led this army. Although Xiang was helpless, he also understood that surrender was the best option. As long as you are alive, there is room for maneuver. Raise the white flag and surrender, Xiang said unwillingly. The invincible Huns rampaged across China, but their first defeat was at the hands of Dai, breaking their record of invincibility. The second time was when we faced Daqian, and then the defeat was unstoppable. But he knew that they were not inferior to these people. It was just that Dai's weapons were too powerful. Watching the white flag rise, Xiaochai said, Your Majesty, they seem to have raised the flag of surrender. I saw it, Xiao Jianjia said, keep killing. Your Majesty needs labor slaves, and Princess Yan Zhi is most likely inside. A dead princess is not as valuable as a living one. Xiao Jianjia sighed. Her original idea was to kill all these people and avenge those people. Seeing what Xiaochai said, there is not much point in killing them all. Stop attacking. The king has ordered us to stop attacking. Soon, everyone put down their guns. The messenger stepped forward and said, Listen up, Huns ahead. If you don't want to die, throw away your weapons, take off your armor, put your hands over your heads and walk out slowly. If you dare to play dirty tricks, I will kill you all. The situation was pressing, and no matter how reluctant the Huns were, they had to do as they asked. Soon, they took off their armor, put down their swords and guns, and even threw the grenades aside. And they lined up and walked out slowly with their heads held high. Yan Zhi finally came to Xiao Jianjia under the escort of Watermelon and Grape. Even though she was being escorted, she still looked unruly. I didn't expect that the general leading the team would be you. She was very unconvinced and had thought about capturing Xiao Jianjia to threaten Imo. But he didn't expect that he would become Xiao Jianjia's prisoner. They are all women. And she has an army of millions. As a result, before he could achieve any results, he was beaten to a pulp by the woman in front of him and even captured. I've heard for a long time that Princess Yan Zhi is smart and clever, and has extraordinary means, but today, I see that she's not that good. Xiao Jianjia lay on the horse's back and looked down at Yan Zhi. Big breasts and no brains, no wonder my man doesn't like you. You? Yan Zhi was so angry that her whole body was shaking. She prided herself on being extremely smart and proficient in both civil and military strategies, but Xiao Jianjia said that she had big breasts and no brains, which deeply stimulated her. Lies don't hurt, the truth is the sharpest knife. That bastard Liuan didn't even look at her. This couple is so bad. I don't know what price you can get for this body of yours, Xiao Jianjia said with a smile. Yan Zhi suppressed her anger and chuckled. How dare you do anything to me? Liuan really likes me, and my soft body has grown into his heart. Besides, how many men like their women to fight and kill outside like a tomboy? Oh, and she's a tomboy who can only give birth to daughters but not sons. If I were a man, I wouldn't look down on you either. Before she could finish her words, Xiao Jianjia's knife had already cut her cheek. Just a light stroke. That beautiful face was directly disfigured. Then Xiao Jianjia stabbed her again, cutting the other side of her face. A severe pain made Yan Zi's brain go blank. After she lost consciousness for a moment, she let out a loud cry. Xiao Jianjia, you dare to cut my face? It's not enough. It seems that it's not broken thoroughly enough. She held the blade horizontally and cut her forehead directly. The flesh rolled over instantly and the bones inside could be seen. This knife also made Yan Ziyi feel the breath of death. And she was so scared that she quickly closed her mouth. Chao Jianjia stuck the saber into the ground in disdain. You slutty fox, even your blood is stinking. I can't keep this saber. The skin and flesh on Yan Ziyi's face were rolled up and covered in blood. The deepest cut even pierced her mouth, and her teeth could be seen directly. That eerie and terrifying look could scare a child to tears. I have no control over who my man likes, and I don't want to control it, but he definitely won't like a woman who kills innocent people. Nor will he let a scourge go free. Chao Jianjia said calmly, if you dare to provoke me again, the next knife will be your neck. You can try to see if I have the courage to kill you. You can also guess if I kill you, will my man scold me? You. Yan Ziyi lost all her arrogance and her words were leaking. She had always been very protective of her appearance. But now she was afraid and begged, please, kill me. I don't want my face to be disfigured. Sew her up, otherwise she will bleed to death. A dead slut is worthless, Chao Jianjia said. Yes, your majesty. After Watermelon and Grape had pressed Rouge down to sew the wound, Chao Jianjia began to clean up the battlefield. In this battle, the casualties were extremely low, with only 6 people killed and 100 injured out of the 10,000 cavalrymen. However, more than 60,000 enemies were killed and 150,000 were captured. Almost all the high-ranking Xiongnu officials sent to China were captured. Even Princess Rouge was captured. This battle was a great victory. The most important thing is that Chao Jianjia learned from inquiries that the main force of the Xiongnu army was preparing to cut off Ilu leading today, which made Chao Jianjia attach great importance to it. At 100 miles, send it to Liangjing, it must be fast. Chao Jianjia knew very well that once the rivers were cut off, they would be in danger of water shortage in half a month. In a month, it would cause a widespread drought across the country. In 3 months, there will be no harvest this year. They will fall into a passive position. She wanted to launch a sneak attack, but with tens of thousands of people coming and traveling thousands of miles, everyone had already reached their limit. Moreover, the ammunition they carried was not enough to support a major war. And now, I'm afraid someone has escaped to report the situation. If they rush in head first, they are likely to fall into the enemy's trap. On the one hand, she ordered people to evacuate all the gold, silver and treasures in Rongjiang, and on the other hand, she ordered people to set fire to the entire Rongjiang. As Chao Jianjia, the Huns were enemies. Da Jing is also an enemy. She never forgot that the Xin Jing dynasties joined forces to attack Bau Jingji. After doing all this, she released a few Xiongnu generals and asked them to report the situation, threatening Yan Ziyi to stop blocking the river. After doing all this, Chao Jianjia retreated to Xiao Pass with the prisoners of war. She wanted to prevent the Huns from launching a sneak attack if possible. She wanted to completely defeat the Huns' enemy forces in the western part of Dajing head-on. Take over the entire western part of Dajing, and give Lu Yuan a big gift. Chapter 436, The Jingyang River Dries Up. What did you say? Rongjiang was breached by the Qian army. Inside Lanzhong City, Yan Ziyi's personal general Hu Yanbo was furious and grabbed the collar of the messenger. What are you doing? Rongjiang was reinforced with cement and guarded by more than 200,000 troops. How did someone sneak into our city? Mr. Wen stopped waving his feather fan and looked solemn. General Chao Jianjia told us to stop, otherwise, she would kill the princess. The man was almost crying. Waste, all waste. Is the princess injured? The man trembled with fear. Okay. It seems that I was injured. Wu Yanbo was furious. I just left the princess and you guys let her get hurt. Damn it, all of you. But what's the use of being angry? Ask my military order to rescue the princess. General, please be patient, Mr. Wen said hurriedly. Even if we withdraw our troops now, it is too late. The princess has been captured. Old man, if the princess makes the slightest mistake, do you know what will happen? Hu Yanbo's eyes flashed with fear. His Majesty will tear us apart, and millions of troops will pour into Middle-earth, and I will not be able to survive. There is no way out. Do you understand? Mr. Wen was also shocked. I understand. But the interception is already halfway done. If we stop now, all our efforts will be wasted. Not only will he fail to rescue the princess, but he will also be controlled by them. We had no choice but to continue and block the river flow. They would not be able to hold on any longer and would naturally come back to negotiate with us. You can hold on as long as you can. At worst, we can drag Jingchao into the water as well. This is the only way to save the princess. Hu Yanbo's face was uncertain. Are you sure? You and I are in the same boat. How could I lie to you, Mr. Wen also had a bitter mouth. It was okay that Chiqu was a waste, but he didn't expect seeing to be so bad. Didn't the Huns sweep across the world? It's fine that we can't defeat Day, but how come we can't even defeat the Qian army? He even wondered, if this continued, What would be the point of joining the Huns? A will unify China sooner or later, and when it confronts the Huns, it is still unclear who will win. However, when he thought of the Wen family's reputation, he sighed secretly. He can only take one step at a time and see what happens. Hu Yanbo's face was uncertain after a while. He said, "For me, rescuing the princess is the most important thing. Cutting off the river can at least delay Day for more than a month. I need someone to go to Day to negotiate." Mr. Wen sighed. "I'll go." "Okay, if we can't save the princess? There's no need for the Wen family to exist," Hu Yanbo said coldly. Sensing the murderous intent, Mr. Wen patted his chest and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely save the princess." After leaving the camp, Mr. Wen was also very anxious. He thought of Fang Zhu, but unfortunately this guy was unlucky and had already died. Otherwise, you can take the opportunity to blackmail him and find a way to release Princess Yanzi Hi. Xiao Jianjia's control of Yanzi's equivalent to holding a trump card, and he knew very well the status of Yanzi Hi in the hearts of the Huns. The most important thing is that the Xiongnu emperor only has this one sister and he dotes on her to death. Emperor Jing was timid and only dared to assist secretly. He did not dare to take any action openly. He was afraid of Lu Yuan to his core. As for Diaxia, it was the same. It secretly worked hard to develop. 70 of the Xiongnu's gunpowder was supplied by the Xia dynasty. It also made Diaxia a lot of money. At present, Diaxia has not replied, and it is not known whether they will cooperate. If we only cut off the rivers within Dajing, then only half of Day's territory will be affected by the disaster. Judging from the map, the disaster center happened to be Daijingshao. That's enough. I'll find a way to drag Diaxia into this when the time comes. The longer the delay, the better it will be for me, Mr. Wen thought. On the other side, Liang Jing. Shanghua quickly stepped into the palace. "Your Majesty, the water level of the Jingyang River has dropped by more than half in the past few days, and it is still continuing to drop." Li Yuan had also received the news from Song's Han. In fact, without them saying anything, Li Yuan also realized the seriousness of the problem. The moat of Liang Jing has dropped by more than half. It is already summer now, and although there is not as much rain as in previous years, it is not dry. According to information from the Astronomical Bureau, heavy rains often occur upstream, and there have even been 3 floods since the beginning of summer. There will be no interruption of flow at all. As the mother river of Dajing, Jingyang River has only been dry for a dozen times in the past thousands of years. The consequence of the interruption of water flow will cause a nationwide drought. The food can last for 2 years, but without water, we can't survive for 5 days. This year, the temperature is 3 to 5 degrees higher than in previous years, which is very extreme. Have you gone upstream to find out the situation? Officials upstream wrote back saying they didn't know what was going on. Not just the Jingyang River, but even the tributaries had seen a significant drop in water levels. The Wei River is almost dry. Shanghuang smiled bitterly. Something must be wrong when something is abnormal. Even if the flow is cut off, it cannot drop so fast. Li Yuan took a deep breath and had a bad feeling in his heart. A is a country within a country, with no major rivers originating within its territory. He had read the history of Middle-earth more than 100 years ago. Daqian suffered a great loss. The emperors of the Xia and Jing dynasties joined forces to cut off the river. They said it and did it. Fortunately, there is still the Bian River in the south of the Yangtze River. Although it is not as good as these main rivers, it is sufficient to supply the south of the Yangtze River. The emperor at that time had almost emptied his family fortune to fight the 2 countries. Seeing that Daqian was fighting to the death, the 2 countries gave up. The final result was that this battle directly made Daqian the last one in the group, and it became weaker year by year. Every now and then, the 2 countries would bring up this matter, and Daqian was completely taken advantage of. "Is there any problem with the 2 rivers in Diaxia?" Li Yuan asked. "I have monitored the 4 rivers in the country and found that they have all declined to varying degrees. The most serious of these is the Jingyang River. If the Jingyang River dries up, the area around Jingshao Prefecture for 1,000 miles will be affected by disasters. The reservoir we built can only supply the Jingshao area with water for more than a month. Can't even hold on. The transformation of the Northland will be completely stopped," Shanghuang said helplessly. "Investigate. Investigate thoroughly. I want to see whether it is a natural disaster or a man-made disaster." Li Yuan was full of murderous intent. If it was a natural disaster, it would be fine, but if it was a man-made disaster, then don't blame him for taking action in advance. After more than a year, Day's strength is no longer what it used to be. Not to mention the Central Plains. Even if we add the Huns and the entire Western barbarians, what can they do? He flattened them all. Soon, the results came out. Someone built a dam upstream to block the flow and dug a river channel to disperse the water to other tributaries. In other words, this is not a natural disaster, but a man-made disaster. Li Yuan was furious. But before he could summon his ministers, Xiao Jianji's urgent report was delivered to him. After reading the urgent report, Liu Yuan finally understood who was behind it. Okay, I was thinking of hiding for a while longer, but now, I'm going to flip the table. Chapter 437. I can't bear it anymore. The receding water level of the Jingyang River is not a natural disaster, but a man-made disaster. Fortunately, Xiao Jianji gave him a surprise. 10,000 cavalry entered Zhongjiang, killed tens of thousands of troops in one battle, captured hundreds of thousands, and even Yanzhi was captured. Otherwise, if we send troops to block Zhongqing now, the round trip will take at least 10 days to half a month. Moreover, it doesn't mean that we can win immediately, it will take at least a month. It was early summer now, and a month was enough to dry out the entire Jingxiao. The seed of thousands of miles of barren land in the north will reappear again. Even so, the water upstream was cut off. Liu Yuan immediately called the Minister of Works, Zheng Sangguan. He was originally in charge of the Ministry of Industry and later became the General Manager of the Ministry of Works. The Ministry of Works has also expanded from its original management of construction projects to a number of other management matters. In other words, the Ministry of Works is no longer the lowest of the 6 ministries, but has become a more popular department among the 6 ministries. Sangguan, how far has the canal connecting to Longdian been dug? Liu Yuan asked. Your Majesty, we have already dug 500 miles, and it will take more than half a year to completely open it up, said Zheng Sangguan. If we want to transform the entire day environment, relying on the Jingyang River alone is far from enough. If the 4 main rivers in Middle-earth are opened up without affecting safety, they will not face a water shortage crisis. The construction of the Longdian Canal began last year, with more than 200 people working into shifts, digging day and night. However, the river channel is not very wide, and Liu Yuan does not have much demand on this tributary, it just wants to divert water to the north. What about the Black River tributaries? We don't have enough manpower, so we have to hire civilians. The funding from the imperial court this year is not enough, so we have only dug less than 100 miles. It will take at least 3 or 4 years to completely open it up, Zheng Sangguan said with a wry smile. Day cement is produced in large quantities, but it is not enough to build large canals. Not to mention large-scale canals that are hundreds of miles long, which are a huge test for technology and production. Currently they have no such experience. Liu Yuan tapped his fingers on the table. If I remember correctly, the Northland Reconstruction Plan is also a project of the Ministry of Industry. Yes, but it's the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of Revenue working together. And so far 300 miles have been transformed, with roads paved, bridges built, canals constructed, and reservoirs built. It will take another 5 to 8 years to completely transform the north. Liu Yuan sighed. They were all big projects, and the results would not be seen in the short term. In the past 2 years, tens of millions of leaf coins have been invested, but the effect is not good. The fundamental reason is that the population in the north is too small, making it difficult to stimulate the economy. In addition, due to the disaster, few people are willing to go back. Even with many policy supports, it still cannot attract many people. However, this is something that will benefit the present and future generations. Once the north is successfully transformed, it will become Day's largest granary. It seems that this battle is unavoidable. You go down first. Yes, I'll take my leave. Zheng Sangguan was a little confused, but he didn't ask any more questions. He was in a lot of trouble now, and he was afraid that Liu Yuan would assign him work, so he ran away. Go, call Wang Dabiao and the others to the martial arts hall. Liu Yuan was also eager to get started. There were big projects everywhere and a lack of manpower everywhere. How can Day's development be without these people? Soon, Wang Dabiao and others arrived at the martial arts hall, which was specially set up for the military. After everyone greeted each other, Liu Yuan didn't waste any words and got straight to the point. The Xiongnu are in Lanjiang City, building a dam to block the Jingyang River. And even the Jingjiang River was cut off. I don't need to tell you about the Jingyang River. It is the lifeline of Jingxiao. The Jingjiang River flows through several grain-producing towns. If it is cut off, the consequences will be disastrous. The Xiongnu bastards are making trouble. Wang Dabiao gritted his teeth and said, Your Majesty, I am willing to lead the troops to fight, and I will kill these bastards to the ground. Your Majesty, I am willing to go. All the generals were extremely excited after holding back for so long. They finally had a battle to fight. Liu Yuan pressed his hand and said, Lanjiang City is at least 1,500 miles away from the border of Day. The upstream water has been cut off for 10 days into days. The river will be completely dry. The water storage in Jingxiao can only support more than a month. This summer is extremely hot and crops are growing vigorously. We must destroy the dams as quickly as possible to allow the rivers to flow again. In other words, this battle must be won within 20 days. Otherwise, there will be a sharp drop in food supply this year. Everyone looked solemn, and everyone felt tremendous pressure. 20 days. It would take at least 1 or 2 days to deploy troops and prepare for war. Starting from Jingshao to reach Lanzhong City, it is at least 2,000 miles away, and it will take at least 10 days to arrive at the fastest speed. This is for pure cavalry and light baggage. 20 days took up more than half a month. Even if they arrived at Lanzhong City, they would only have 2 or 3 days left. It would take at least 3 days to destroy the dike and allow the river water to flow back to Jingshao Prefecture. No one can say with confidence that it can be accomplished. This is the intelligence from the front line. A few days ago, Jianjia led 10,000 cavalrymen to Rongjiang, broke into the city, killed tens of thousands of people, captured hundreds of thousands of people, and captured Yan Zichai. The reason why she was able to reach Rongjiang so smoothly was that most of the Hun's troops had gone to Lanzhong City. There are 400,000 cavalrymen in Lanzhong City alone. And there are also more than 100,000 on the banks of Jingjiang River. In other words, a two-front war is needed. It isn't known whether Dajing will survive this battle. If Diaxia also takes the opportunity to cut off Longdian and Heiyi. Li Yuan paused, and everyone present looked solemn. It's not uncommon to fight 1 against 3. How many people were there in Day at that time? General the army. And now, A has a military force as strong as 3 armies. A single army can destroy a country. Your Majesty, if that's the case, then we should kill all of them. Wang Dabiao said, whatever Dajing or Diaxia, they are all included in our plan. With our strength, it's time to conquer the 3 kingdoms. Yes, it's time to conquer the 3 kingdoms. Everyone agreed. War means military exploits. Who doesn't want to lead a war to annihilate a nation and go down in history? Besides, there are still many vacant division commander positions in the 3 armed forces who wouldn't want to try their luck for a better future. Li Yuan is a man who plans before he acts, but at this moment, he was also heart-pounding. Now that the time is ripe, why should we endure it any longer? Isn't it just for this moment that we practice hard? He pressed his hands and everyone suddenly became quiet. Everyone looked at Li Yuan intently. Since everyone thinks so, I will grant your wishes. Li Yuan smiled and said, from now on, we will use troops against the Xiongnu, Dajing, and Diaxia. Wang Dabiao, Ji Irmo, Zheng Liujin and others couldn't stop being excited. They all shouted, Your Majesty is wise. However, we need to have a legitimate reason to use military force against the Xi and Jing dynasties. Who has a good suggestion? Chapter 438, Upgraded Airship. Everyone had a sad face and was deep in thought. After a long while, Wang Dabiao said, I thought of it. Let us say our soldiers are missing in Jing dynasty. That's a good idea. If they can't hand it over, just kill them. Not bad at all. Lu Yuan cursed, do you have that much brains? Can you come up with a more reasonable excuse? That is to say, Jing dynasty cooperated with the Huns, so they formed an alliance through marriage, right? The marriage was a fault. Wang Dabiao shrank his neck. Lu Yuan nodded, that's a reasonable reason, but what about Diaxia? Seeing that Lu Yuan accepted his suggestion, Wang Dabiao also started to show off. However, not all people in the military are simple-minded. In other words, there are not many simple people who can reach this level. Your Majesty, it is said that Diaxia has already developed the formula for gunpowder. And the Hun's muskets and gunpowder should all come from Diaxia. We just need to work on it, Zheng Liujin said. Li Yuan nodded. To start a war, all you need is a simple and plausible excuse. However, if we are going to sweep them all away, we have to defeat these people fairly. Li Yuan said, Wang Dabiao, I will give you 20 days to make the rivers flow again. Is it possible? Wang Dabiao stood up and said in a loud voice, I will definitely complete the task. He didn't refuse at all. Even though he might be lazy at times, it depends on the situation. When it comes to things like this that concern national crisis, he must be the first to step up. Li Yuan turned his gaze to Ji Irmo. Irmo, you lead the second army to attack Diaxia. Yes. I promise to complete the task. As for the third army, the position of commander is still vacant. Li Yuan thought for a moment. Shamlai, you will temporarily serve as the deputy commander of the third army. Zheng Liujin, you will be the full commissioner. Yes, Your Majesty. The two looked at each other, their eyes full of excitement. They knew very well that after this battle, the commander of the army would be born from among them. However, these 3 armies are not the total military strength of Day. Li Yuan withdrew 50,000 troops from the 3 armies and established the 4th army. This army had no commander and was directly commanded by Li Yuan on weekdays. When he had nothing to do, he would go to the barracks and eat, live and train with the soldiers. In addition, there are some troops, about 15,000 people. These people are enough to guard the Jingshao area. There are also police stations and city defense troops, so Jingshao will not be in chaos. Afterwards, Li Yuan discussed the plan with everyone, which took a whole day. What Wang Dabiao meant was that the hundreds of thousands of cavalry stationed in Lanzhong City, and the entire river embankment must be strictly guarded. A frontal attack would require a large number of troops. For a sneak attack, you need to travel light. And the probability of success is not very high. He also mentioned a crucial point. Your Majesty, the Huns built dikes to store water, so there must be a lot of water accumulated upstream if they suddenly destroy the dikes. We will be wiped out if we rush to meet them. There is an old saying that goes, don't deceive the mountains, don't deceive the water. Li Yuan still remembers the scene of water flooding Songshan County. That battle was extremely dangerous for Dai. If Han had not turned against them, Dai would have suffered heavy losses. Everyone nodded in agreement. Li Yuan frowned and wrote the word airship on the blackboard. However, Wang Dabiao shook his head and said, the airship is indeed possible, but it is not convenient to carry it 1,000 miles to Lanzhong City if the airship cannot be deployed when we arrive. All our efforts will be wasted. But the only way to blow up the dam without anyone noticing is to do it from the sky. Li Yuan laughed and said, the airship I'm talking about is not the same airship as before. Everyone was confused. The Military Research Institute has developed a new type of airship this time. The gas filled inside is no longer hydrogen, but helium. Li Yuan said calmly, this helium is an inert gas, not flammable, and its density is only slightly higher than hydrogen, so not only has its performance been greatly improved, but its safety has also been greatly guaranteed. But Your Majesty, even if it is so, it is impossible to fly an airship to Lanzhong City, which is more than 2,000 miles away. Wang Dabiao sighed. Although the airship is good, when can we reach Lanzhong City by foot? Although airships can cross mountains in a straight line, they are still not as fast as cavalry. Listen to me first, Li Yuan said. Our first version of the airship has a speed of about 20 miles per hour. At this speed, even if we keep going day and night, it will take about 10 days to arrive. And this process has created uncertainty. But the new version of the airship has a speed that is about 5 or 6 times faster, and it doesn't require manpower, and its speed, direction change, and carrying capacity have all been improved. Inside the martial arts hall, everyone gasped. Your Majesty, are you kidding? We can fly more than 100 miles in an hour. Doesn't that mean we can reach Lanzhong City within a day? Wang Dabiao stuttered as he spoke. There was no one present who was not shocked. More than 2,000 miles is a winding route if we go in a straight line. It is just under 2,000 miles according to the speed of the new airship. If it runs non-stop, it will not even take a day to reach Lanzhong City. The most important thing is its carrying capacity, which has made a qualitative leap. Its carrying capacity reaches an astonishing 20,000 kilograms. It can carry more soldiers and more bombs, not only to blow up dams, but also to bomb cities. Li Yuan said. Everyone gasped. They suddenly understood why Li Yuan was not in a hurry even though it had been so long since the incident happened. It turns out that he was holding back a big one. Your Majesty, where is the airship? Can you let us see it? Ermio's eyes lit up. If he could get these airship soldiers to the Second Army, why not send them there? When carrying out decapitation operations in the future, these airship soldiers will kill every one of them accurately. It turned out that this airship unit was in the First Army later. His Majesty promoted the airship soldiers separately and established an Air for Steam. And now the Air Force has only 3,000 to 5,000 people. But these people have the best food, clothing and other necessities. Yu Xiang is also taller than them. They are all selected from various corps and are the elite among the elite. It requires not only calmness, but also strong psychological quality. The Air Force is temporarily closed to the public. Li Yuan said, so Wang Dabiao, you march as usual. I will have the airship troops cooperate with you. Wang Dabiao cried out, I thought I deserved the most credit, but I didn't expect that I was the one who provided cover for the airship troops. Everyone started to chuckle. Wang Mazi, you can't have everything. I still want to fight the Huns, but you got there first. If you make a profit, just be happy about it. Why are you still standing here being unwilling? If you don't want to, just give it to me, or John. Go away. Your army has nothing to do with you. You can defeat Diaxia first, but I will take the lead in fighting the Xiongnu. Chapter 439 Air Force Base. At this time, Li Yuan arrived at the Air Force Base. The Air Force Base is in the mountains, surrounded by several hills, with a 1,000-acre base in the middle. Li Yuan came here in the dark. The 4th Army Base is also stationed around the Air Force Base, and the area within a radius of 20 miles is under strict control. The person in charge of the Air Force Base is a young man under 30 years old. This man is called Shen Yu. He is not from a noble family, but he is a well-known madman. His ancestral home was in Daqianjiangan. He was known as a child prodigy at a young age. When he was 8 years old, he became obsessed with flying after reading a book about mythology and legends. What really made him famous was when he was 16 years old. He stuck goose feathers into his arms and jumped down from a 3-story attic. It is said that on that day, all the people in the city came to watch him fly. That day, he became a complete joke. Chen Yu fell from the attic and almost died. However, he was lucky and survived. But one of his feet was left with a lifelong disability, and he walked with a limp. His behavior also hurt his family, who drove him away in anger. But this kid is also a ruthless person. Bound to fly. In order to survive, he relied on street tricks to earn some money, and somehow he came to the north, and then was abducted by the barbarians. Fortunately, he was rescued by Lu Yuan. When Lu Yuan was testing the waters, this guy stood up and said that he was best at flying, which made Lu Yuan laugh. But this guy really gave Lu Yuan a surprise. From ancient times to the present, human beings have had a dream of flying. Lu Yuan had read a book that someone imitated a bird and jumped off the roof and died, but he never thought that this real-life example was standing right in front of him. What really made Lu Yuan change his opinion of Chen Yu was the large Kong Ming lantern he made. At that time he realized that the guy in front of him was ahead of his time. He also took a book filled with gliders he had drawn based on birds. Although it was very simple, it looked very complex in his eyes, even bloated in some places, but this already has the prototype of a glider. Most importantly, his insights into flying have already helped him understand wind force and lift, and he even wrote more than 200,000 words of his experience. After reading it, he was immediately stunned by her beauty. You know, although humans have dreams of flying, they are in awe of God. The guy in front of me is a disrespectful person. He even has his own opinions on rainfall and thunder and lightning. Later, after Lu Yuan gave him a few lessons, this guy was like he had opened up his Ren and Du Meridian. She created a real glider and also made a super large hot air balloon. From then on, things got out of control. Chen Yu loves flying, and flying has a fatal attraction to him. He once said that even if he died, he would really fly. And now, he has initially achieved it. Your Majesty, your humble servant is here to pay his respects. Chen Yu limped, but walked quite fast when he saw Lu Yuan. His eyes were full of awe and admiration. To him, Lu Yuan is not only his savior, but also his guide to the sky. He thought that he was the person who knew Feit best in the world. But he was wrong. With just a few words from Lu Yuan, a new world opened up for him. Your legs and feet still hurt recently. Are the mudwort patches I gave you effective? Thank you for your concern, Your Majesty. I have used the mudwort patch and I am much better now. Whenever it was rainy, his foot disease would relapse and the pain would be unbearable. Lu Yuan has also been trying to find a way to treat him. In the past 2 years, a lot has changed. At least, walking will not be restricted. Lu Yuan nodded. You are not too tired. You must know that health is the capital of fighting to me. You are the greatest wealth, do you understand? Chen Yu felt warm in his heart. Yes, I understand. After a brief greeting, Lu Yuan asked Chen Yu to take him to see the airship. In front of him, there were 2 huge monsters. And below, many people are making preparations for the flight. Your Majesty. Teacher. Zhu Jing also hurried over to salute, but he was covered in sweat and his clothes were stained with engine oil. No need to be so polite. Lu Yuan waved his hand. The internal combustion engine had been invented, and the automobile had also been successfully developed. It was only a matter of time before it was popularized. He let Zhu Jing initiate the research topic and turned to studying airplanes. This guy is really smart. Knowing that it would be difficult to manufacture an airplane in the short term, they turned their attention to airships. The joint military extracted helium, built a helium airship, and successfully placed an internal combustion engine on the airship. The airship has been tested for many months, but all of them were conducted at night. Lu Yuan does not want to expose this secret weapon for the time being, so as to avoid being targeted. How's the debugging going? Your Majesty, it's almost done, Zhu Jing said. With enough fuel, he can fly continuously for more than 48 hours. Good, that's great. Lu Yuan couldn't help but applaud. The airship is over 140 meters long, more than half larger than the original airship. The load capacity has been increased 3 times. The interior has also been upgraded. However, its own weight exceeds 40 tons. This is an absolute behemoth. Lu Yuan went into the inner warehouse and took a look. It was quite large and had all the daily necessities. Even a disposable chamber pod is provided. There are dozens of small airbags inside the entire airbag. If one of them leaks, it will not affect the operation of other airbags. However, what attracted Lu Yuan the most were the 4 large fans. It is these 4 large fans that propel the airbag forward at a speed of over 100 miles per hour. Before the advent of airplanes, this thing was definitely a national treasure. It's a pity that this thing is too difficult to manufacture just for this airbag. It takes a long time to prepare. The extraction of helium is already mature, but the cost of large-scale extraction is still quite high. The cost of building such an airship is over 4 million, which is ridiculously expensive. The old airships are still in service, but there are only 10 of them. If it weren't for the difficulty in positioning, Li Yuan even wanted them to use the airship to blow up Li Jing. After the inspection, Zhu Jing made another gadget. Your Majesty, this is a single soldier flying vehicle. Li Yuan was stunned when he saw the individual flying machine in front of him. Isn't this a paraglider? Yes. This is indeed a paraglider, but with this engine, the speed is fast, and it is very suitable for reconnaissance or small-scale searches. However, we generally use this to train the psychological quality of Air Force personnel, which greatly reduces the mortality rate. Li Yuan's face turned red when he heard this. Skydiving, a must-have for the Air Force, has a very high mortality rate, so Li Yuan asked them to find a high mountain cliff and jump down to train their psychological qualities. Well, that's good. With your arrival, the Air Force has become more and more regular. Li Yuan laughed dryly. But Your Majesty, this airship has no name yet, please give it a name. Li Yuan thought for a moment and said, let's call it the Giant Spirit God. Chapter 440 Talent Cultivation. Good name, Shen Yu nodded. Looking at the huge airship in front of him, feeling indescribably satisfied. Working with Zhu Jing, his dream of flying is getting closer and closer. Have all the members of the combat team been selected? Your Majesty, they have already been selected, Guan Dingshan said. They are all elite Air Force soldiers. Chen Yu is only responsible for research and has no military power. Guan Dingshan is the person in charge of the Air Force base, but most of the time, he has to cooperate with Chen Yu. Li Yuan nodded. Before we set off, I want to talk to them for a few minutes. Lanzhou City was too far away, and this was the first time that humans here flew 1,000 miles. There are too many dangers to face in the process. Whether it is a violent storm or thunder and lightning, it is possible for the airship to crash. Soon, the selected elite came to Li Yuan. There were 18 people in total. 1 airship captain and 8 fighters. Greetings to His Majesty. 18 people bowed together. Judging from their military insignia, they are all battalion-level cadres. Li Yuan nodded and said, this mission is urgent and important, and it concerns the safety of Day. I know that the mission is difficult, but I believe that you can complete it. I will wait here for your triumphant return. We will definitely live up to Your Majesty's expectations. Everyone shouted loudly, with determination in their eyes. Li Yuan nodded. It was because of these young and fearless warriors that Day is what it is today. Li Yuan shook hands with them one by one and straightened their collars. For him, this is not just a show, he just wants to remember these young looks deeply. A is proud of you, you must protect yourself. If you can't do it, parachute out and save your life. Behind you is the Imperial Army. If you are unfortunately captured, I allow you to surrender. When the time comes, he will definitely send a large army to rescue you, Li Yuan said. All 18 people were deeply moved. Go down and have a good rest. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. The dams will be broken down, and the rivers will flow again. Don't worry. Your Majesty, Day has us and will win. The 18 have unparalleled self-confidence. After everyone got off, Imo walked around the airship again, fearing that there might be some problem. However, he believed in Shen Yu, and even more in Zhu Jing's rigor. You too, you must cooperate well. I look forward to the real plane coming out. Li Yuan encouraged. Xiao Yu, the day the plane comes out is the day you become a national hero, of course. National hero is an honorary title no matter when. You are a national hero in my heart. And I hope you can strive for this honor and influence more people. Chen Yu was deeply encouraged and tried to stand up straight. I will definitely live up to Your Majesty's expectations. There is one more thing. I want to set up an aviation school. I need the two of you to take the lead in this matter and train more aviation talents for Day. Although airplanes are still in the drawing and theory stage, we have airships, hang gliders and other aircraft. Theoretically, we already have the ability to fly. Operating these aircraft requires not only courage but also sophisticated operations. The most important thing is the ability to produce, repair, and update parts. It is far from enough to rely solely on research institutes. We must standardize the production of aircraft and airplanes to form a complete circle. Thus let more people in. Moreover, when airplanes are invented in the future, weapons such as airships will still not be eliminated and will be used in large quantities one day in the future. The two listened very carefully. Now the infantry has a professional army school. An aviation school is a military academy that trains pilots and aerospace talents. Your Majesty, it's easy to run a school, but currently, flying is still a taboo in Middle-earth, and there are not enough professional talents. What is truly rare are the teaching talents and teaching materials. This all belongs to advanced teaching and requires time to compile materials, including but not limited to mathematics, design. More than a dozen categories will be involved, all of which require teaching materials. We can find ways to overcome some subjects, but key subjects require professional talents. Chen Yu put forward his own point of view. There has never been an aviation school in this land, so both the experience and teaching materials are zero. It is indeed not easy to systematize in the early stages. I will select some teaching masters from the education department, and you can choose from them and set up the subjects that can be set up first. For the time being, we will select talents from within the military for admission. But there is one thing, everyone in the Air Force must be enrolled and get a diploma. I gave them the highest and best treatment, so I also had very strict requirements on them. Liu Yuan said. Yes, I will definitely live up to your Majesty's expectations. The two said in unison. After Liu Yuan left, he had been thinking about running a school. Not only an aviation university, but also a maritime university must be established. Shipping professionals must be trained. Aerospace and ocean are the two major futures. That's a lot of money to invest. Xie Yuan. Liu Yuan scratched his head. The country's official revenue was so good, but it was not enough. Only by launching a war can the domestic expansion of production be met. Thinking of this, Liu Yuan calmed down and asked Duan, how is Liu Su's training going? Your Majesty. The boss is studying under the sword master and is said to have made great progress, Duan replied. Liu Yuan sighed, you've been gone for more than a year. And you don't miss me, you, Ray, really hard-hearted. Duan wanted to laugh but didn't dare to, so she suppressed her smile and said, Your Majesty, the boss actually misses you very much, but he is afraid that he is not strong enough to provide you with better protection. Liu Yuan nodded, knowing that Liu Su was strong-willed, and said, go see her tomorrow and ask her when she will come back to me. Your Majesty. Is it that I haven't done well enough? Duan asked deliberately. Of course you are good, but I need manpower. Liu Yuan didn't have too many thoughts about Duan, he just liked her efficiency and loyalty. Duan didn't have too many thoughts about him. Except for Yu Su and a few other women. Liu Yuan still has a strong sense of boundaries towards these female subordinates. Duan covered her mouth and chuckled, Your Majesty, why don't you go and see it yourself? If the boss knew you were there, he would definitely be very happy. What kind of days did Yu Su go through in this year? Anyone who sees this will feel heartbroken. The sword master really trained her like a machine, but even metal can get tired. Every time I saw her, she was covered in scars and had a bruised face. She wanted Liu Yuan to go see Liu Su and know how hard she was working. Liu Yuan nodded silently. He missed Liu Su very much when she was not around. On the other side, in a large manor in the new district in the west of the city, Liu Su knelt on one knee and said, Student Cao Dao wants to thank you, teacher. The sword master lay there and said lazily, I am not your teacher. You have studied for more than a year, and you have learned everything you should learn. It is time to leave here. Chapter 441, Expedition. The sword master knew exactly why Yu Su came here. He didn't want to be Liu Su's teacher, but perhaps out of a sense of guilt, he taught Liu Su some skills. However, there is no quick way to master Kung Fu. This woman really worked hard, and even he was moved by her efforts over the past year. She actually succeeded by practicing with such a desperate method. But this kind of practice overdraws her energy and potential. The woman said that she didn't care, as long as she could improve her strength and protect His Majesty, she would be willing to overdraw for 20 years. The sword master was moved and took great pains to find many precious medicinal herbs to strengthen her body. Logically he shouldn't have done this. Perhaps it was because of Liu Yuan's words about entering the world, or perhaps it was because he wanted to experience life and he liked Liu Su's loyalty. Remember this: when you go out, you are not allowed to flaunt your skills under my name, nor are you allowed to say that you are my disciple. Otherwise, I will take back your skills no matter where you are. It's not that the sword master is afraid of trouble, he just follows his heart. During the 2 years he lived in Day, he felt surprisingly good. He even opened a martial arts school to teach some children some basic kung fu. When I have nothing to do, I go fishing, attend classes at the university to learn new knowledge, or hike dozens of miles along mountain roads to the top of the mountain to collect inspiration. He is no longer obsessed with enlightenment. But over the past 2 years, he has gradually come to understand the laws and principles of the operation of all things. Whether the teacher admits it or not, I am still the student's teacher. Liu Su bowed deeply, turned around and left. The sword master didn't keep him either. The old eunuch came out from the side and said, What a tenacious woman. Although her talent is not as good as yours, her tenacity is just as good. Why didn't the master accept her? Women are troublesome, but female disciples are not, asked the sword saint. My master has lived a life of purity and indulgence in swords. He has never experienced love or the affection between a father and son. How can this be considered complete? Where did you hear that? The sword saint sat up straight. The old slave's words made his Hun Yuan or Yu Wai's Taoism determination waver. Master, you are wise. How could this old servant understand? I only read this in books. Which book? Who wrote it? The sword master asked urgently. This one is the Legend of Sword and Fairy. The old eunuch handed over the book in his arms. As soon as the sword master saw the cover, he immediately became interested. Lu Yuan has published a new book? He hasn't written a book since the end of The Sword of You Girl. I didn't expect that he would publish a new book without any fanfare. This book is quite interesting. It's not a martial arts novel, but a fairy tale. Lu Yuan is an emperor, which is great. His writing is even more imaginative. After I finished reading it, my mind was filled with flying swords, said the old eunuch. The sword master said nothing, but sat up straight and looked. The sword master couldn't stop watching it. There is also a sword master in this book. Both the personality and the style are very similar to him. However, there is a difference between them. For the sake of Taoism, the sword master in the book first enters the world to experience small love, and finally gives up small love for great love. Lu Yuan, is this the book you wrote specifically for me? In the past 2 years, he rarely went to see Lu Yuan, but every time he went to see him, Lu Yuan could always give him inspiration. In the eyes of the sword saint, Lu Yuan is a person with greater talent than Xiao Yanlong. It's a pity that he is the emperor, otherwise he would have to accept him as a closed-door disciple. However, he also taught Lu Yuan a method of health preservation, which is beneficial to practice regularly. Putting down the book, the sword master let out a long breath and looked at the sleepy old eunuch beside him. Do you think I should find an old woman? The old eunuch shuddered. Master. What did you say? Nothing. The sword master shook his head. He was old. And although his abilities were still okay, he really didn't have the mind to do so. He also didn't like people getting too close to him. Other people's ways are not my ways. My way is to forget. When I forget the existence of the sword, my way will be accomplished. Every stroke of my pen is a sword. And so is my eating and sleeping. The next day, at about 3 o'clock in the morning, Jueling Shen No, 1 and No, 2 took off one after another. In addition to a huge propeller at the back, there is a small propeller at the bottom and on each wing. This makes the airship more flexible. Lu Yuan also rushed to the base as soon as possible. The reason for choosing 3 o'clock in the morning is to hit the punctuality. Lanzhong City is about 2,400 miles away from here, but it is not that far in a straight line, at most 200 miles. It gets dark late in the summer. It doesn't get dark in Liangjing until 8 o'clock, and it doesn't get dark in Lanzhong City until at least 9 o'clock. There are exactly 9 hours in between. And once it goes up to the sky, it will not stop halfway, no matter what situation it encounters. If all goes well, we will reach Lanzhong City in about 8 hours, and before dark, we will blow up the dam and bomb Lanzhong City at the same time. The mission of Jueling Shen No, 1 is to blow up the dam. If it fails, No, 2 will assist. If the bomb is successfully destroyed, the giant spirit No, 2 will also go to bomb Lanzhong City. There was enough helium to travel for 1,000 kilometers, and there was enough spare fuel to make the return trip. It's easier said than done. Lu Yuan was personally on the scene to supervise. The thrusters were turning, and the huge airflow caused sand and rocks to fly all over the field. The huge aircraft gradually took off into the air. It's done. Lu Yuan couldn't help but clench his fists. Amazing, really amazing. The Jueling Shen took off into the sky, representing that day's manufacturing technology had reached a new level. Both the chemical industry and manufacturing technology have made leaps and bounds in advancement. Chen Yu and Zhu Jing also breathed a sigh of relief and smiled at each other. At the same time, the 3 armed forces were ready. There was no oath, not even any movement. The entire army left the capital. The 2nd and 3rd armies marched in different directions. Speed is of the essence in war. The expected time for Lu Yuan to unify Middle-earth is 2 years. The people in the capital city are still eating and drinking as usual, and the life is lively as always. When the news of the army's departure spread, the whole city was shocked. What followed was a large influx of orders into all walks of life. This has stimulated consumption to a great extent. This expedition was also reported in the newspaper. In tea houses, bookstores, and even schools, everyone was talking about this matter. Shameless Zhang Nu. Zhang Liu deserves death? Those who are not of my kind must have different hearts. Is changing your name like causing trouble? The people were very excited, and they finally understood why the water level in the moat had dropped so drastically. There were even quite a few people who took their savings and went directly to the government office to donate money. The old people of Biaoyang donated everything they could. They have only one goal: to kill the Huns and make the rivers flow again. After Lu Yuan returned to the city, he also started to get busy. After visiting all the major military manufacturing plants, I was about to go to the cannery. At this time, Duan came over quickly. Your Majesty, the boss is here. Liu Su, come on. Let her come over. Lu Yuan was also happy and said hurriedly. Chapter 442, Don't let him die too easily. Since the mysterious man incident, Liu Su has been studying. Xiao Yanlong became Lu Yuan's personal bodyguard. But he can't keep her by his side forever. So he was sent to the military camp last year. This kid worked very hard and became a deputy regimental commander based on his own strength. Followed Wang Dabiao to the expedition. If this kid has the ability, he will definitely become famous this time. If he doesn't have the ability, it doesn't matter. However, as soon as Xiao Yanlong left, Li Yuan's security force was greatly weakened. He had to ask Blind Chen for help. Blind Chen arranged several masters who he had personally trained to be beside Li Yuan. But they are all men, and Li Yuan still hopes to have a woman who can follow him at any time. Soon, Liu Su came over. She was dressed in black and her hair was tied with a black ribbon. The skin becomes darker, or to be more precise, a wheat-colored complexion. The whole person becomes more imposing from the inside out. There was also a hint of murderous intent between his eyebrows. She had originally a slim figure, but now she looked even thinner. Your Majesty, I pay my respects to you. Having not seen Lu Yuan for over a year, Liu Su was very excited. She quickly stepped forward and knelt on the ground. But before she could kneel down, Li Yuan pulled her back and said, "You've lost weight. You suffered a lot over the past year. It's not bitter the current Liu Su can beat my former self." Liu Su stood up and recalled the hardships of more than a year. At this moment, all of them turned into a smile. In the future, Liu Su will be able to protect His Majesty. There were no big words, nor did she say how hard she had worked these days. She just knew that being able to protect Li Yuan was enough. The more this happened, the more Li Yuan felt sorry for her. He held her hand and said, "Don't leave me again. Never again." At this moment, Liu Su couldn't suppress her longing and couldn't help but hug Li Yuan. Li Yuan was stunned. He and Liu Su had always kept a certain distance and had not had any deep contact. This hug made him feel a little uncomfortable. Liu Su felt a little flustered and was about to let go, but she felt a pair of strong hands holding her tightly. Yuan on the side quickly turned around. And the guards around also turned around, forming an encirclement. "You are so cruel. You haven't come to see me or written me a letter for nearly 400 days. Li Yuan complained a little, and there was even some blame in his words, but more of it was heartache. "I'm afraid that after I see Your Majesty, I won't be able to endure the suffering anymore." Liu Su murmured, "Why don't I think about it? I think about it even in my dreams. I want to be back to Your Majesty all the time. But I also know that if I am not strong enough and the thieves hurt Your Majesty, I will never forgive myself." Li Yuan couldn't help but kiss her. Liu Su's body froze and she didn't know what to do. After a while, Lu Yuan finally let her go and said, "Come on. Follow me to inspect the canning factory." This kiss can be considered as a clear indication of Liu Su. It would be unfair to this silly girl if I continued to let her protect me as a personal bodyguard. "Yes. Yes, Your Majesty." Liu Su's body softened and she felt very weak. She walked unsteadily and had no strength. Her mind was filled with the long kiss she had just received. She touched her lips. This was the first time Lu Yuan kissed her and hugged her. She couldn't help but laugh foolishly, and secretly glanced at the people around her. She saw that they were all looking at her with a smirk on their faces, and she didn't know that they were looking at her. She coughed dryly and said, "What are you looking at? Stand still." "Yes, boss." Yuan and others stood up straight and followed with a smile. With Liu Su's return, Lu Yuan felt much more at ease. Soon, they arrived at the cannery. Last year, except for the sweet potatoes and potatoes used for seeds, all the extra ones were canned. It contains beef and soybeans, which makes it both filling and nutritious. A canning factory produced 30 million cans last year alone. 70% of these canned foods were used as military rations, which were not only convenient to carry but also easy to store. It tastes great when paired with compressed biscuits, tea bags, and sugar bags. As food production increased, the farms were expanded again. However, for the sake of Liangjing's environment, breeding farms were also arranged in subordinate provinces and cities. The year before last, the average annual meat and protein intake of the residents dropped by about 50. In fact, it is caused by the population explosion. Taking only the Jingshao area, the meat and protein intake of the people had already reached the standards of later generations, or even slightly exceeded them. But this is far from enough. The power of the little ice age gradually became apparent, and he needed to stockpile more food. This year, Imo set the standard for them, 300 million cans. A has a population of over 12 million, and 300 million cans of food can only ensure that these people will not go hungry for 1 month. Only when you have experienced hunger can you know the value of food. Li Yuan didn't want to go through the days of not having enough food to eat 8 years ago anymore. After inspecting the cannery, Li Yuan was planning to take Liu Su out for a delicious meal to reward him. However, what Li Yuan did not expect was that the Huns actually sent an envoy, and they had already arrived in Liangjing. "Who is coming?" Lu Yuan frowned. "Your Majesty, it's the Wen family from the western part of Daqian. This person is notorious and not a good person." "Oh, since he's not a good guy, just kill him." Li Yuan could guess with his toes what the Wen family came for, which was nothing more than to negotiate conditions. He was familiar with the process. However, Li Yuan had no intention of negotiating. He had also heard a little about the Wen family, who helped the Huns to commit atrocities in Daqian. It was said that the plan to cut off the rivers was proposed by the Wen family. Don't let him die too easily, Lu Yuan warned again. On the other side, outside Liangjing City, Mr. Wen's son, Wen Ting, said, "Dad, can Lu Yuan see us?" Of course, Mr. Wen waved his feather fan. Looking calm and composed, "You've seen along the way that the Jingyang River and Jingjiang River have run dry, although the flow has not completely dried up. It's just the water from the nearby small rivers and reservoirs, which is completely useless. The hot summer is coming and the sun is scorching in the sky. In less than 10 days, the leaves will fall into drought. In a month, there will be no harvest of this year's grain." The blow today was huge. They have no choice but to negotiate. Li Yuan is domineering and will definitely fight back. It will take at least 20 days to march to Lanjiang City, and that's with sufficient baggage. It took us half a month to get here, so we don't have much time left for them. After a month, the daylilies are cold, so they have no choice, Mr. Wen said confidently. Wen Ting agreed when he heard it. With such a plan, even if Li Yuan had 3 heads and 6 arms, it would be useless. Unless their people can fly to Lanjiang City without being noticed. Even if Hu Yanbo is a pig, he can still hold off the army for some time. "Dad, look, the people from the Honglu temple are coming." Wen Ting pointed at the people who were walking out of the city quickly, straightened his back, and asked, "Can we enter the city?" Chapter 443, Arrival at Lanjiang City. The official from the Honglu temple sneered, "Enter the city? Enter the city for nothing. Come on, arrest all these people." As soon as he finished speaking, the Day soldiers, as fierce as wolves and tigers, pointed their guns at these people. The black muzzle of the gun was pointed at them, and everyone felt terrified. Wen Ting was so frightened that his whole body trembled. Mr. Wen stopped pretending and said urgently, "We are envoys sent by the Xiongnu. The ancients said that when two countries are at war, they do not kill envoys. You are being immoral. You are a great lord of the Yi family, yet you actually attacked the envoys? Do you still have any moral principles? You are a bastard who forgot your roots and helped the Xiongnu to commit atrocities. Do you think you are worthy enough to talk to me about morality?" The official spat on his face. "Arrest him and put him in the Tianlao prison of the Honglu temple to await your punishment." The entire Wen family was panicked. The same was true for the Huns, but when they entered they even took off their swords and searched everything thoroughly. They were unarmed and were no match for the enemy. Some people want to resist. Following a few gunshots, several Hun soldiers fell to the ground, twitched a few times, and then died. Everyone was so frightened that they dared not move. Mr. Wen was kicked roughly to the ground by a soldier, falling flat on his face. Soon, the group was escorted into the Honglu temple prison. What followed was severe torture, including pepper spray and tiger bench, which were nothing more than child's play. The Wen family was tortured to the point where they could neither live nor die. "Sir, these people have all confessed." The subordinates handed several confessions to Du Chun. Du Chun nodded. His Majesty just said not to let them die too easily. A day is a big country, and they must do things uprightly and have a legitimate reason. Killing the envoy is not a good reputation. Therefore, a reason to kill is needed. The Wen family betrayed Daqian and became running dogs of the Huns, committing all kinds of evil, such as burning, killing, looting, and even offering suggestions to cut off the flow of rivers, bringing disaster to China. "Tomorrow, take these people to the entrance of the vegetable market and punish them by slow slicing," said Du Chun. "Yes, sir." In the prison, Mr. Wen, covered in blood, couldn't figure out why they dared to do this. "You two didn't even give me a chance to negotiate. You will regret it," Mr. Wen shouted weakly. On the other side, inside Lanjiang City, Hu Yanbo was inspecting the dam. Although it was built temporarily, hundreds of thousands of workers were mobilized. Fearing that the water level would rise upstream, they sped up the excavation and piled up a large number of sandbags. At this time, the water has accumulated to a depth of several dozen meters. "General, do you want to continue piling up?" "Yes, the higher the pile." Hu Yanbo sneered. "According to the time, the Wen family should have arrived. This time, not only must we bring the princess back, but we must also give these people a good beating." Mr. Wen said that even if the deal was reached, the dam could not be removed, but a buffer area would be dug to control the water flow. "You can give water to the big leaves, but not too much, as it will always threaten the big leaves. In exchange for more benefits, if they wanted to send troops to launch a surprise attack and directly destroy the dike, the area within a radius of 500 miles would become a swamp within 3 days. Unless the bigleaf people can fly, they will definitely die. But now that the rivers have dried up, their proud navy has become useless. The inability of water transportation in Day will greatly curb the development of Day. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Mr. Wen's method is very clever. It's a pity that Cheku was incompetent and the princess of Xianhai fell into the hands of the enemy. Otherwise, in this battle, I would have been able to completely defeat the Yi army and obtain a large amount of Yi-made equipment. Wu Yanbo sighed. As long as he could capture Yi Jun, he could use the captives to coerce Day into exchanging a large amount of equipment in craftsmen. It won't be long before they are able to manufacture muskets and cannons, and their only shortcoming will be made up. By then, China will collapse under the iron hoof of the Huns. The several lieutenants following Hu Yanbo also sighed repeatedly. It really puts us in a passive position. Hu Yanbo said, okay. Let's go back to the city. Remember, send people to guard both sides. Be careful of being sneaked up. He was afraid of Yi Jun's bomb, which could split mountains and crack the earth. If someone secretly brought a bomb here, it could easily blow up the dam. Once a breach appears in the dam, there is no way to save the situation with this amount of water stored. It will take less than a quarter of an hour to overturn the dam. Although Lanzhong City will not be flooded, it will still be affected. Don't worry, General. We will defend the dike to the death, everyone replied. Hu Yanbo nodded and returned to the city. About half an hour after Hu Yanbo left, the deputy generals couldn't help but frown and asked, did the thunder sound? Isn't it normal to hear thunder in summer? One of them looked up at the sky. Damn it, it's a bright day with not a single cloud in the sky, and yet there's thunder. It might rain heavily tonight. Let's go back to camp early after eating. Come on, have a drink. Several people didn't take it seriously at all. This is Lanzhong City, with hundreds of thousands of people here. Moreover, there are spies all along the way. Even if a dog passes by, they will check to see whether it is male or female. As long as they defeat Day, the entire Middle-earth will be theirs. Although the Western Yi are good and rich, they are nothing compared to the Middle-earth. Middle-earth women are more in line with their aesthetics. I have taken in a few young ladies from aristocratic families. They are so tender and delicious. Let's have some fun tonight. Several women laughed dryly. At this time, at an altitude of more than 2,000 meters, the highest record is more than 20,000 meters. But that should be an experiment. It is unrealistic and unsafe for an airship to fly too high. Two huge airships moved forward, one in front and one behind, accompanied by the afterglow of the setting sun. The white air sac was dyed gold. Yang Taishong, the captain of the Jueling Shenno, one airship asked, do you see the dam? Report to the commander. We have seen the dam. We can slow down the flight speed. What time is it now? It's 7:30 p.m. now, Yanjing time. It will be completely dark in about 30 to 40 minutes. I calibrate the direction and prepare the mine throwers. Received the order. Prepare to drop the Thor 1 bomb. The mine thrower opened the bottom of the cabin, where there was a specially designed bomb bay. It allows them to observe the situation on the ground, making it easier for them to drop bombs more accurately. Current altitude 2,200 meters, continuing to descend to 0 meters, 1,900 meters. The propeller at the tail was turned off, and the propellers on the wings and bottom started working, and the airship was slowly descending. Correction staff are calibrating the coordinates. At this time, the sound in the sky also attracted the attention of everyone on the ground. The huge airship made people stunned in an instant. Look, what is that? What a big cloud! But how can this cloud make a sound? Everyone looked up, staring blankly at the gradually descending airship, little knowing that a huge crisis was about to occur. Chapter 444, Dam Breach. General, there is something above our heads. Someone reacted and quickly ran to the generals. A few people were drinking happily and cursed. What can it be? I don't know. They're pretty big. There are two of them. One of the lieutenants looked in the direction of his finger and immediately gasped. What the hell is that? This sound also attracted the attention of others, and they all looked over. Where did these two come from? Let's go and take a look. But as soon as they stood up, they saw something falling from above. A few seconds later, accompanied by several earth-shaking noises, the earth seemed to tremble. Several people were so scared that they fell to the ground. At this time, in the sky, there was the giant spirit god. No, one. It's crooked. Keep going. The dam hasn't collapsed yet. The airship captain could only continue to make adjustments. The destroyer bomb is specially made, just like the missiles of later generations. But each bullet weighs hundreds of pounds and is specially made ammunition with enormous power. As long as it falls on the dam, it will definitely destroy the dam. At this time, the altitude of the airship was about 1,500 meters. Yang Taishan did not dare to descend too low because the shock wave of the explosion was huge. Before coming, the superior had specifically instructed him not to descend too low. Even if the shock wave cannot cross the 1,000-meter barrier, it will be troublesome if it is hit by shrapnel and the airbag is damaged. Although the airbag is specially made and has a certain degree of protection, it is better to be safe than sorry. This altitude will not affect the airship. Moreover, this time they brought more than 30 artillery shells, so the tolerance rate was very high. At this distance, even if the enemy discovers them, they won't be able to do anything to them. Of course, these more than 30 shells are far from the load limit of the airship, but there is also fuel placed next to it. And the weight is also calculated. If the weight of the fuel is removed, more than 20 shells should be able to be loaded. Sir, the people below have discovered us. Don't worry about them. Can they attack us? Yang Taishong didn't care. At this height, it would be useless even if the Huns invited their ancestors, unless they also have airships. Second calibration completed. Prepare to put in the shells. The shells have been put in. What? 3 more destroyer shells fell from the magazine. This shell will explode if the top is hit. This time, 3 shells landed accurately around the dam. There were 3 more deafening bangs. It hit the levee. I saw a huge gap blown open in the dam below. In an instant, water gushed out from the gap. From small to large, in just over 20 seconds, the breach doubled in size. Keep dropping bombs. Another 3-shot destroyer. The gap has expanded more than 5-fold. A 1,000-mile dam was destroyed by an ant-hole. The dam collapsed bit by bit like dominoes. The Hun soldiers guarding nearby were washed away by the flood before they even had time to escape. Save me, save me. The cries for help were drowned out by the flood. When the deputy generals saw the jetty dam, they were trembling with fear. It's the Yi army. The Yi army is coming. The Yi army can actually fly. They can fly. Wolf God. How can someone in this world fly? The breach in the dam expanded from tens of meters to hundreds of meters, and later, it was completely destroyed by the flood. In just a few minutes, the surging water covered an area of 1 mile. The huge impact for Seven broke a tree as thick as a bucket in half. It worked. On the Ju Eling Shun No. 1. Everyone couldn't help but cheer. Yang Taishong also laughed. Good, great. Unexpectedly, just 9 destructive shots completely destroyed the dam. At this time, they still had more than 20 destroyers, including the more than 30 on the No. 2 airship. They had a total of more than 60 destroyers. Mission accomplished. Let's turn around and bomb Lanzhou City. No matter how fast the people below are, they can't be faster than the airship. However, fighting at night is more dangerous, but when working at high altitudes, they are not afraid of threats from the ground. At least, the Huns cannot threaten them. What is really rare is the bombing. If we just bomb residential areas, it won't make much sense. On airship No. 2, everyone was also extremely excited. Seeing airship No. 1 turn, he hurriedly followed. At this time, Hu Yanbo had already returned to Lanzhou City. Soon, several women from noble families came over and helped him take off his armor. These women were graceful, with delicate skin and tender flesh, far beyond the reach of the Xiongnu women. After coming to Middle-earth, he felt that his heroic spirit was being completely drained away by these women. He likes this feeling too. Embracing a group of beauties into the bathtub. 20 minutes later, he felt completely drained and allowed himself to be served by these enchanting women. But he didn't notice the 2 huge monsters above Lanzhou City at all. He was enjoying himself when a series of loud noises frightened him so much that he jumped out of the bathtub. General. A woman was on top of him, and he threw her out of the bathtub. She fell to the ground and couldn't get up for a long time. What's going on? He looked outside in panic. The noise was so loud that even the house shook. Judging from the sound, the explosion was very close to him. Moreover, it continued to get closer and closer to him. Was it thunder? Hu Yanbo, who was extremely flustered, put on a piece of clothing and rushed out. General, it's bad. The enemy is coming. Hu Yanbo's brain was shut down by his subordinate's words. Where did the enemy come from? I don't know. But we were attacked and shells landed in our barracks, and I don't know how many people were killed. Now the barracks are on fire. The man looked terrified and pointed at the burning red sky not far away. Incendiary bomb. It's an incendiary bomb. Hu Yanbo took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart. Quick! Mobilize the army and fight back. However, when Hu Yanbo put on his armor and went out, he didn't even find where the enemy was. There were just continuous explosions. Everywhere I looked, there was fire and soldiers fleeing for their lives. This was definitely the most bizarre war Hu Yanbo had ever experienced. The enemy had secretly bombed them right under their noses, and they didn't even know where the enemy was. Suddenly he thought of a possibility and couldn't help but look up. Faintly, he seemed to see the huge black shadows in the sky. Buzz buzz buzz. The loud noise made his scalp tingle. Hu Yanbo let out a loud roar. They are in the sky. When these words were spoken, everyone looked up in surprise. They are really in heaven. This scene overturned everyone's 3 views. They never thought that someone could fly in the sky without falling. At this moment, fear filled their hearts. Later, whenever the soldiers who survived the battle recalled this battle, they couldn't help but tremble with fear. They said that this was the punishment from the wolf god for them to change their clan name. A is the devil sent by God to punish them. Chapter 445, The Return of the Airship. after dark. It is actually not suitable for fighting. But Lanzhong City also had electricity, which was actually conducive to dropping bombs. Just throw it towards the dim lights and you can get good results. Report to the commander, the shells have been dropped. Yang Taishan sighed, and then according to the regulations, he flashed the airship's lights 3 times, prompting airship No. 2 to begin the bombardment. The second airship captain, Ma Guo, also hurriedly ordered, drop bombs. Yes. Open the base and prepare to drop bombs. Reloading completed. But destroyers and incendiary bombs were thrown down together. Soon, there was a loud noise and brilliant fire coming from the ground. Continue to adjust the direction, and deviate to the 9 o'clock direction of the northwest. Angle correction complete, continue dropping bombs. The bombing was over in just over 10 minutes. Everyone on the airship was still eager to get going, but it was a pity that they had too few shells. But even so, Lanzhong City almost turned into a sea of fire. I just don't know how many people were killed or injured this time. However, their mission had been successfully completed, and the bombing of Lanzhong City was just a side job. Ma Guo also flashed the lights on airship No. 1, bombing complete, now executing the return mission. Confirm the range. Prepare to return. Start returning. The airship turned in the sky, and soon, 2 huge monsters left the sky above Lanzhong City. Gone, they're gone. Oh my god, what kind of monster is this? The surviving Hun soldiers looked at the sky in horror, and each of them had an expression of joy on their face at having survived the disaster. Hu Yanbo was still frightened. He was almost killed in the explosion. But even so, the mansion behind him was completely set on fire. The entire Lanzhong City has become a sea of fire, with ruins everywhere, and it is unknown how many people have been killed or injured. After dawn, the fire was still not out. Hu Yanbo found out that more than 40,000 people had died and 2 main granaries had been burned. What made him most devastated was that the dam he had built with so much difficulty was also destroyed. A raging flood made it impossible to build a second dam. There was heavy rain upstream, the river water became turbid, and began to rise continuously. Hu Yanbo shouted angrily, "Damn God, why do you do this to us?" The princess was captured, and the rivers began to flow again. What frightened him was the weapon that could move freely in the air. Since day can come once, he can come twice or 3 times. Therefore, building dams is no longer useful. The plan was a complete failure. He also knew that the plan to invade Middle-earth had completely failed, and what happened next was no longer something he could decide. Quick, send it to Pingjing as soon as possible. Liuan was inspecting the fields and found that on the 18th day after the water supply was cut off, water shortage had already occurred around Jingshao Prefecture. But fortunately, there are more than 20 large reservoirs to support it, so there will be no problems in the short term. This year is the most critical year for promoting sweet potatoes, and potatoes large-scale promotion will completely solve the problem of food shortage and will provide a guarantee during the Little Ice Age. Your Majesty, these crops are growing well. They will be ready for harvest in 2 months, and Yuhan said, this year, our greenhouses have reached a level of 100. Zerimu. A few years ago, there were only a few thousand acres, but in the past 2 years, it has been expanding rapidly. However, these greenhouses did not occupy fertile farmland, but were expanded on the mountains. Liuan's idea has always been to turn barren land into treasure. The soil in Liangjing is not fertile, but after so many years of transformation and cultivation, many wastelands have become fertile fields. This year, the Ministry of Agriculture has formulated a strategy to encourage farmers to grow greenhouses, and has reached an agreement with the glass factory to significantly reduce the price of glass. Now thousands of villages have signed agricultural assistance agreements according to the minimum standard of 100 acres per village, that is 100,000 acres. This winter, the problem of insufficient green vegetables will be completely solved, and the off-season vegetable prices will be stabilized, allowing people to have a balanced nutrition. In addition, the Ministry of Animal Husbandry has also reached an agreement with the villages that have signed the agreement to establish designated breeding bases in these villages to reduce the pressure on state-owned farms. Once successful, a new model will be developed and promoted nation-wide to better protect the Jingshao region and the capitals of various provinces. As the boss of the Ministry of Agriculture, Anna Yuhan is in charge of all the subordinate units. Li Yuan nodded. Not bad. Very good. The population of Liangjing alone has exceeded 2 million and is heading towards 3 million. As to maintain the operation of Liangjing, the daily grain consumption exceeded 2 million jin. In a year, it was more than 700 million jin of grain, or more than 7 million shi of grain. Also meat, vegetables, etc. The Ministry of Agriculture is under tremendous pressure. To be honest, 200,000 acres of greenhouses will be able to meet the winter vegetable demand of the entire Jingshao area. What foods are more oily for people nowadays? Li Yuan was very concerned about this. The ancients could eat a lot, but that was because there was not enough oil and water, so they had to eat 6 or 7 bowls to feel full. If it was a big meal of fish and meat, 1 or 2 bowls would be enough. Those with better conditions have lard, beef tallow, sheep fat, and tea oil. Those with worse conditions only have soybean oil, which is not pure. I remember that day introduced sesame and peanuts. These 2 crops are also very oily. Li Yuan stood up and said, people have strength after eating oil. I read the report of the Ministry of Agriculture. The state-owned factories only squeezed 1,500 tons of oil last year, which is 3 million katais if the average cost is spread to the people. The average per capita oil production is no more than 1 kati. I am very dissatisfied with this number. Day has many tea mountains, covering an area of about 1 million acres. Bma Shu is a well-known tea state in Middle-earth. How could we only get 3 million kilograms of oil from such a large area? Yuhan stammered and was unable to speak. His face turned red. He was not good at speaking and didn't know how to explain. Li Yuan sighed. I know that the burden given to you is too heavy, but you don't have to do everything yourself. Let the people below do what they should do. You just need to communicate the task. I also know that these people have intercepted a lot of money and benefits for their own benefit at the expense of the public interest. I have estimated that the state-owned oil refineries can produce at least 5.0 tons of oil, or 10 million kilograms, a year, including animal oil. An annual supply of 15 million kilograms is enough. Even so, if it is evenly distributed among the people, it would only be about 1 kilogram per person per year. I don't care how many private workshops there are in the private sector, but edible oil is a strategic material. Not only the people need it, but the soldiers also need it. The oil reserves in the national treasury are no more than 5,000 tons. What use can we have of ordering this? Your Majesty, I am guilty. Yuhan lowered his head. He knew that the amount of 1,500 tons a year was really ridiculous. Li Yuan said calmly, I just asked you to investigate this matter, not to ask you to plead guilty. I will give you half a month. I want a result. Chapter 446, The River Flows Again. Yuhan said hurriedly, Yes, Your Majesty. Li Yuan sighed. In fact, Yuhan was a qualified researcher, but not necessarily a qualified leader. But he happens to be the person with the highest honors in agriculture. If the position of Minister of Agriculture is not given to him, people will not be convinced. Therefore, those people will pretend to obey but actually disobey. It's like the grain grown on public land. Will the people below embezzle it? Li Yuan could guess with his toes that it would definitely happen. A loss has been going on for a long time. If it is within a reasonable range, he will turn a blind eye to it. But if it exceeds his expectations, he will kill anyone who dares to take action. This incident was also a lesson for Yuhan. Li Yuan hoped that he could grow up. Old Yu, I have high hopes for you. Please don't let me down. If you don't understand, you can ask Dijin. Yuhan nodded hurriedly. Yes, Your Majesty. At this moment, Liu Su came over quickly. Your Majesty, the giant spirit has returned. So fast. Li Yuan was overjoyed. He said something to Yuhan and left quickly. At this time, the giant spirit had already landed steadily at the Air Force Base. When Li Yuan arrived, a team people had already gotten off the airship, and the logistics team also came to inspect and repair the giant spirit. Guan Dingshan, Shen Yu, and Zhu Jing were all there. Seeing Li Yuan, he hurried forward and saluted. Li Yuan waved his hand and walked quickly to the 18 people. How is it? No one is injured. The first thing His Majesty said when he saw them was to ask if they were injured. The 18 people who were carrying out the mission were all extremely touched. Yang Taishang replied, Your Majesty. This mission was a complete success. It was only thanks to Your Majesty's blessing that we were able to successfully blast the dike blocking the river. Good, great. Li Yuan was overjoyed and gave a thumbs up. Warriors of the country, I will hold a commendation meeting for you and award you medals. It has been a long time since he held a commendation ceremony to personally award medals to people. Seeing the 18 people returning safely, I felt more satisfied. Everyone knelt down one after another. Serving His Majesty is our duty. Get up quickly. Li Yuan hurriedly helped everyone up. Tell me what happened in detail. Yang Taishang glanced at Mata Guo, who also knew that this was an opportunity for Yang Taishang to show himself in front of His Majesty, so he stepped out and said, Your Majesty, this is what happened. He made a long story short and recounted what had happened. There were certainly many dangerous things involved, such as the sudden strong winds and the lightning and thunder when the rain clouds passed through. In 2 days, flying across 4,000 miles, the excitement is beyond words. The most powerful airships can circle the Earth in 10 days. However, the valuable experience they accumulated during this long-distance bombing provided an important reference for later generations. Li Yuan looked at the records they had made along the way and nodded continuously. Okay, you must have been tired from all the traveling. Go and have a rest first. I will entertain you warmly when you come to the palace in the evening. All 18 people were very excited. After the 18 people went down, Li Yuan immediately asked someone to observe the water level. He was not at all panicked about the impending flood. Spanning more than 2,000 miles, even if the flood reaches here, it will have no power. Moreover, all the rivers within a radius of 500 miles of Jingzhou Prefecture have been rebuilt. If a flood of the magnitude of the one in Hukudu occurs again, it will not affect Jingzhou in the slightest. As evening approached, a large stream of water flowed quickly from north to south. The Jingyang River, which was originally dry, quickly became full. The surrounding boatmen also received the news immediately and tied up their boats. The water is coming. The water is really coming. Right. Water is finally here. The people who are most anxious about water shortage are not the farmers, but the shipping companies and merchants in the water transport business. They are the ones who suffer the most during these days of water outage. Now that the water has arrived, it has solved their urgent problem. Li Yuan was in a good mood and went outside the moat to take a look in person. Although the river water was turbid, it was rising steadily. The Hun's conspiracy was completely shattered. It just so happened that on this day, it rained after a long absence, dispelling the scorching heat. Everything seems to be getting better. There were more laughter and joy in the capital. As for why the airship didn't restore the flow of Jingzhou River, it must give Wang Dabiao some soup. Let's go back to the palace. Li Yuan was dressed in plain clothes and wearing sunglasses. If you didn't look carefully, no one could recognize that he was the emperor. That night, Li Yuan warmly entertained the 18 brave warriors, and at the grand court meeting the next day, he personally awarded medals to the 18 people. Yang Taishang and Ma Dajiuo, the airship commanders, were awarded the 11th level right Shuchang and the 10th level left Shuchang respectively. The remaining combat soldiers were awarded the 9th level rank of WUDEFU. In the military, 2 officers were promoted to brigade level cadres, and 16 soldiers were promoted from battalion level cadres to regimental level cadres to regimental level cadres. Li Yuan wants to tell everyone that if you dare to fight and dare to make achievements, he will reward you. In addition, they were awarded combat hero medals and rewards such as gold and silver. Everyone who saw it was filled with envy. Li Yuan said, I plan to establish a maritime university and an aviation university to train targeted professional talents for day. Those who are capable can recommend themselves. Chen Yu, Zhu Jing. The 2 men stepped out and said, I am here. One of you is the vice president of Aviation University, and the other is the secretary general. Thank you, your majesty. Let me say this, the presidents of these 2 universities are equivalent to high-ranking officials of the second rank, and these 2 universities are directly under the charge of the Day State Affairs Office. After hearing this, everyone took a deep breath. Such a high status? Even if it is a technical school, it is only managed by the Ministry of Rights. You should know that above the 6 ministries, there is a State Affairs Office. The State Affairs Office is more like a small court composed of the 6 ministries, and the emperor is the most direct person in charge. On weekdays, all matters, big or small, are handled by the heads of the 6 departments. The work of the 6 department heads will be reported to the State Council Office for approval by Li Yuan. Although Li Yuan seems to be delegating power, it is actually highly centralized. It not only improves work efficiency, but also avoids a lot of trouble. When it comes time to hand in the tasks, it is clear who has completed them and who has not. Are you faking it? Do you really think Li Yuan is a fool? Not to mention Li Yuan's second factory, he even specially set up the Integrity Bureau and the Inspectorate. Anyone who dares to forge it will be punished with death. In short, the State Council Office is a higher-level department than the 6 ministries. In other words, these 2 universities have direct access to the imperial court. Everyone looked at the 2 of them with envy. The Vice President and Secretary General of the Maritime University are temporarily appointed retreat. Farewell, Your Majesty. After Li Yuan left, all the officials congratulated Chen Yu and Zhu Jing. These 2 people are younger than each other. It can be seen that Li Yuan does not care about age. The only thing he cares about is their ability. After Li Yuan retired from court, he went to Honggu's yard first. Today is the day when Honggu comes out of confinement. Chapter 447, Lu is already ill. Look, your father is here. After giving birth, Honggu had a kind and maternal look on her face, and her body had become much plumper. She is holding a fat baby in her arms. The baby looks fair and clean and very cute. Uzi, Daddy will hug you. Li Yuan rubbed his hands and picked up the child. Uzi was the child's nickname, and his full name was given by old Lu according to the Lu family tree. The generation after Qi is Xiao. Li Yuan's actual name is Lu Xiaoyuan. However, Li Yuan was already the emperor, so the family tree was relisted. Li Yuan also didn't want to name his child according to any generational characters. Start the name in any way that comes to your mind, as long as you don't repeat yourself. So Huzi's full name was Lu Bengyi. After all, she is the eldest grandson of the Lu family, although there is no legitimate character in front of her name. Anyone with a discerning eye can see how important Honggu is in Liu Yuan's heart. The disease has already been cured means recovery. This shows how much the Lu family cares about this child. However, Liu Yuan did not show off too much, and did not even hold a full moon banquet. He just wanted to wait until the child was 1 year old and hold a half-year-old banquet and a 1-year-old ceremony. This baby is very strong and eats a lot despite his young age. He needs to wet nurses to take turns feeding him. It is a blessing if the child is healthy. Liu Yuan dotes on this child and spends a lot of time accompanying him. Huan Huan also likes Sei Chuzi very much and comes here to look after his younger brother after school. As for the child born to Xia Yin Wu Yu, the little girl is not very close to him. Come on, I'll take you and the children to the Imperial Garden to get some fresh air. You must have been feeling suffocated for this month. Liu Yuan said. It's okay. I just slept too much and ate too well, so I gained a lot of weight. Honggu couldn't help pinching her belly. It's better to be plump, I like plump ones. Honggu rolled her eyes at Liu Yuan and was very happy in her heart. Having a home, him and children, this might be happiness. She also figured out that it would be difficult for her to find her brother on her own. Now Day is about to go to war again. Once Middle-earth is unified and the 4 seas are united, the search will be much easier. Her main task now is to raise the child and spend time with Liu Yuan. It would be meaningless if I couldn't find my brother and couldn't take care of my husband and children. Just at this time, Su Xiui and Lu Qiushan came over and brought a lot of gifts and supplements. These are the little shoes and clothes I knitted by myself, as well as this tiger head hat. My grandson will definitely look great in them. As the saying goes, Grandma's eldest grandson is her youngest son. When Huzi was born, Su Xiui was so happy that she even asked the head of the Lu family to go to the ancestral grave to offer sacrifices. Lu Qiushan was also very happy. In a broader sense, this is the continuation of the dynasty. To put it simply, this is also the continuation of the family. So, Maggie Cheung has made great contributions. Grandson, give me a hug. Lu Qiushan held a longevity lock in his hand. Liu Yuan said, okay, Dad, this thing is too heavy and not suitable for the baby to wear. You don't have to wear it, but then let go and give me your grandson. Lu Qiushan missed his child on weekdays, but was too embarrassed to come over. After all, Honggu was in confinement after childbirth, and he, as an elder, couldn't do anything wrong. Sometimes his wife comes to look after him, and it's not convenient for him to follow her. He has 2 grandchildren and a granddaughter, but he has never met them. It makes him feel sad. It's so hard to have a baby. After the baby is born, he gets angry with anyone who doesn't let him hold the baby. You have to be careful. The child's skin is tender. Don't kiss him. The beard can easily prick the child. Hold the head up. You are the master and I am the master. Lu Qiushan glared at him. You have grown up and I have never seen me throw you to the ground. Liu Yuan curled his lips and reluctantly handed the child to him. Oh, what a great grandson. Look at his eyes and nose. He is definitely a child of our Lu family. He will definitely be handsome when he grows up. Lu Qiushan's eyes were narrowed with smiles. He felt relieved to know that his family would continue to thrive and the country would be inherited by successors. As he said this, he kissed the child. Liu Yuan's nose was crooked with anger. This old man must have done it on purpose. Looking at the father and son, Su Xiui also shook her head and said, let's go. Xiaoyang and his wife will have to go to the palace. Su, let them take care of the child. Let's relax for a while. Honggu was a little worried. Don't worry, these 2 people love the child as much as you do. They spend most of their time having fun, and only we women revolve around the child every day, Su Xiui said. After hearing this, Honggu felt relieved. After the 2 girls left, Lu Qiushan was still unwilling to let go. He asked Liu Yuan, Honggu is back now and has given me a grandson. Have you made up your mind? A harem cannot be without a master for a day. There must always be a legitimate heir. Otherwise, there will be endless troubles. Liu Yuan nodded. Some things were not what he thought. He himself was the eldest son. In an ordinary family, favoritism will lead to discord among brothers. Not to mention the royal family. He may not appoint a crown prince, but there must be a distinction between legitimate and illegitimate and illegitimate children. Otherwise, it would be a complete mess. Li Wuyu is very well behaved and obedient, but what if Xi is destroyed? Li Wuyu is a banner, and those people will continue to come to him. Even the people of the Xi dynasty will be loyal to him. The same is true for Xi Ning. Only Honggu has no foundation. Liu Yuan was not on guard against anyone. To him, these were all people he could trust. As for Xiaoji and Jia, I can only say it's a pity. I will discuss it with Honggu. This harem does need a mistress, Liu Yuan said. Honggu is not completely without foundation. At least, everyone in the Biao Yang lineage respects her. He also has a lot of prestige in the military. As for the newly added factions, I have no right to speak. Therefore, Maggie Cheung is the most suitable candidate, no doubt about it. You have to do it as soon as possible, otherwise, people's hearts will be unsettled and there will be trouble again, Lu Qiushan reminded. Ongu has been through thick and thin with you, and she doesn't have a complicated background. She has great prestige in everyone's hearts and can control the harem. You must not be confused. Dad, don't you like Ji and Jia the most? Liking someone is one thing, and whether they are suitable or not is another. Lu Qiushan waved his hand, looked at Huzi, and said with a smile, sometimes, we have to bow to reality. To me, these children are all from the Lu family. I don't care who will be the emperor in the future. As long as this child has great talent and ambition and can be a good emperor, that's enough. I have been trying to bring you and Jia together, not only because I admire her, but also because she can help you stabilize be it I and Dakian. Now, doesn't everything she has done explain everything? You can say that I am calculating against her. But I don't care about these false reputations. The most important thing is that the help I gave her was genuine, as was the danger I encountered. None of this matters. The important thing is that you are my son, and it is my duty to help you achieve your goals. Lu Qiushan is a realist in his opinion. Being stubborn is the most foolish thing. Apart from matters of principle, nothing else matters. Those who want to achieve great things will never achieve great things if they pay too much attention to trivial matters. Chapter 448, A Chance to Wash Away the Shame. Liang's son is also 6 months old. He is chubby and looks like a calf. His nickname was Shijiou, and his full name was Lu Qiuj. This made Lu Yuan laugh and cry. At first he thought it was a thin dog. But the name of this Creek dog is designed to be catchy, easy to remember and easy to call. Naming children after animals is also a despicable name given by people today because they are afraid that their children will die young. Haven't you seen that the emperor's nickname was Ziai Chainu, which means pheasant? Not only animals, but also jade, flowers and birds can be named. Li Tianzhen held the child in her arms, her eyes full of love. She was already pure and beautiful, and as a mother, she had an indescribable charm. But fortunately, so far she hasn't done anything she shouldn't have done. Brother Huzi will definitely be a brave and heroic man in the future. Liang loved his nephew very much and even made a rocking car for him with his own hands. So does your Creek dog, Li Yuan said, trying hard to suppress his smile. This family dinner was quite harmonious. After the meal, Li Yuan called Liang to his study and asked, how are you doing at the military academy? That's good, Liang smiled. Last year, more than 50 officers graduated from me. His smile was a little forced. Lu Yuan had also heard some bad things. Some people questioned whether Lu Yang was qualified to teach at the Royal Military Academy after being a prisoner. This kind of doubt is very fatal. Other teachers started with more than 200 students, but he alone had less than 100. Moreover, the students who went to study with him had all been screened, which means that Lu Yang was not their first choice. Is it really okay? Don't you feel regretful? Li Yuan asked. Lu Yang sighed. Of course I feel regretful sometimes. I always dream about those brothers. They died so unjustly. But I haven't left safely yet. It's my fault for being incompetent. If I had held out for 2 more days, I wouldn't have been captured. Now there is an opportunity in front of you, Li Yuan said. The full-scale war has been thoroughly launched, and the front line needs instructors. You go to Ba Meishu. I will give you the command of a brigade. Go and avenge your brothers and clear your name. That battle had been analyzed long ago. With all the supplies gone, it was already a miracle that they could delay the enemy for 2 hours. Moreover, even the enemy's main general was killed, and they lost the battle only because there were too many enemies. If the garrison at Shuangfeng Mountain had been twice as large, the war would have been won. Or if there were more supplies, we would definitely be able to defeat the enemy. They questioned Lu Yang, why he survived when his entire team died. Some people laughed at him for being afraid of death. Liu Yuan did not pretend to comfort him. Some pains need to be digested by oneself. Always wanted to wash away the helplessness and humiliation he had experienced in Lijiang. He take another brigade and set off tomorrow. I will notify the front line. Remember, this is a battle to annihilate a country. Don't be influenced by anything. In the last battle with 1 million people, A was put in a passive position because Lu Yang was captured. Otherwise, Diaxia would have been the same as Dajing by now. Over the past year or so, Diaxia's strength has also improved. First of all, the replacement of weapons is destined to make this war of annihilation more difficult. Brother, don't worry this time. I would rather die than be a prisoner, Lu Yang said. The two brothers talked in secret for a long time before Lu Yang left. After returning home, Li Tianzhen asked, you seem to be worried. I'm going to the front tomorrow. Are you going to fight the Huns? Li Tianzhen nervously grabbed Li Yang's hand. You are teaching at school. Why are you going to the front line again? No, Li Yang shook his head and did not hide it from her. Go to Meishu. Li Tianzhen was full of surprise and asked, why go to Meishu? To fight Diaxia? Lu Yang nodded. Why? Li Tianzhen was puzzled. To the outside world, it was only said that Wang Dabiao lead an army to attack the Huns. But there was no mention of attacking Dajing and Diaxia. This is also a strategy to confuse the public. Give the team more favorable conditions. Therefore, most people don't know that this time, they will take action against Xia Jing. Blood feuds must be avenged with blood, Lu Yong said calmly. Before they were the ones who bullied Day first, now it's Day's turn to retaliate in this battle. There will be no winners or losers, only the destruction of the country. Li Tian's heart was in his throat. Do you really have to go? I'm leaving tomorrow, so go to bed early. You and the children stay at home and wait for my triumphant return. Lu Yong turned and left. He did nothing wrong, but he just didn't want to make things difficult for his wife. Li Tianzhen's face was gloomy and he didn't chase after him. Finally, with a long sigh, what is coming has finally come. On the other hand, Anna Yuhan returned home early, which was rare. Is Lauer back? They have not yet separated because their old father is still alive and the two brothers are filial to him. Brother, why did you come back so early today? Niudajin asked in surprise. Early? It's already dark. Yuhan shook his head and then called Niudajin from the dining table into the study. Brother, why are you calling me from the study so anxiously? Did something happen? Yuhan did not hide it and told the story of the previous day. She thought about it for 2 days but still didn't understand it. He was afraid that he had misunderstood the emperor's intention. After hearing what his brother said, Niudajin said, Brother, His Majesty wants you to clean up the Ministry of Agriculture, especially those who are using the public interest for personal gain. Those who are not in a serious situation should be punished, and those who are in a serious situation should be sent to prison. What do you mean by, you are the head of the Ministry of Agriculture? If someone below you makes an obvious mistake and you don't do anything about it, you have to bear the responsibility. Do you still want to take the blame for these people? Then help me. I can't help you. Niudajin shook his head. You have to intervene in internal affairs. No matter how powerful my Ministry of Justice is, it is impossible for us to intervene in the Ministry of Agriculture. The 6 ministries are the main ones. The Ministry of Agriculture is neither under the Ministry of Industry nor the Ministry of Revenue, but is a separate ministry. The rank of the Yamen is first rank, only half a level lower than the 6 ministries. You should never do anything that takes over someone else's business. But I only know how to farm. I don't know how to do this. Niu Dahan is a serious farmer. He has won many honors over the years, but they were all gained from his research on crops. He is so focused on research that he has no time for political manipulation. If you don't know how to do it, you can learn. I can teach you. Niudajin looked at his elder brother's panic and kept giving him advice. Although he couldn't intervene, the emperor's intention was very clear. He wanted him to teach Yuhan. He was very emotional and said, Your Majesty really loves us brothers. This kindness is something I can never repay even if I die. Chapter 449, Nightmare Becomes Reality. Emperor Xia had a nightmare. He dreamed that Yi Jun broke through Li Jing and locked him in a cage. He knelt at Lu Yuan's feet, and his wife and daughter all prostrated themselves beside him, waiting for his favor. All his sons were castrated. Finally, Lu Yuan came up to him with a knife in his hand and cut off his roots. Don't want. Emperor Xia woke up from his sleep. Your Majesty, what's wrong? The concubine who was sleeping with him was also awakened and asked hurriedly. Xia gasped for air. Why is it so dark? Turn on the light. The eunuch standing by hurriedly turned on the light. Your Majesty, is it too hot? Emperor Xia calmed down and was no longer sleepy. What time is it? Your Majesty, it will be time for court in 1 hour. Emperor Xia let out a long sigh. Although he did not completely cut off the Longyan River recently, he still secretly diverted part of it. If nothing unexpected happens, the water flow downstream will be reduced by half. He was afraid that Lu Yuan would use this as an excuse to attack Diaxia. They are not ready for war yet. Unable to sleep, he simply gave up, not even paying attention to the concubine beside him. He put on his coat and walked out. At this moment, a eunuch came over quickly and said, Your Majesty, this is the latest news from the Fang Fang. Fang Fang is a pigeon house. Dai's technology in breeding flying pigeons is unique in the world. It is precisely because of this flying pigeon technology that he can repeatedly seize the initiative. A note was not big, and the content was not long, but the content inside made him break out in a cold sweat. Damn it, why is Lu Yuan so petty? At this moment, the nightmare came into reality. He couldn't help but tremble. Quick, go and call the ministers of the civil and military pavilion. That panicked tone made everyone around him look confused. Your Majesty, it is not time to open the palace gates yet. Just go if you're told to, don't talk nonsense. Xia roared. Soon, the ministers of the Civil and Military Affairs Council were also called in advance. Diaxia separated the civil and military branches and later imitated Day's reforms to set up the WNWU Pavilion. With 5 civil officials and 5 military generals forming the current WNWU Pavilion, the The 6 ministries are jointly managed by the WNWU Pavilion. The military generals are still headed by Shang Ying, and the civil official is still Kai Yongshu. When they saw the emperor, he was not even wearing a dragon robe and his hair was disheveled. Everyone was confused. Your Majesty, why did you call me here in such a hurry? What big thing happened? Kai Yongshu asked. Something happened. The latest news is that Day has sent troops to attack Deaxia. Even though Emperor Rek'Sai tried his best to restrain himself, he still couldn't stop his instinctive trembling. Everyone looked at each other. After a short silence, Shang Ying frowned and said, "Is this news reliable? Although there are some local frictions between us and Day, they are also in secret. Generally speaking, we have been at peace for the past 2 years. We can fight whenever we want without any rumors. Furthermore, how can we attack Deaxia without authorization?" Based on his understanding of Lu Yuan, this man still has certain principles, and some unwritten rules between the countries in Middle-earth still have to be followed. You ask me, who should I ask? Emperor Rek'Sai said coldly. This news was sent out 4 days ago, which means that the Day soldiers had already set out 4 days ago. Everyone was confused. Yongshu said with a depressed look. If the Shangnu cut off the river flow, I would also fight to the death if I were Li Yuan. Your Majesty, Long Dian, cannot be intercepted. I didn't intercept, Emperor Rek'Sai said angrily, but no matter how he sounded, he didn't sound confident. If Lu Yuan sent troops because the river water level dropped, he would not even have time to cry. Now is not the time to blame anyone. Shang Ying said, the most urgent thing is to send someone to implement this matter immediately. We have 400,000 troops on the front line. And we are not soft persimmons. If there is a misunderstanding, resolve it. If you can't solve it, just fight. Drag Jing Chao into the water as well. Deaxia is no longer the Deaxia of 2 years ago. We must have confidence. Even a large number of ants can kill an elephant. Having said that, it still sounds awkward. Emperor Rek'Sai had a complicated expression. How did they turn into ants? Yongshu gritted his teeth and said, foolish and ignorant. A expanded its army into 3 armies. But it only had 1 army. It's oppressed the 3 kingdoms. You know, Day has 3 armies. And each army is responsible for 1 country. They are not the same people we were 2 years ago. Does that mean Day is the same Day from 2 years ago? It's good that we won. If we lose, we will never have another chance. Although we have 10,000-man musket armies and small-caliber artillery, they are far from enough in terms of both quantity and power. For grenades of the same size, the big leafs can blow a person into pieces, while ours can only injure people. To achieve the same power, the weight must be increased 7 or 8 times. Not to mention, Day's new weapon, the NIU heavy machine gun, is extremely lethal and is specifically designed to break through cavalry. Judging from the current data, this weapon is the judge's pen in the hands of the King of Hell. And we have no weapon that can counter it. 70 caliber artillery, 105 caliber artillery, incendiary bombs, thermite bombs, and fuel air explosive bombs, and airship. Can we counter these weapons? Yongshu's words left Shang Ying silent. The fear in Emperor Rek'Sai's eyes became even stronger. That they have come to our door. Are we still going to be cowards? Said Xu Xiaowen, the Minister of Military Affairs. For the sake of the country and the people. What's wrong with being a coward for a while? Yongshu gritted his teeth and said, over the years, we have paid so much money that it almost emptied our family coffers. Not to mention the annual tribute in the past 2 years, which has handed over our currency rights to others. Who still uses Xi as Xia Wushu coins now? Common people all know that Yi currency is good and holds its value. And that Dao Xia's wealth had long been plundered by Day. How much silver did it cost to expand the army to 3 million? How much silver did it cost to make these weapons? The national treasury is empty. If it weren't for the wealth built by Emperor Lizong, our country would be in deficit and bankrupt. Every word Kai Yongshu said made it impossible for anyone to refute it. Emperor Rek'Sai looked even more gloomy, and felt like he was about to die. The dignity of a great power is not obtained by asking for it, but by fighting for it. That's right. Praying is useless. It will only make people see that we no longer have any dignity if we take one step closer. As long as you can ensure victory in this battle, I have no objection, Kai Yongshu said calmly. You always think that I am against it and that I am a bad person. But I know better that if we lose this battle, they will not show mercy. Unless Lu Yong is caught again. It's a 50-50 chance. If you go into the fight with a gambler's mentality, you won't win at all. The reason why they dares to be so arrogant is because they have the strength. What do we have? Relying on those 20,000 obsolete muskets? Or a cannon that often explodes? Or, rely on your mouth. Everyone was scolded into silence. Emperor Rex I also wilted. Then do you have any good ideas? Chapter 450. Are you threatening me? Longdian River. Hiaihe River is flowing again, hurry up. Withdraw the 400,000 troops and welcome Yi Jun to enter the country. Even if they want to fight, we shouldn't resist. Send an envoy to ask Day to abide by the previous armistice agreement and allow Day to move into the concession. Xiai's face turned green when he heard this. Which one of these four is not a bootlicker among bootlickers? Which one is not humiliating the country and being servo? That's not called shame, it's a loss of face for your ancestors. If we really follow your method, Deaxia will become a laughingstock and we'll never be able to raise our heads again. That's right, I would rather die standing than live on my knees. Everyone started to criticize. There is no other reason. It's just because this method is too humiliating to myself. Shang Xiang, please say something. Seeing that Shang Ying didn't say anything, several people became anxious. Shang Ying sighed and stared at Kai Yangshu intently. This method cannot save Deaxia. I'm not finished yet. Kai Yangshu turned around, looked at Emperor Xia, and said with a folded hand, Your Majesty, please order all the people of Deaxia to be dispatched here if they suspects that it will attack. Bring all the tens of millions of people of Bay to Liangjing. At worst, we can destroy the entire Middle-earth. If you don't let us live well, then no one will live well either. Emperor Xia's face was uncertain. And he looked at Shang Ying. My dear Shang, what do you think? Everyone's eyes were focused on Shang Ying. Shang Ying was also under a lot of pressure, and he knew that this was not a good time to start a war. The main force of the Xiongnu is not here. If all their millions of cavalry came and combined the strength of the three kingdoms, they would surely be able to defeat Day. This is just like boiling a frog in warm water, not much different from 2 years ago. In this battle, I can afford to lose, but Deaxia cannot. Dajing is struggling to survive in the cracks. During the Hun stage, Dong Liu and Xia Cheng didn't dare to show their heads. He was afraid of being punished by his father Yi. Let the Huns lose and lure all of their main forces here. Lord Kai's idea is actually very good. If Day can station troops here, we may be able to catch the turtle in the jar. Only by severely damaging Day can we have a chance. It was obvious that Lu Yuan let Xiaoji and Jia go. He couldn't help but want to unify Middle-earth. So needless to say, Xia Cheng, that kid, also knows what he should do. Let's just be patient for a while and accumulate more strength. Even if we cannot defeat them, we must be qualified to die together with them in order to threaten the other side. Otherwise, it would be meaningless to just go and die. Shang Ying's words have defined the situation. Some people breathed a sigh of relief, while others gritted their teeth in anger. Emperor Xia's eyelids drooped, and when he heard this, he felt inexplicably relieved. He also knew that he was ill, suffering from a disease called fear leaf. Then, it's up to you, Emperor Xia said with a dull look. Your Majesty, retreating now is definitely not because of fear, but to tell Day that we in Deaxia are not so easy to bully, Kai Yangshu said. These 5 points of his may seem cowardly, but they are not at all. Soft yet strong. Based on the Liangjing agreement, if Day launches an attack without a clear purpose, it will be despised by everyone. Giving up resistance also means that Xia has no intention of confronting Day. If Day launches a surprise attack, it will be doomed to be infamous and will cause disgust among the people of Deaxia. Taking the initiative to welcome Yi Jun's entry was also to make Lu Yuan believe that they had no intention of going against Day, and naturally had no intention of getting involved in this battle. The fifth one is the decisive one. I think we can add one more thing, Shang Ying said. Assist Day to send troops to conquer the Xiongnu. He knew very well that Kai Yangshu had deliberately omitted this point in order to make him say this. As you wish, all is up to you. Emperor Xia waved his hands, looking 10 years older in an instant. Go down, and tell yourselves. Emperor Xia's back looked lonely and helpless. After the ministers left, they looked at the ministers outside and said, No court session today. Oh, back to your respective offices, there will be important announcements to be made. Emperor Xia came to Lianla's laboratory again and began to complain. My daughter, I feel so miserable. They have come to our doorstep and we cannot resist. I have never been so humiliated in my life. My daughter, the future of Deaxia depends on you. Whether we can turn things around depends entirely on you. My daughter, if it were before, Lianla would definitely share the same hatred for the enemy. But after recovering this time, she also figured out a lot of things. Some things cannot be accomplished by her alone. Her father allowed her to stay in the palace but did not give her much real power in the final analysis. He still did not trust her. He is the first person to handle all the formulas and drawings. What Deaxia wanted to reform was not the officials, but their thinking. Father, I still have research to do, so I am not worthy of you chatting with me. Lianli ordered him to leave. Emperor Xia was still a little unsatisfied. My dear, how is your research on the yellow gunpowder you mentioned earlier going? I have no idea. Lianli shook his head. We've spent hundreds of thousands of taels, but there's still no clue? Emperor Xia frowned. The treasury is empty. And there have been many disasters this year. We saved this money with great difficulty. If your majesty is reluctant to spend this money, you can let others do the research. And your daughter can study other projects, Li Yanla said lightly. Seeing Li Yanla talking to him in this manner, Emperor Rek'Sai was secretly angry. But he knew that only if Li Yanla developed gunpowder could he catch up with Day. It can take the power of Day's weapons to a higher level. That's not what Dad meant, Don. T think too much. Xiad smiled bitterly. Even if Dad has to eat coarse food, he will make sure you eat well. Li Yanla smiled faintly. In the past, he would have been moved, but now, he just thought it was ridiculous. It is unrealistic to research yellow gunpowder in a short period of time. It is better to work hard on hydraulic forging. Only by improving forging technology can we create more qualified artillery. The current situation is that we can't get close to Day's soldiers. They have replaced the equipment of the entire army, and even the ordinary infantry have abandoned their previous fighting methods. Innovation requires not only innovation of the framework, but also innovation of ideas. Otherwise, even if you get the form but not the spirit, it is useless. Emperor Rek'Sai was already full of rage. And seeing Li Yanla's sarcastic tone, he slammed the table and said, "Are you laughing at me for not knowing how to innovate? Who is the master? You or me? Don't think you can ignore me, just because you are useful. Deaxia needs you, but you are not indispensable." Li Yanla was startled. She looked at the furious Emperor Rek'Sai and smiled. "My daughter has run out of ideas and can no longer research anything. How about letting her stop and live the life she wants?" Emperor Rek'Sai gritted his teeth and said, "Are you threatening me?" Chapter 451, Escape. "My daughter doesn't dare." Li Yanla said. She just stayed in the palace with all her heart, and she really couldn't come up with anything. Unlike in Day, there are professional schools and senior professors to answer questions and preach to their students. I was the only one in the palace, relying on the books and newspapers bought from Day to make guesses and experiments. There are thousands of people in Day, and tens of thousands of them are doing the same thing. So they can do it well, but we can't. These words were extremely harsh to Emperor Rek'Sai. "I tell you, even if you die in the laboratory, I will never let you stop." Emperor Rek'Sai placed his hands on the table and gritted his teeth, saying, "If you listen to me obediently, you will still be my good daughter, the good princess of Daxia. If you don't obey, I will definitely punish you severely." At this moment, Emperor Rek'Sai's true face was exposed. But Li Yanla smiled instead. In fact, she still had a glimmer of hope in her heart. "It's just that at this moment, I no longer look forward to it." Emperor Rek'Sai felt that Li Yanla was mocking him, and immediately felt that his authority as a father and emperor was challenged. He slapped her hard. Bang! The slap landed on Li Yanla's face, knocking her to the ground. Li Yanla was small in stature. Then standing in front of Emperor Rek'Sai, he couldn't even see the edge of his clothes, so how could he withstand such a slap from him? Immediately, the left side of his face welled up and the corner of his mouth was full of blood. I lay on the ground, unable to get up for a long time. "Your Majesty, you can't do that." The eunuch hurried forward, trying to stop him, but it was too late. "Princess, why are you doing this? The country is in danger, and your Majesty is under too much pressure. Can't you just follow your Majesty's orders?" Li Yanla wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and sat cross-legged on the ground. This slap completely destroyed her energy and spirit, and she no longer had the energy to study. She became completely dazed, her eyes unfocused. Looking back over the past 2 years, I have been studying day and night and have given up all my hobbies. It is to make Deaxia rise and wash away the shame. Even though he was seriously ill, Emperor Rek'Sai sent him a large number of books and newspapers the next day. In his heart, there were only weapons and research, and no daughter of his at all. In his eyes, his daughter is just a tool to be used. "My eldest sister is like this, my second sister is like this, and I am like this too." She couldn't help but tangle her half-white hair. Before there was just a tuft of white hair, but now, half of his hair is white. The doctor said that this was damage to the heart, blood and vital energy. If he didn't take good care of himself, he might not live to be 40. The self in the mirror no longer has the former cleverness and youthfulness, but only tiredness. This evil creature thinks that she can look down on others just because she has made a small contribution. Pass on my order from today onwards. She is not allowed to take a single step out. I will go out again when I develop gunpowder. Anyone who dares to let her out without permission will die. After saying this, Emperor Rek'Sai left angrily. But Li Yanla doesn't care. From that day on, she completely stopped her research and no one could help her. It was no use even if her sisters, who were on good terms with her, tried to persuade her. She ate and drank as usual. Slept and ate, but then slept every day, and did not ask about anything. When Emperor Rek'Sai found out, he was so angry that he stamped his feet. She had no choice but to ask concubine Rong, who raised her since she was a child, to enlighten her. But when concubine Rong went there, Lianla neither spoke nor opened his eyes, which made concubine Ron very angry. Emperor Rek'Sai regretted it. He should not have slapped her in the face just because of a momentary impulse. In the end, I had no choice but to go and apologize in person. But it was too late. Because Lianla has disappeared without a trace. Where are the people? Tell me, where did they go? Emperor Rek'Sai's roar echoed throughout in the palace. A personal eunuch Shangbao was also panicking. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Has the princess gone into hiding? You ask me, who should I ask? Emperor Rek'Sai looked at Shangbao as if he was the enemy who killed his father. I asked you to keep an eye on him, and this is how you keep him. Your Majesty, please be patient. I will go find you right away. If you can't find her, you'll die. Shangbao was so frightened that he was shaking all over. He quickly ordered people to block all exits from the palace and conduct a thorough search, covering not only the harem but also the cold palace. Even the rockery was searched. But Lianla seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. Emperor Rek'Sai was rummaging through the drawers in the study. In the end, nothing was found. A depressed Emperor Rek'Sai sat down on the ground, but accidentally saw a painting on the wall not far away. He remembered that this painting didn't exist when he came here before. Suspicion will arise. He lifted up the painting and found a big hole at the back. Quick, come quickly, block all the roads in the capital, and send people to search immediately. Quickly! He thought that Lianla had not been on the run for long, and even if he had, he most likely had not left the capital. Even if you leave, you can't escape far. On the other side, in a caravan's carriage, Lianla, wearing a simple linen shirt and with dyed black hair, was reading a novel with great interest. Next to her was a cup of milk tea, which was her favorite taste. Miss, we have completely left Jingshao Prefecture. In 2 days, we will reach Longyan. By then, we can take a boat and travel much faster. Don't be nervous, no one will find us. The young eunuch was only 4 years older than Lianla. In his eyes, Lianla was more important than his life. After Lianla vomited blood, he was asked to find a way to dig a passage out. And an escape route was planned. Everything that was done during these days was planned in advance by Lianla. They would definitely think that they had sneaked away last night, but in fact, they had left a day earlier. So, no matter how hard they looked, they couldn't find her. Miss, where are we going? Let's go today. Lianla said, there are a lot of delicious food, fun things and a lot of good books there. Most importantly, my sister is there. Will we be discovered? What if the imperial court asks Day to extradite us back? Ayu said worriedly. Perhaps, it won't be long before Deaxia will no longer exist, Lianla said with a complicated expression. He was sad for sure, but not too sad. Who didn't have much education, and didn't understand many great principles. He just said, as long as the young lady is happy, it doesn't matter where you go even if I have to eat coarse food. I won't let the young lady suffer any grievances. At this time, inside Lianzhong City, Wu Yanbo spent a lot of effort to reorganize the army. This attack not only burned most of the army's food supplies, but also destroyed the army's morale. But he did not give up. When he saw the water gradually receding, he prepared to build a dam again. We must build the dam before Yijun arrives and give them a hard time, Wu Yanbo gritted his teeth and said. And couldn't help cursing. Damn when family rubbish, they can't do anything right. Wu Yanbo focused all his attention on the Yi army that was about to arrive. But he didn't notice that a cavalry had quietly arrived less than 100 miles away from Lianzhong City. Chapter 452, Ambush on a Rainy Night. Your Majesty. Lianzhong City is 100 miles ahead according to the existing intelligence. Lianzhong City was bombed by day, with more than 30 zero casualties. In order to avoid another bombing, General Hu Yanbo evenly distributed the 400,000 troops around Lianzhong City. Chao Ji and Jia frowned, no one in the city. Yes, the city is mainly a place to store food. But the number of people will not exceed 100,000, said the scout. Chao Ji and Jia couldn't help but said. God is helping me. If they were all inside the city, it would be difficult for me to attack. Now that they are scattered, they can be defeated one by one. Can we find out their distribution situation? It has not been investigated yet. Explore again. Chao Ji and Jia immediately ordered the army to stop, rest. This time, she still led tens of thousands of cavalrymen and charged across the grassland. Yang Hua's army has already pressed forward from Xiao Pass, which can divert the Hun's target. According to the time, Yang Hua's army has already arrived at the border of Dajing. If all goes well, they will have already faced off against the Huns. She opened a can of meat and a bottle of black tea, then found a big tree and sat down. She ate a spoonful of meat and said, satisfied. Xiaochai was also beside her. Your Majesty, do we really have to split our forces into 2 groups? It's a pity that we don't have enough manpower. If I had 30,000 cavalry, I would dare to divide them into 6 groups, said Xiaoji and Jia. It's not that there are no cavalry, but that there are not enough weapons. The weapons that Lu Yuan supports her with can only equip 10,000 people. It's not that Lu Yuan is stingy, but that its production capacity cannot keep up. And Lanzhou City. Don't worry about it, we just need to attack and leave after the battle as long as we grab the supplies. It will be fine if they chase us, they will be courting death. Xiao Jianjia has already received Lu Yuan's tips. It seems that Lu Yuan already knew what she would do. The first tips only had 16 words. If the enemy advances, we retreat. If the enemy stays, we harass. If the enemy is tired, we attack. If the enemy retreats, we pursue. These 16 words fully demonstrate the strategy of cavalry guerrilla warfare. The most powerful weapon of the Huns is their light cavalry, which can come and go freely. But now, guarding Lanzhou City has lost its biggest advantage. Unless they withdraw their troops. But once they withdraw their troops, Day's main force will inevitably advance. That's why Xiao Jianjia dared to go deep into the enemy's base camp. For him, it didn't matter whether he inflicted heavy damage on the Han army or disrupted them. What's important is that it can cause them trouble. She spread out the map and said, "There aren't many places suitable for garrisoning near Lanzhou City, so there must be a few key entrances. The weapons we carry are enough to support a major war if we use them sparingly. It will be no problem to defeat these people. I estimate that Day's main force should arrive in the next few days." It was said that when Day's main force arrived, they cooperated with Day to wipe out these people and take over the western part of Dajing. "If possible, we will eat these 400,000 cavalry." Xiao Chai sighed. There is a difference between having confidence and not having confidence. In the past, let alone 400,000 cavalrymen, even 40,000 cavalrymen would have been treated as facing a formidable enemy. Now with Lu Yuan as their backup, 400 cavalrymen were just like 400 cavalrymen in her eyes. But it must be said that Xiao Jianjia is growing very fast. Now he is not only a qualified head coach, but also a qualified king. Therefore, he had to assist Xiao Jianjia to accomplish this task and help her gain a firm foothold in Day. Even if she didn't have a son, he wanted to make sure that no one in the world would look down on her. Dividing the troops into two groups is not enough, they are vulnerable to attack. Cao Kai said, "Instead of focusing on one quick move, we might as well be bolder and divide our forces into three groups. A main armies and one auxiliary team will disrupt the enemy and make it difficult for them to figure out our details. Go straight to Lanzhou City and let the Xiongnu think that we are going to attack their base camp, forcing other teams to return to defend Lanzhou City, thus buying more time." Xiao Jianjia thought for a while and nodded. This was indeed safer. The reason why Huyan Bo dispersed his troops around Lanzhou City was because he was afraid of being bombed again. In this way, if there is an attack, we can be prepared in the first time. Even if there are problems, the losses can be minimized. "Okay, I'll do as you say." Afterwards, Xiao Jianjia divided his troops into three teams. He and Puteo each led 4,000 men. Xiao Chai laid 2,000 soldiers to assist. After finalizing the plan, Xiao Jianjia began to rest and also wanted to give the warhorse more time to rest and recover its strength. It was getting dark. The scouts just came back to report and took out the Hun's defense cloth. After reading it, Xiao Jianjia sneered. There were 5 large camps around Lanzhou City, excluding the 100,000 troops in Lanzhou City. The remaining 300,000 troops were evenly distributed in 5 camps. Each camp has about 60,000 cavalrymen. "Have you all rested? Return to the king. Rest well. Get on the horse." The army of 10,000 cavalry marched in darkness. "If all goes well, we will reach Lanzhou City in the second half of the night." The second half of the night is the best time for a surprise attack. The night is pitch black. It even drizzled in the second half of the night. The western part of Dajing is relatively dry. If it weren't for the Jingyang River passing through it, it would be a desert. Therefore, Jingyang River is called the Mother River by the people of Dajing. When they were about to reach the enemy camp, the troops were divided into 3 parts. "Hurry! Hurry, hurry up, sprint, don't go through the middle. There is a trap in the middle, kill from both sides." In the darkness, lights suddenly appeared ahead. Xiao Jianjia knew that it was one of the enemy's main camps. "Isn't it just for this moment that we have been running thousands of miles?" Yeah. 4,000 cavalrymen rushed out from the darkness. It is not entirely true to say that the Hun's territorial defense measures were very good. Perhaps because they were afraid of being bombed, they didn't even dare to build too many fortifications around them, for fear that they would not be able to escape. This was the case when we were in the city. There were fires everywhere and many people were suffocated to death in the city. This also gave Xiao Jianjia a better opportunity. These people could never have dreamed that a surprise force would travel thousands of miles, bypass the grassland, and attack their base camp. They could not imagine that someone had such courage. For Xiao Jianjia, any fancy tactics are not as good as one unique trick. The reason why Day was able to win every battle was because of the cohesion of the army. Only if you are not afraid of death, this simplest combat strategy can become a magic weapon for victory. Revenge those people who died tragically. Xiao Jianjia drew out his saber and shouted, "Kill!" Ji Jiyue's face was filled with anger. "Kill all these bastards." The army, as fierce as wolves and tigers, rushed into the camp. By the time the enemy reacted, it was too late. The drums sounded, and countless Han soldiers were awakened from their sleep. However, Xiao Jianjia would not give them any more chances. She pulled out the gun from behind and fired a volley of bullets. The fire spreads, and any enemy who shows up will die. Hurry up and kill them all. Chapter 453. Unlucky Wenhua. Hu Yanbo woke up from his sleep. "Master, what's wrong with you?" the woman beside him asked hurriedly. "It's okay." Hu Yanbo wiped the sweat from his forehead. He was always awakened by nightmares these past few nights. "I took a look outside. It was still dark and I wasn't sleepy anymore, so I just got up and went to the bathroom." He wrote a letter to Emperor Jing some time ago, but has received no news since. He felt vaguely uneasy. But now, he can neither advance nor retreat if he fails. His attempt to invade Middle-earth will end in complete failure. He couldn't accept this result. At this moment, a loud noise was faintly heard from the northwest. He frowned and looked over. "Is that thunder?" "Report." Hu Yanbo was startled by the hurried voice. And a dark figure stumbled into the yard and knelt on the ground. "General, enemy attack." Hu Yanbo's breath was choked. And he rushed out of the room without even having time to fasten his pants. Yi Jun is here. A large number of cavalry attacked the 3rd and 4th armies, and another cavalry is heading towards Lanzhong City. Quick, beat the drums and wake everyone up to defend the city walls. What you fear will come true. But he couldn't understand why Yi Jun had always been under their surveillance. It was impossible for an army of soldiers to disappear out of thin air. Moreover, how did these people get past the spies without being noticed? After being bombed before, he learned his lesson and stepped up patrols. Always monitor the sky. In recent days, everyone has been afraid of being bombed again. That's why he sent his army out of the city to avoid a second bombing. However, he didn't have time to think about it at this time. He put on his armor and quickly climbed up the city wall. "What's the situation?" "General, there is a battle going on ahead. Do you need support?" "Idiot, do you know how many enemies there are? What if we rush out of the city and fall into the enemy's trap?" Hu Yanbo couldn't help but curse, and then looked at a middle-aged scholar next to him. This middle-aged scholar is 50, similar to Mr. Wen, and is his younger brother from the same mother. "Mr. Wen, what do you think we should do to break the impasse?" Hu Yanbo said unhappily. Although he really wanted to exterminate the Wen family, he had to admit that the Wen family still had some capabilities, especially when it comes to conspiracy and intrigue. If they didn't have an airship that could fly, they would have already secured victory by now. So, after thinking about it carefully, it's not the Wen family's fault. A princess was captured and Xian was the culprit. When Hua said trembling lie, "General, first we need to figure out which force is attacking us. Only by figuring out who is coming can we know how to deal with it. The Yi army has been under our surveillance, so if it is the Yi army, it can only be a small cavalry group, and the number of people will definitely not exceed 30. I thought the number would not exceed 10,000. Only in this way can we ensure combat effectiveness while creating a huge momentum." He licked his dry lips and continued. "And if it is the Yi army, they have already used the airship to suppress us, so if they want to launch a surprise attack, they must use airships and cavalry. But the people coming are only cavalry, so they should not be Yi Jun. If it's not Yi Jun, then who else could it be? Didn't you hear the continuous explosions?" Hu Yanbo frowned. "Qian army. The Qian army is also under surveillance, and their troops have just reached the border. General, although 10,000 cavalrymen are many, it is not difficult for Day and Da Qian to gather an elite force of 10,000. Have you forgotten how Rongjiang was conquered? Wasn't it Xiao Jianjia who led a cavalry to break through? Therefore, I think this group of cavalry is most likely the Ghost Face army led by Xiao Jianjia." There was a sharp light in Hu Yanbo's eyes. When Hua's analysis made sense. If it was Yi Jun, the airship would have been hanging over his head long ago. Moreover, even if their spies were pigs, it would be impossible for them to let tens of thousands of people come. These people came around from behind, and the most likely possibility is that they are the Qian army. Send someone to investigate and find out who the other party is. Hu Yanbo gave the order while having someone push the heavy cannon over. I saw a fire not far away burning half the sky red, and a sound came from the other side. He looked at Wen Hua unkindly. "Are you sure the number does not exceed 15,000? Wen Hua groaned inwardly. "This is just speculation." Hu Yanbo snorted coldly. According to the plan, as long as one side was attacked by the enemy, the other 5 camps would send troops to rescue at the same time. But at this moment, he heard the sound of horse hooves. Faintly, He seemed to see a pair of cavalrymen charging towards him from a distance. "General, they are coming." "I'm not blind." Wu Yanbo gritted his teeth and grabbed Wen Hua's collar. "You bastard, is this what you said, that the number of people is less than 15? 0? Wen Hua was so frightened that he trembled all over. "General, spare my life." "I'll spare your mother." Wu Yan angrily slashed at Wen Hua with his sword. Ergurgle. Wen Hua's dog head rolled to the ground. And he died with his eyes open. "Beat the drums, defend the city." The sound of drums pierced the darkness and echoed throughout Lanzhong City. "Everyone is ready to go." Before they knew it, the Xiongnu cavalry, who had never known what defense was, were forced to retreat into the city and dare not show their heads. Even Hu Yanbo had no intention of leaving the city to fight. Shoot! At the same time, ends of thousands of arrows were fired. The heavy bronze cannon propelled the iron projectile. Smash them to death. Hu Yanbo thought so in his heart. Don't stop, keep attacking. However, after several rounds of attacks, the enemy did not advance head-on, but instead split into two groups and attacked from both sides. The thing Hu Yanbo regretted most was that he did not dig a moat outside Lanzhong City. "Hurry, go to the left and right sides." Hu Yanbo did not dare to delay and quickly changed the direction of attack. That bulky copper cannon was not convenient to operate at all. "General, it's too heavy to push." "If it can't be pushed, can't a few more people come to push it?" Hu Yanbo was very angry. "But there is no way around it. This bronze cannon is indeed heavy. In order to increase its power, it weighs more than 1,000 pounds. It is even equipped with wheels for easy transportation." He didn't know what the craftsmen were thinking. Can a copper cannon weighing more than 1,000 pounds be used in field battles? Suppressing the anger in his heart, Hu Yanbo forced himself to calm down. However, just when he got back to his normal state, these people actually ran away. "General, they're gone." Hu Yanbo almost vomited blood. These bastards acted as if they would not return until the city was conquered, but in the end, they ran away in a grand manner before the fight even lasted long. Isn't this just a joke on them? For a moment, he really wanted to open the city gate and send people to chase after them. But considering the overall situation, he still endured it. Run? Can they run away? Do they really think our people are vegetarians? Chapter 454. Hu Yanbo is scared. He thought that even if the people he arranged around were hundreds of thousands of pigs, they could still cause some trouble to these people. But he miscalculated. After the cavalry around the city left, the explosions gradually subsided. Half an hour later, while Hu Yanbo was anxiously waiting, the scout came back to report the situation. "General, the 3rd and 4th battalions have suffered countless casualties. The 1st and 2nd battalions that came to support were also attacked from behind." Hu Yanbo stood there in a daze, and suddenly thought of the cavalry that suddenly retreated. He instantly felt like a stupid donkey. This tactic of making a feint to the east and attacking in the west is actually to buy more time for the team outside. After buying more time, he retreated directly and attacked from behind. It not only delayed the main force of Lanzhong City, but also completed the killing mission. Hu Yanbo's mouth was full of bitterness. He realized that his rhythm had been completely disrupted. After the bombing, they had lost confidence in winning. When hearing Yi Jun, even hearing the sound of an explosion, they would instinctively feel fear. He even wondered whether he should temporarily lead the army to withdraw from Dajing to preserve his strength. "Gather everyone back and count the casualties." Hu Yanbo said helplessly. Even though there was endless anger burning in his chest, he couldn't vent it out and could only digest it silently. The sky gradually brightened. The fire outside the city had not been extinguished, but was burning more and more fiercely. Thick black smoke could be seen from afar, choking people in the city so much that they dared not breathe deeply. The final casualties were counted and the death toll exceeded 60,000, which means that an entire battalion of troops was wiped out. The 2 battalions were out of rations. Tens of thousands of war horses were looted, and various losses were innumerable. Hu Yanbo could not accept this result. But what was even more unacceptable to him was that in the afternoon of that day, these people launched a surprise attack again, when the army was retreating to Lanzhong City, and the casualties once again exceeded 50. This immediately destroyed the morale of the army. This also led to the army not daring to leave the city at will. Hu Yanbo also thoroughly understood the origin of this cavalry, which was the Ghost Face army, and the number of people did not exceed 30,000. He thought of Wen Hua, whose head he had chopped off with a knife, and suddenly felt guilty. He found Wen Hua's head and said, "Dig out his skull and make it into a wine glass. When I drink from now on, I can think of him." "General, what should we do now?" Hu Yanbo fell into deep thought. Within a month, more than 150,000 troops were lost. He was also blocked by a cavalry group in Lanzhong City and did not dare to leave. Although it is frustrating, it is also reality. He looked down at the wounded in the city. A look of dejection, no longer the arrogance he had when he first entered Middle-earth. The main force brought by the princess had long been defeated in Rongjiang. This alone was enough to get him into a rage. Not to mention, we have been losing battles one after another. There is an old saying in Middle-earth that goes, a brave man cuts off his arm. We can't stay in Lanzhong City any longer. What about the garrison in Jingjiang? Send an order, have the Jingjiang garrison withdraw first and go to the front to support us if these people dare to chase us. Attack them from both sides. But General, the main force of Yi's army will arrive in 3 days at most, and we haven't blocked the Jingyang River yet. Hu Yanbo's scalp suddenly went numb with a tiger in front and pursuers behind. This battle was going to be difficult. Even retreating is difficult. Send a letter to the garrison in Jingjiang. We will find a chance to leave within 3 days. Hu Yanbo decided to abandon some of the miscellaneous soldiers in the conquered territories and to conquer all the small countries around China, using them as strongholds while waiting for the imperial army to move eastward. And the other side. Xiao Jianjia was also counting the spoils. Last night's battle plan was more successful than she had imagined. After the retreat, they rested for 3 hours and then launched another attack in the afternoon, with equally huge gains. However, there was only 1/3 of the ammunition left. Just enough for them to fight one last battle. Therefore, she changed her strategy and focused on harassment. She tried not to shoot if possible. As long as she could wait for the main force of Yi's army to arrive, she could outflank them from the front and back. But be careful of outflanking by the Jingjiang garrison. Your Majesty, we have captured 30,000 war horses this time, which is enough food for us to sustain for 3 months. They also have a large amount of gold, silver, jewelry, arrows, armor, etc. Xiao Chai held an account book in his hand. The rough estimate of the number of enemies killed is about 70. This is the number of killed, not including the injured. How many people did we lose? 57 people were killed. 320 were slightly injured, and 60 were seriously injured. Xiao Jianjia could accept this casualty ratio. It is definitely an unprecedented victory. But the Huns were not fools, and they must have reacted by now. Once the details are known, it will be difficult to inflict such damage again. Uncle Wang, do you think we can attack the city tonight? Xiao Jianjia suddenly said. Xiao Chai was startled. Then frowned and thought, the Xiongnu army is hiding in the city. Although we have explosive powder, the other side must have made sufficient preparations. The spies reported that the Huns had spread a large amount of C-ultrops and laid mines outside the city. If we go there now, we will be seeking our own death. If we have 30,000 or 50,000 people, it wouldn't be a big deal to attack the city by force. We'll just lose a few more people. But Your Majesty, you have to think clearly. These people are our elite. It was cultivated by you. However, most of these Hun soldiers were miscellaneous troops, and the real main force of the Huns had not yet arrived. Even if all these people were killed, it would not be possible to inflict any serious damage to the Huns. I know that you want to conquer the western part of Dajing and expand the territory of Dai. But we have successfully recovered the western part of Daqian and saved the court a lot of trouble. This achievement is enough. Even if we can't take Lanzhong City, we have already killed our way through this array. It's not a complete success, but at least half of it has been accomplished. What do you think? What if we dig it, Onel? Xiao Jianjia was still not giving up. I think the soil in Lanzhong City is loose and very easy to dig. But how to avoid them? Why should we avoid them? If our people keep provoking them outside the city, do you think they dare to come out of the city to fight? Xiao Jianjia raised his eyebrows, his eyes full of pride. It's very courageous. It's worth a try. Even if it fails, it doesn't matter if we can blow up the city wall and capture Lanzhong City. It's not just wishful thinking. Xiao Chai sighed. After all, young people think quickly. He now looks at Xiao Jianjia and finds that her style of doing things is becoming more and more like Li Yuan. That's what we'll do. Xiao Jianjia decided to give it a try. Even if she failed, it didn't matter. If she succeeded, she would be the first to achieve success in this battle. It's not that she is competitive, nor is it that she is greedy for credit. She just does what she wants to do, that's all. The troops are hers, and the military supplies are purchased by her. If she cannot win, she can just escape and it will not affect the overall situation. She just treated herself as an insignificant factor, that's all. Chapter 455, Leave them all here. General, these people are harassing us again. Hu Yanbo was almost having a stress reaction when he heard the report from his subordinates. How many people are here? About 100 people. What can you say about 100 people? Can't you use cannons to bombard them? Hu Yanbo has not closed his eyes since last night. His eyes are full of bloodshot and he is extremely tired. But it seems like they have someone hiding in the back, trying to lure us out. Why don't you just stay here? Hu Yanbo suppressed his anger and said, unless they launch an attack, don't come looking for me. After the man left, Hu Yanbo lay down on the bamboo couch and fell asleep. The occasional gunfire and artillery fire outside could not wake him up at all. During this sleep, Hu Yanbo slept from day to night and felt much more energetic. Are they still out there? General, they come once every half an hour and disturb us for half an hour each time. The most disgusting thing is that they have sniper rifles and can gather at a distance. Dozens of our brothers have died in this day. We dare not show our heads anymore, or we will be sniped if we do. The person who was speaking looked aggrieved. Hu Yanbo also had a headache. If these bastards don't leave, how can they leave? If the intention of withdrawing troops is discovered, what will they do if they set up guns on the main roads? He really didn't care about the lives of the soldiers, but he was afraid that the other party would not give him a chance. After a while, send 3,000 infantrymen to go around the north gate and eat them up. Hu Yanbo was also a veteran who had experienced many battles. Naturally, he would not be scared. It was just that these people were bluffing and their endless harassment was tormenting everyone's nerves. I'm afraid they will switch from a feint to a real attack. Therefore, everyone's nerves were tense. Another hour passed, and Hu Yanbo ordered 3,000 infantrymen to sneak out in the dark. There are not many people in this group, only about 100. Even if they are cavalry, they can defeat them and reduce the prestige of the Ghostface army. The probability of infantry defeating cavalry is not high, but the method is very important. That is to cut off the horse's feet. Whether it is light cavalry or heavy cavalry, cutting the horse's feet is the key to victory. However, these 3,000 people were soon ambushed as soon as they left the city. In just one stick of incense, less than 11 were killed. Hu Yanbo was dumbfounded. I told you to touch it. How did you get beaten into such a mess? General, they have people ambushed at the north gate too. The surviving soldiers were about to cry. They got out of the city, but before they could rejoice, they were shot at head-on by the enemy. They were lucky to be able to escape back. Waste, all of it is waste. Hu Yanbo was extremely angry. His army of more than 200 was blocked in the city by 20,000 or 30,000 people. He dared not reveal anything. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. But he still couldn't figure out the details of the Ghostface army, nor did he know how much ammunition they still had. The cavalrymen armed with a peepish can kill at least 5 people. This does not include the grenades and pistols they carried. Conservatively speaking, killing 7 or 8 people would not be a problem. By this calculation, the killing power is equivalent to more than 100,000 people. Hu Yanbo decided to take drastic measures, but he didn't expect that the ghost-faced army had surrounded him on all sides. If that didn't work, he could only divide his troops into 5 parts, attract fire from all directions, and escape with the main force of the Huns. The miscellaneous soldiers died and they died. Thinking of this, Hu Yanbo made a decision. It's easier to retreat early than late. Bring 7 days of rations and feed the horses with enough grass, and grass break out in the second half of the night. Hu Yanbo ate the meat with big mouthfuls, called several women who served him in the bedroom to come over, played with them one last time, and then brutally killed them with a knife. What he can't get, he won't let others get. He also gathered all the people in Lanzhong City. There were not many of them, but there were at least 30,000 to 40,000 people. These people will become the magic weapon for breaking out. The moon rose high in the sky. Make the earth bright. Even at night, these ghost-faced soldiers did not give them a chance to rest and kept harassing people around the city, making everyone exhausted. And just at this moment, news came from the front line. Your Majesty, the tunnels on the east and south sides have been hollowed out, and the bombs have been placed and can be detonated at any time, said Xiao Chai. Good, great. A hint of joy flashed in Xiao Jianjia's eyes. Gather the troops, prepare flares, and advance from the southeast. Leave 1,000 people in each city in the northwest, and man the heavy machine guns to let them escape. Xiao Chai bowed and left quickly. Rape, Watermelon and others are also ready to go. Tonight, we will be able to defeat the Huns and keep them in China forever. Bang! 2 flares were launched from the southeast. This was also a strategy that had been discussed in advance. They would advance from whichever tunnel was dug through. Use flares as signals. The army hiding in the dark, seeing the direction where the flares were rising, also advanced quickly. Grape and Watermelon each led their troops to guard the northwest. There was a deafening bang, the earth shook, and the ground rolled up like a wave. At that moment, the soldiers on the city wall lost their balance. The wall collapsed. Help! Although the 2 southeastern walls were reinforced with cement, they could not withstand the blasting. The city wall, which was about 3 meters high, collapsed, burying countless soldiers underneath. The sudden change left the Huns with no time to react. Hu Yanbo was closing his eyes and resting, gathering his strength for the final breakout. He knew very well that this was a game between the 2 sides, a competition of who could remain calmer and who had more backup plans. But at this moment, he could no longer sit still and jumped up in fright. After a brief moment of distraction, he ran out quickly. The Ghostface army launched a general attack. Why haven't the drums sounded yet? He was shocked and angry. He never expected that the ghost-faced army would dare to launch an attack on the city at this time. Looking at the bright flares in the sky, I was also chilled. It was not until he saw the collapsed city wall that he couldn't help but tremble. The wall collapsed. This is impossible. Wu Yanbo was furious. That was a city wall reinforced with cement. Even a howitzer might not be able to blast it open. How could it collapse so completely? As far as the eye can see, there is a crack of at least 30 meters. It is not a simple gap, but an entire city wall has collapsed. Such a big gap cannot be defended at all. Quick, hold it. Hu Yanbo was scared out of his wits because he had already seen the enemy troops charging in. At that moment, he quickly turned back and said, "Gather the troops, prepare for a surprise attack, and fight our way out. We must fight our way out." He didn't have time to think about it. Fortunately, the army was already waiting. But the sudden change made everyone present a little overwhelmed. But when they heard Hu Yanbo's order, they immediately mounted their horses and drew their swords, kill. However, the Ghostface army was much faster than them. Not only did the eastern city wall collapse, but enemies also rushed out from the south. The ghost-faced army, as ferocious as wolves and tigers, rushed into Lanzhong City with an arrogant attitude. Chapter 456. Catch them all. The charging posture was extremely brutal. Ambushes started, and the tongues of fire were extremely obvious in the darkness. The firepower network formed by the interweaving of bullets. At this moment, the more than 200,000 Hun troops in the city were like prey in a fisherman's net. Wu Yanbo roared angrily. The cavalry charged forward quickly like wild beasts released from a cage. However, no matter how powerful the beast is, it cannot be more powerful than the 7.62 caliber. The NIU heavy machine gun was set up at the key intersection at the first opportunity. Ta-ta-ta. The extremely fast shooting stunned the leading cavalry. Bullets pierced their armor and bodies. In an instant, blood mist filled the entire street. Combined with explosive arrows, all the firelight disappeared. The single soldier set up a mortar on the ground. Lined up in a row, the shells fell into the crowd, reaping laths like cutting leeks. The enemy's charge was stopped in an instant. Looking at the enemy who wanted to outflank us from both wings, Xiaoji and Jia took out the explosive arrow from the quiver and said, "Shoot." The soldier who had already loaded the arrows into the crossbow quiver pulled the trigger at a 45-degree angle toward the sky. In just a few breaths, the quiver was emptied. The involvement of three-stage attack makes the entire attack coherent. The firepower coverage is very wide, and there are almost no blind spots. Looking at the cavalry's quick reactions, Xiaoji and Jia knew that they had probably been preparing for a surprise attack a long time ago. Otherwise, they would definitely not be in this state. Fortunately, she was not reckless and was reluctant to waste ammunition. Li Yuan said something very right. The bullet fired is the powerful proof of killing the enemy. The reason he invented guns and cannons was that he didn't want to fight with cavalry with bayonets. If the priorities are reversed, guns and cannons will lose their purpose. The first wave of resistance was very powerful, and it almost instantly defeated the first two waves of enemy attacks. The Huns began to get scared. They have been defeated time and time again and had long lost their arrogance. The torrential attack stunned them. It was as if they didn't understand how the Day army was able to fly into the sky and how the walls of Lanzhong City collapsed. The enemy sneaked under the city wall without anyone noticing and blew it down. Many unknowns have cast an unsolvable shadow in their hearts. It was at this time that the army began to flee, like ripples on the surface of a lake, which eventually formed into huge waves that could no longer be contained. Push forward for me," Hu Yanbo said angrily. "But there is no way to save the situation. General, the enemy's firepower is too strong. We can't launch a surprise attack at all. No matter how many people go up, they will all die. Even the heavy cavalry has been beaten into a pulp. What's the point of us going up there? Let's run away. Open the two walls on the northwest side. Let us escape quickly." Hu Yanbo was extremely frustrated. But he also understood that he had completely lost this battle and there was no possibility of recovery. The most important thing at the moment is to escape with the main force of the Huns behind him. Leave from the northwest city wall and start the second plan. Hu Yanbo took a deep breath, turned his horse's head and headed towards the north city. The main force of the Huns no longer had their previous arrogance. They were all in panic and wished their horses had more legs. Lanzhong City has become a mess. The defeat was like a landslide, and these people fled in all directions like monkeys. This forced them to flee through the two northwest gates. The city gate opened. Everyone rushed into the passage. What they didn't know was that watermelons and grapes had been waiting here for a long time. The enemy is coming. Get ready. Xiao Puetao clenched his fists and shouted loudly, "Shoot!" At that moment, more than 20 NIU heavy machine guns fired at high speed. The Hun cavalry, who thought they had escaped, were stunned. They suddenly realized that they were trapped in a huge trap. As soon as Hu Yanbo rushed out, he heard the sound of a machine gun before he could react, and his body was instantly shot into a sieve. A huge force directly threw him off the horse. Countless horse feet stepped on his body and head. stomped his body to pieces. Someone shouted, "The general is dead." The crowd, who were already terrified, retreated madly like dogs that had lost their homes. It isn't known how many people were crushed to death in the passage. Chijiyue held the submachine gun and emptied the 2 magazines that had few bullets. "Undog, give me your life." She was breathing heavily, feeling indescribably happy. The sky gradually brightened. The purchased ammunition was almost used up. Xiao Jianjia only had 2 grenades and 2 pistol magazines on him at this moment. Most people only had 1 pistol magazine left. But that's enough. As far as the naked eye could see, there were dead bodies. The soldiers, holding swords, were finishing off those Han soldiers who had not died in the battle. The bulk of the enemy forces have surrendered. They are currently being lightened. And it is estimated that there are no less than 100,000 prisoners. Look, they all took off their armor and lay on the ground with their bare chests. Anyone who dared to make trouble would be beheaded. They don't have the courage to cause trouble. I was already scared out of my wits. Unfortunately, Wu Yanbo's body was not separated in the passage of the North City. There were hundreds of bodies mixed together in mud, but Wu Yanbo's official badge was found. This also means that Lanzhong City won a great victory. And they suffered almost no casualties. In the wild, they are still a little cautious. However, in the narrow space inside the city, the cavalry could not play out their true advantages. They didn't even have time to use the gunpowder they had prepared. Of course, Xiao Jianjia also looked down on the weapons that were secretly backward. But it's better than nothing, and it can more or less replenish the firepower. Moreover, after secondary modification, it can still be used as a lethal weapon. As for copper cannons, they can also be melted into money. Xiao Jianjia rode by on horseback, looking at the fearful Xiongnu people, and couldn't help but smile contemptuously. Xiongnu? Nothing more than that. Qiao Chai was also full of emotion. This battle was simply amazing. Xiao Jianjia took all aspects into consideration. Now she is not only a qualified general, but also a qualified commander. Although we rely on the power of leaf-made weapons, a good commander is the key to victory. Almost every step fell into Xiao Jianjia's calculations. Only then were all the Huns who blocked Zhongqing city captured in one fell swoop. However, the city wall blocking the river collapsed and it could no longer be used as a garrison. Xiao Jianjia even wanted to ambush in Jingzhang, but considering the practical factors, he gave up. Reporting to the king, "In this battle, we killed 100,000 enemies and captured 170. 0 prisoners. There were also 39,000 civilians, countless food and supplies, and more than 100,000 sets of armor and knives," Grape said, holding the account book with rough statistics. Xiao Jianjia nodded, and after listening to the statistics, he said, "Send the news back to Liangjing and tell Commander Wang that the Xiongnu have captured Lanzhong City." Chapter 457, Frustrated Wang Mazi. Wang Dabiao couldn't hold back when he saw the information sent from the front line. Were all the Xiongnu in Lanzhong City killed? He stood up suddenly, his face full of astonishment, and grabbed the scout. "Is this letter really written by concubine Xiao? It is absolutely true. I saw it with my own eyes. The Ghost Face army destroyed Lanzhong City and Hu Yanbo was killed. An army of 450,000 had been disintegrated. Now, there are only over 100,000 people guarding the Longyan River." Wang Dabiao was dumbfounded. "More than 100,000 people are not enough to fill the gaps in my teeth." The scout was almost crying. He was just a messenger. Who cares about his business? Releasing his hand, Wang Dabiao rubbed his head and said, "The Air Force restored the flow of rivers and took the first credit. While concubine Xiao made a surprise attack over 1,000 miles away and wiped out the Xiongnu. What do I have left?" He hastily summoned the generals and told them what had happened. Everyone was stunned after hearing this. Is this true or false? Is this a plot by the enemy? The Xiongnu are not fools. We will reach our destination in just over a day. Why would they use such a lame trick? Everyone looked at each other. In other words, they marched thousands of miles bravely without even seeing the shadow of the enemy. And the war was nearing its end. It's so frustrating. "Commander, where are we going now? Are we still going to Lanzhong City?" "Go to hell," Wang Dabiao cursed. "The Ghost Face army is guarding Lanzhong City. If we go there, will we applaud and cheer them on? Go to Wuxing and destroy the Xiongnu soldiers in Jingzhang. Otherwise, all your achievements will be in vain." There was nothing the crowd could do, so they rushed out excitedly, thinking they could have a good kill. In the end, nothing was gained. "But Commander, the 6th and 7th divisions have already passed by. Do we still need to go there?" Wang Dabiao was hurt from holding back his anger. "Stop talking nonsense and change direction. Let us go to Wuxing." 3 days later, the 6th Division received a letter saying that the Han troops in Wuxing had already withdrawn and they had come to nothing. Good news, they destroyed the Jingzhang Dam. Halfway through the journey, Wang Dabiao almost vomited blood. These bastards run so fast. Wang Dabiao was so angry that his nose was crooked. It seems that he is out for a ride with his army? There was not even a single Hun in sight in the entire army. How can we play this? When I go back, won't those people laugh at me to death? Captain, where are we going next? Everybody is in trouble. The Ghostface army sent another letter saying that their troops had entered the country and were stationed inside the territory, with Lanzhong City as the boundary. In other words, they will not interfere in areas outside of Lanzhong City. It can be considered as leaving some benefits for Wang Dabiao. But for Wang Dabiao, this was like a bargain for free. Moreover, it values military merit the most. Without military merit, one is nothing. He thought for a moment and said, the three armies have probably already started fighting. Let us go and help them. Never mind with the strength of the three armies. Shouldn't it be easy to defeat them? And you will say that I stole the credit. I can't afford to lose face like that. The cowardly Wang Dabiao looked towards the west and said, I got it. Heading towards the western Yi. There are more than a dozen small countries around them. They must be hiding a lot of Huns. Captain, but His Majesty only asked us to. You know nothing. The Xiongnu people were cunning and escaped. In order to eliminate future troubles, I went deep into the western Yi to kill the enemy. It makes sense, right? Reasonable, reasonable, reasonable. Everyone nodded. It's reasonable. But why don't you prepare it? Wang Dabiao was furious. The meat was gone, the bones were gone, and he wasn't even given any soup. Li Wang has never felt so aggrieved. On the other hand, the cavalry guarding Wuxing town had received Hu Yanbo's letter earlier and withdrew from Wuxing as soon as possible. On the way of retreat, they learned that Lanzhong City had been breached and the 450 strong army had been disintegrated. Yuan Bai's mouth was full of bitterness. Rong Jiang was broken, the princess was captured, and the 450,000 main forces of Lanzhong City were gone, leaving only a few 100,000 of them out of the million-strong army. Now he could only flee from Middle-earth and destroy those small countries as instructed in Hu Yanbo's letter. Fortunately, the retreat went smoothly and we did not encounter the enemy. Thinking back to how arrogant he was when he first came to Middle-earth, at this moment, he felt like a stray dog. However, Yuan Bai was also a capable man. It took him only 7 days to successively conquer 3 small countries, enslave the people, and forcibly recruit strongmen as soldiers. In less than 10 days, another 50 young and strongmen were recruited. Having tasted the sweetness, Yuan Bai couldn't stop himself. At this time, the news of the Ghostface army's great victory reached Liangjing City. Li Yuan was completely confused by what he saw. Jianjia single in action defeated more than 400,000 cavalrymen in Lanzhong City? Amazing. He really didn't expect that Xiao Jianjia had such courage. And Wang Dabiao has come up empty-handed and has not gained anything? Li Yuan had a strange expression on his face, but also found it a little funny. In the letter, Xiao Jianjia said that this could be considered as expanding the territory for Day. This is certainly considered expanding territory. Moreover, this is the best news since the start of the War of Unification. Li Yuan was in a good mood and went to the newspaper office with the information as soon as possible. At this time, a workstation of Liangjing Times was also set up near the Imperial Palace on weekdays. Lu Qiushan spent most of his time writing manuscripts here. Dad, good news! Li Yuan pushed the door open and saw Lu Qiushan and several officials from the Ministry of Rights discussing the draft. Seeing Li Yuan, several people hurriedly saluted. Your Majesty. Li Yuan waved his hand, signaling them to stand up, and then said, Dad, please take a look at this information. The officials from the Ministry of Rights were also very considerate and quickly said goodbye and left. Lu Qiushan asked, did we win the battle ahead? You'll know once you take a look. Li Yuan spread the information in front of him. When Lu Qiushan saw this, he couldn't help but laugh. This kid is really strong-willed. Dad, how about putting this on the front page tomorrow? Writing takes time. I'm afraid it won't be enough tomorrow. Let us do it the day after tomorrow. I also have a rough draft for tomorrow. Lu Qiushan handed over the agreed manuscript. These days, the War of Unification is being launched, and Lu Qiushan is endorsing the war. Li Yuan's excuse for declaring war on Dajing was simple: marriage with the Huns. What Lu Qiushan had to do was to elevate a simple reason to the level of national justice and to the level of a family feud. Always let the big leaves occupy the commanding heights. Li Yuan took a look at the first draft and felt a little sorry for the old man. He was obviously the emperor, but he was busy with the manuscript every day and spent more time at his desk than him. Thinking of this, he said, Dad, if it really doesn't work, hire an assistant for yourself. Don't work too hard. Being tired is nothing. I'm not old yet, I'm still in my prime. Lu Qiushan shook his head. He was happy working for his family. After thinking for a while, he took out a short manuscript from a pile of manuscripts and said, take a look at this manuscript. Li Yuan took it and took a look at it. Then he remembered about the reform of the government office. There is no imperial examination in day. But Li Yuan wants to split the vocational examination into professional examination and college entrance examination. Chapter 458, Greenhouse Incident. The existing talent promotion system can no longer meet the needs of talent selection. Moreover, vocational schools are now the most popular in day. But vocational schools cannot always be the mainstream for recruiting talents. He referred to the talent selection in another world in many countries, and finally decided to divide it into vocational examination and college entrance examination. These two exams have different directions. The college entrance examination may be more inclined towards liberal arts, while the vocational examination may be more inclined towards science. Of course, in the short term, vocational schools will still be popular because they needs more professional talents in all walks of life. These talents can drive the development of all industries. No problem. Li Yuan nodded. What are you going to do next? Lu Qiushan asked. Daqian is merged into Daqian. And Jianjia has made such a great contribution. Li Yuan sighed. He had talked about this matter with Honggu. Honggu was not very enthusiastic about the queen and did not take credit for it even though she gave birth to Tiger. It has to be done as soon as possible. Lu Qiushan reminded again, then changed the subject and took out another manuscript. This is the list given to me by the Ministry of Agriculture. Take a look. Li Yuan suppressed his annoyance, took the list and nodded. This was the rat that Yuan had found. This time, not only the state-owned oil factories were thoroughly investigated, but all government offices and departments under the jurisdiction of the Agriculture Department were cleaned up. No less than 1,000 people have been arrested. There are no fewer than 50 serious criminals. These 50 people will be tried by the 3 judges and beheaded in public 3 days later. Li Yuan was very satisfied with Yuan's reaction. He wrote a note and asked someone to give it to Yuan. Recently, Yuan has been walking between the experimental greenhouse and the procuratorate. Looking at the people who were caught, I felt extremely emotional. How much national wealth can these thousands of people swallow up every year? No wonder His Majesty is so angry. But he was uneasy inside. How will Your Majesty react when so many corrupt officials have emerged in the Ministry of Agriculture under your leadership? To the point that I am in a state of constant fear and anxiety. Sir, are you listening? Lu Lingzhi held the notebook in her hand, looked at Yuan with a dull look in his eyes, and waved. Oh, I'm listening. Where are we now? The potato yield per mu in greenhouse no, but after being detoxified has exceeded 2,500 kilograms, which is about 1,000 kilograms higher than the 1,500 kilograms in the first year. Lu Lingzhi was extremely excited. The extra 1,000 kilograms is equivalent to one person's annual food ration. Well, the students in the 8th research group have achieved remarkable results, and Yuan couldn't help but applaud. The potato project is currently the most important research project. It is being carried out by 10 research teams and is led by Yuan. His level is too high now, and it is impossible for him to specialize in every project. Potatoes are drought resistant, have high yields, are filling, and are rich in nutrients. They can be used as a staple food, so they are naturally a top priority. The yield of 2,500 kilograms per acre is almost 6 or 7 times the yield of rice. Seal up all the potatoes in greenhouse no. 8. Lingzhi, as the head of the 8th group. You have made an indelible contribution. I will report it truthfully, Yuan said. Lu Lingzhi's identity has not been made public. Even the students who study with Lu Lingzhi do not know her true identity. 2 others, Lu Lingzhi only said that she was a member of the Lu family. Student Lu. Congratulations. The head of the 9th group extended his hand to Tian Yang and congratulated him. This guy came from an agricultural science school. It was said that he was very capable and handsome. The pair of peach blossom eyes, but Lu Lingzhi preferred people who were down to earth. Tian Yang's skin is the whitest among all the researchers, whiter than women's. Lu Lingzhi used to be very fair, but after devoting herself to agricultural science, her skin became more than 2 shades darker. But fortunately, she has delicate facial features and looks beautiful and noble, so it does not affect her beauty, but makes her look healthier. It is also because of this that many people pursue her. But Lu Lingzhi didn't have such plans for the time being. She just wanted to study hard and produce results. Lu Lingzhi smiled but did not extend her hand. Team leader Tian Yang narrowed his eyes, not feeling embarrassed. Instead, a girl named Yilan said sarcastically, "It's a new era now, and you still insist on keeping men and women away from each other? As pioneers of the times, we researchers can't be old-fashioned." When this was said, many people laughed. Yuan was not present either. He knew that he was not in good condition, so he went downstairs to rest after finishing the record. Originally, Yuan's keeping Lu Lingzhi by his side and teaching her carefully caused jealousy and dissatisfaction among many people. Seeing that Lu Lingzhi got the highest score in research again, he became more and more unbalanced. The research group will have assessments, and those who get the highest scores in the assessments will not only receive bonuses for the individual, but also for the entire group, and can also be evaluated for professional titles based on the assessment scores. Who would like to hang out in a greenhouse all day and deal with chicken, duck and goose manure? Lu Lingzhi frowned, but the members of Group 8 were not happy. What's wrong with not being able to touch a man or a woman? If you don't care about that, then come and give me a kiss. A little fat boy stood up and put his face closer. Come on, if you think kissing the face is not satisfying enough, kissing the mouth will also work. You, fatty Meng, what's your business? Yilan said anxiously. With that face of yours, who would dare to kiss you? If you were half as pretty as the team leader, I would be happy to accompany you, not to mention kissing you. It's your business if you like Xiang Tianyang, but why are you trying to put down our team leader? Meng Fei sneered. Are you jealous that our team leader is better looking and more capable than you? Group 9 is not good at research, but is the best in the world at flattering the powerful and bullying the weak and being sarcastic. Getting the last place is really worthy of your strength. Yilan was furious. Fatty Meng, say it again if you can. Say it once, I dare you to say it 10 times. Meng Fei stepped forward and said, if you don't feel satisfied, you can come back with me and I will tell you slowly. Bastard, hooligan. Yilan was so angry. Xiang Chanyang also said coldly, Meng Fei, we are all colleagues. You mean sister? You let your team members ridicule our team leader, and you don't allow us to defend our team leader? Meng Fei stood in front of Lu Lingzhi and said, I'm telling you, don't think I don't know what's on your mind. How did you become the team leader? Don't you have any idea of what's going on? Do you think I don't know that you stole the seeds from our No. 8 greenhouse? Shut up. Xian Tianyang's face changed drastically. Lu Lingzhi also hurriedly pulled Meng Fei and said, that's enough, stop talking. The 9th group member also came over with a bad look on his face. Fatty, who did you say stole your seeds? If you don't explain this matter to us today, we won't let this go. Yes, we won't be done until we make things clear. Chapter 459. If someone shows kindness for no reason, he is either a traitor or a thief. Where are the brothers from Group 8? Meng Fei waved his hand, and the people from Group 8 came forward with unfriendly eyes. Seeing that the two groups were about to confront each other, Lu Lingzhi said in a deep voice, everyone, step back. Do you know the consequences of causing trouble in the greenhouse? The seeds and crops here are all protected products. If they are damaged, you will be in trouble. Team leader. I know what's going on, Meng Fei. I know we've suffered a lot these days. But aren't we number one? Lu Lingzhi glanced at the members of Group 8. Put all the seeds away and keep them safe. No matter what others say, their seeds are also obsolete. You are lucky today, otherwise, I would have knocked out your teeth. Meng Fei is a burly man, and he usually smiles, looking like the smiling matria, but when he gets angry, few people can withstand him. He just listened to Lu Lingzhi. Fatty, you want to be a hero and save the beauty, but you don't even take a piss to look at yourself, Yilan said sarcastically. You, Meng Fei was furious. You thief, you stole our seeds. If it weren't for the team leader's advice, I would have sent you to jail. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want if you don't have evidence. I'll sue you for slander, Yilan said proudly. Lu Lingzhi glanced at her coldly and said, from now on, except for the members of Group 8, anyone who enters the experimental greenhouse of Group 8 without permission will be regarded as theft and will not be tolerated. Selfishness. The research results belong to everyone, not just me. What's wrong with me being selfish? Lu Lingzhi said calmly. Yilan, I'm warning you for the last time. If you do this again, I will make you pay the price. Yilan felt a little scared when Lu Lingzhi stared at her, but she still said stubbornly, it's useless to threaten me. Aren't you just relying on your good relationship with the master to be so domineering? Our institute relies on research results to speak for itself. Lu Lingzhi was too lazy to argue with her. Meng Fei pointed at the exit and said, get out. After 3 breaths, if anyone doesn't leave, I'll ask them to leave one by one. Xiang Chanyang snorted, let's go. When the members of other groups saw that there was nothing more to watch, they left one after another. Meng Fei stepped forward and said, team leader, you are just too easy to talk to. I have already said that these 2 people are not good people. They didn't cause much damage, so just give them a warning if they make trouble again. I will not let them go. Lu Lingzhi has a good temper, but she is not without bottom line. She smiled and looked at the indignant Meng Fei. She also knew that this little fat boy listened to her very much. Most importantly, this little fat boy was very capable and liked to tease her. I can't say I like it, but I definitely don't dislike it. Since you've been so protective of me, I'll treat you all of you to a delicious meal. Meng Fei was delighted at first, then said with a bitter face, I thought you were inviting me to dinner alone. On the other side, Xiang Chunyang led the 9 team members away. Yilan said angrily, "Team leader, are we just going to let it go after they slander us like this? Then what do you want?" Xiang Tianyang raised his eyebrows. He was naturally uncomfortable. But there were some things that he could not say out loud. "We must retaliate. Meng Fei is too arrogant. If it weren't for Lu Ling Ziyi's instructions, how dare he be so arrogant?" Yilan said. "That's right, team leader. If we don't clear our grievances, who will dare to cooperate with our Team 9 in the future? They must be made to apologize," everyone said. Xiang Tianyang sighed. "If they don't apologize, what can we do with them? Should we report to Mr. Qiang?" Considering how much the gentleman loves Lu Ling Ziyi, the most he could do is give her a verbal reprimand, and it is still unclear whether he would even reprimand her. "If we come to your door, won't we be asking for trouble? They said we stole their seeds, so we destroyed their seeds," said one of them. Xiang Chunyang shook his head. "It's better not to do this kind of thing once it's discovered. We're all done for. Let us just go our separate ways. The innocent will be innocent, and the turbid will be turbid." After everyone finished complaining, they had no choice but to disperse. Yilan looked around and saw that there was no one around. Then she wrapped herself around Xiang Chunyang like a beautiful snake and said, "Team leader, when will you take me home to meet your elders?" Xiang Chunyang smiled faintly. "If you want to go home with me, it's very simple. You do me a favor. After the favor is done, I can give you wealth and glory. Whatever you want." Yilan's eyes flashed with a gleam of brilliance. "Team leader, you said." At this time, Lu Ling Ziyi had a dinner with all the team members. They were all young people and had a lot of fun. Lu Ling Ziyi also drank some fruit wine. Her pretty face flushed, and she looked particularly attractive. As her #1 supporter, Meng Fei only dared to watch from afar and did not dare to play with her. "Team leader, do you want to go to the skating rink to skate?" Summer ice skating is the favorite destination for young people in day today. And it is also a must-do activity for couples. Lu Ling Ziyi thought about it and said, "Okay, let's go there later." And at this moment, there was a knock on the door of the private room, and Yilan came in from outside. Seeing Lu Ling Ziyi, she hurried forward and said, "I'm sorry, Team Leader Lu, for interrupting your dinner." The box, which was originally bustling with activity, suddenly became quiet, and everyone looked at Yilan with unfriendly eyes. "Hey, you dare to come to my house and cause trouble with me, right?" Meng Fei rolled up his sleeves. Yilan said hurriedly, "No, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just here to apologize. I shouldn't have said those words this morning. I'm sorry, Team Leader Lu. I sincerely apologize to you." Everyone was stunned. Meng Fei frowned. "You're coming to apologize? It's like a weasel paying New Year's greetings to a chicken. You have no good intentions." Yilan looked at him, her heart filled with hatred. But her face was full of regret. "Whether you believe it or not, I am here to apologize after all. We will see each other sooner or later. It will not be conducive to our future cooperation if the relationship becomes so strained." "Are you trying to trick a 3-year-old child?" Meng Fei sneered. Lu Ling Ziyi raised her hand to stop him. "Okay Meng Fei, stop talking." Meng Fei curled his lips and actually shut them. "Team Leader Lu, I accept your apology, but we are having a dinner party now, so we won't treat you goodbye. I won't see you off." Lu Ling Ziyi made a gesture of invitation without a smile on her face. She is good-tempered and easy to talk to, but she is not a fool. If someone shows you kindness without any reason, he is either a traitor or a thief. She always keeps in mind the lessons her elder brother taught her. She didn't think that Yilan suddenly felt guilty and came to apologize. This person must have some ulterior motive. Meng Fei laughed. Yilan was extremely angry, but she didn't dare to show it on her face. She stepped forward and grabbed Lu Ling Ziyi's hand. "Team Leader Lu, do you really think I'm a thief? What do you have to do to make you believe me?" Chapter 460, Lu Ling Ziyi's alertness. "It doesn't matter whether I believe you or not." Lu Ling Ziyi shook her head and said, "Let's go. Don't spoil the fun of my entire team." Meng Fei laughed out loud. In his opinion, Lu Ling Ziyi was smart, beautiful, able to concentrate on research, and able to bend down and dig for food in the land. She was a real practical talent. Moreover, this girl has her own principles and personality. She looks weak but is actually strong. It's really perfect. The sarcastic laughter made Yilan's expression gradually twisted. "You are too bullying." Looking at her leaving back, Lu Ling Ziyi seemed to be thinking about something. "I'm going to go to the bathroom, you guys continue." After leaving the box, she walked to a corner where someone happened to be guarding. It was her personal guard. Follow her and see what she wants to do. You should not have the intention to harm others, but you must be on guard against others. In order not to cause trouble for Big Brother, you must protect yourself. Especially when the Great War of Unification begins, these spies will inevitably be omnipresent. Just because Meng Fei and others are not clear about their identities doesn't mean that these spies don't know. So, safety first. After Yilan left, The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. I'm afraid it won't be that easy to complete the task assigned to the team leader. Xian Qianyang just wanted her to reconcile with Lu Ling's Yichai and be friends with her. A reason is very simple. Lu Ling's Yichai's backer is Niu Han, who is a big shot in the Ministry of Agriculture. Maybe the relationship behind Lu Ling's Yichai is not simple either. If they want to achieve great things in the Ministry of Agriculture, it is better for them to avoid conflicts with Lu Ling's Yichai. The team leader is also considering their future. In her opinion, Xian Qianyang is a man with a strong background and strength, so he would naturally not cheat her. But Lu Ling's Yichai was too arrogant. You used to be very easy to talk to, why are you so unkind now? After returning to the dormitory, he looked around to make sure no one was there before he slipped into Xian Qianyang's room. He then exaggerated what had happened. Team leader, this woman doesn't appreciate it at all. What should I do? Holding Yilan in her arms, she said that this woman was not stupid. Those who could pass the exam based on their own strength were all really capable. But her bad thing was that she was too competitive and wanted to win everything. Moreover, after entering the government office, she lost her motivation to make progress. Her mind was full of currying favor with the powerful and wealthy and hoping to win overnight. This also helps him control. However, Lu Ling's Yichai's difficulty was beyond his imagination, so this matter needed to be considered carefully. Go back first. I will definitely take the blame for what you suffered today. Thank you, team leader. Yilan clung to Xian Qianyang and refused to get off, looking coquettious. But you can play with this kind of woman, but you should never get involved with her. She is too stupid and can easily cause trouble. After Xian Qianyang had his fun a few times, he found an excuse to get her away. Looking at his shiny fingers, Xian Qianyang sighed, and while washing them with cold water, he thought about how to report to his master. Inside Prince Heng's palace, Li Qianzhen lost focus as he looked at his son crawling on the ground. A maid looked at him cautiously. Her right hand gently stroked her belly intentionally or unintentionally. Yes, she has it again. With the help of the secret medicine, she easily became pregnant with Lu Yong's child again. She knew very well that if she wanted to maintain her status, she had to have more children. It can also maintain Lu Yong's favor. At this moment, her personal maid came over quickly and said, "Princess, the things you requested are here." There was something extra in Li Yanzhen's hand, and he was suddenly alert and his pupils became focused. "I'm tired, take the prince away." "Yes, princess." After the maid took Shi Jiu away, Li Yanzhen hurried back to the room and took out the letter hidden in his sleeve. The letter was encrypted, and she only knew its contents after it was decrypted. After reading it, she frowned and cursed him as a waste. Why did she go to so much trouble to send him to the Ministry of Agriculture? Isn't it just to let him get close to Lu Ling's Yichai? After so long, there hasn't been any progress at all. Li Qianzhen received a letter from Li Jing 3 days ago. In the letter, his father asked him to find a way to stop Yi Jun no matter what. She also knew very well that this was a war to annihilate the country. However, Lu Yong has already played this card. Using Lu Yong's child left in Li Jing as a threat will not have any effect. The only people who can really threaten Lu Yuan are the people around him. If they failed, she could only use herself and her child as bait to force Day to withdraw. Of course, the probability of success by doing this is less than 30. She wouldn't have done this if she hadn't been desperate. But if she could bring Lu Ling's Yichai with her, she would be 90 sure. Given how much Lu Yuan doted on and cared about her, it would be absolutely impossible for him to just leave her alone. So, this time, she gave a death order. Mobilize the hidden power of Liang Jing and capture Lu Ling's Yichai no matter what. After doing all this, she felt a little uneasy, but then she thought that these people were diehards and would not expose themselves even if they died. Even if she is exposed, she has amulet. Just deny it even if you are beaten to death. Thinking of this, she felt better. And she was really tired, so she fell into a deep sleep after a while. Lu Ling's Yichai came out of the skating rink and said goodbye to everyone. Meng Yifi wanted to see her off, but was rejected, and his mood suddenly became depressed. But Lu Ling's Yichai didn't have time to care about him at this time. She stopped a rickshaw and left. The spies had just found out the situation, and Lu Ling's Yichai did not expect that there was really something wrong with Xian Qianyang. However, this matter might involve my second sister-in-law. After returning to the palace, she hesitated for a long time before entering Yongping Palace. Ling's Yichai, you got off work early today. Li Yuan looked at her curiously. As the eldest princess of Day, Lu Ling's Yichai did not go out to open a government office or build a mansion, but lived with her parents. Li Yuan was very concerned about his sister's marriage, but he also respected her choice and hoped that she would find someone she loved to spend her life with. Brother, there is something I don't know whether I should tell you. Lu Ling's Yichai was a little conflicted. Li Yuan put down his pen and said, come on, come up and tell me what happened. Lu Lingzhi is very well behaved and sensible even though she has become a princess. She does not have princess syndrome. She is well known in the experimental greenhouse. And Nena Yuhan has repeatedly praised her for her ability to be humble and bend down. He doted on this sister very much. Lu Lingzhi cut to the chase and told the story in general. Brother. Second brother is not at home now. I'm afraid someone is planning something bad to second sister-in-law after all. The dog is still young. And she's pregnant. I will investigate this matter. Don't worry about it from now on. Go to work and do research. Li Yuan didn't seem surprised, however. He was very satisfied with Lu Lingzhi's reaction and handling method in terms of alertness. Lu Lingzhi's awareness far exceeded Lu Yang. Remember this: if you think something might endanger you, don't act bravely. Protecting yourself is the greatest achievement. Do you understand? Li Yuan touched her head with a doting look on his face. Chapter 461. Surrender of Prisoners. After Lu Lingzhi left, Li Yuan asked Liu Su, how many people have been found out now? Your Majesty. There are more than 60 people who have surfaced so far, Liu Su said. Continue to dig deeper, and then slowly deal with this group of people. Where's Li Yanzhe? Li Yuan sighed faintly. She is a smart person, she should be able to react. If she behaves honestly, it's fine. If not, the best way, of course, is to kill Li Tianzhen. However, he did not want to influence Lu Yang. If Li Tianzhen knows what's good for him, it's fine, but if he doesn't, he won't show mercy. For 2 consecutive days, Li Tianzhen did not receive any news. This made her a little uneasy. It was not until the 3rd day that the maid brought a letter. After opening the letter, there was only one sentence in it: God is watching what you do. Li Tianzhen was so frightened that he dared not move. An indescribable feeling of fear swept through her body, and she suddenly realized that everything she had done might have been exposed long ago. Those people don't use vernacular to communicate with me. Everything is encrypted. Just 6 words, more like a warning. It took her half an hour to feel better. Since the other party has warned me, it means that he has no intention of killing me. In other words, those people might have been exposed long ago. She couldn't help but smile bitterly, fearing that Lu Yang would know about this. I just want to be here. Is regret useful? At the same time, the team escorting the prisoners entered Beijing. These captives were mixed Xiongnu soldiers from Rongjiang, and about 30,000 purebred Xiongnu people. In the front cage was a woman with a disheveled body and a hideous face. The flesh on the woman's face rolled around, and even after the wound healed, it still looked horrible. Everyone around her looked at her as if she were a monster. Who else could she be if not Yan Zhi? She covered her face and looked around in horror. The people around her teased her and called her a weird woman. Smash Yan Zhi's self-esteem and pride to the ground. The Han soldiers behind her were like dogs that had lost their homes. After the Huns were defeated, bilateral trade naturally ceased to exist. Xiao Jianjia sent nearly 200,000 Xiongnu captives to Liangjing in order to alleviate Lu Yuan's urgent needs. There are simply too many workers needed for each project. With these 200,000 Xiongnu laborers, the canal project can be greatly accelerated and the transformation of the north can be completed much earlier. Moreover, offering prisoners can also increase national confidence. Li Yuan was also overjoyed when he learned that the prisoners had entered the city. The first batch of prisoners numbered 200, and the second batch also had more than 200,000 prisoners. This makes me feel comfortable. 400,000 laborers can replace the labor of 400,000 households. Including the more than 700,000 workers before, the total number of workers was barely enough. What is being built now are national projects and will not harm the interests of the people. If the road construction in Puqiao involves the relocation of houses, a large amount of subsidies will be given. Therefore, the degree of cooperation among the people is very high. At present, these workers are still far from enough. The local finances were insufficient, and there were not enough people. So performing co-RV labor became the obligation of the people. This is a real problem. The Bald Eagle Railway is so well developed, but how many dead bodies of laborers were piled up to build it? How many corpses of Kunlun slaves were used to make the harvest on the plantation? Some problems simply require labor to catalyze their resolution. You know, the elimination of agricultural taxes took thousands of years to complete. If there were no sweet potatoes, cassava and corn, Li Yuan would not dare to say that he would abolish agricultural taxes. Even if the imperial court had money, it still needed a large amount of grain to stabilize grain prices and stabilize the country. So, if a problem cannot be solved, it is solved by pretending to be difficult. Laborers solved the problem of corvée labor, vast land, high-yield grain, scarce population, and the promotion of commercial taxes solved the problem of grain taxes. War is the fastest way to plunder primitive accumulation, without a doubt, and shorten the innovation process. However, it is impossible for the imperial court alone to support so many workers. Millions of laborers were doing physical labor. and each person was given at least 1 pound of grain for a meal, which meant 100,000 she of grain a month. At least 1 million she of grain is needed a year. Therefore, these captives will eventually be distributed to the lower provinces, and the provinces will pay to support these people. A group of people will stay in the local area to perform labor service for the people, while others will respond to the call of the court and build national projects. The local provinces were responsible for providing food for these laborers. They were not deceived by the imperial court. These captives were all young and strong, and were the best slaves. On the black market, the average price of a slave like this is 5,000 ye coins, equivalent to 500 tiles of silver. They made a lot of money. Each province had its own farmland except for the part that was handed over to the court. The rest was kept locally to stabilize grain prices, which were uniformly controlled by the court. In other words, rice, flour and the like were still controlled by the imperial court. The grain grown in the village is retained and stored by the village, and only a small amount is sold. These people are afraid of being poor and hungry, so they would rather let the food rot in the warehouse than sell it. So after the grain tax was abolished, public land came into being. There are huge benefits here. But Liyuan can only turn a blind eye for the time being. Look, after the prisoner presentation ceremony, people from all provinces came running over to share the cake. Liyuan was too lazy to care and directly asked Texai Ayuan to divide the cake. As for Yan Zhi, she was a Xiongnu princess and just a pawn. In Yimo's eyes, he wants the grassland, and he also needs the Western Yi. He needs more workers to speed up the development of Day. On the other side, in Bamei Prefecture, the Xi army simply gave up resistance, confusing Ji Yirmao. What do they mean? Commander, they said they have no intention of becoming enemies with Day. If we insist on going to war, they will surrender and let us slaughter them. If you want to enter Beijing, you can go straight in and we will deal with you at your own will. They asked us to send garrison troops to the concession as soon as possible in accordance with the Liangjing agreement. In Liangjing, the concession has already been built and is just waiting for us to go there. Who's there? Tai Yongshu also brought a letter from Emperor Xia, saying that if we want to enter the palace, they can go to Liangjing and take Emperor Xia's head. Inside the military camp, all the soldiers looked at each other in bewilderment. Ji Ermayo couldn't help but look at Li Quniong. Li Quniong said somewhat awkwardly, "Commander, this matter has nothing to do with me. He is now a deputy brigade-level cadre. He has some prestige in the 2nd Division of the 2nd Army and is brave and good at fighting. As for Diaxia, he no longer has any hope. Only within Day's system did he know how terrifying Day was. Abundant martial virtues are one aspect. What is even more terrifying is Day's system and the king's philosophy of governance. A military merit system can motivate soldiers' combat effectiveness to the greatest extent, while a perfect pension system will encourage people to fight to the death. With weapons and concepts that are unique in the world, in his opinion, Day has the qualifications to truly unify the world and has the unshakable strength to dominate." Chapter 462. Entering the camp alone. As a surrendered minister of Diaxia, he actually wanted to be an insider with Chen Yuan at first. But now, Chen Yuan has become the commander of the navy, holding a high position and generous salary, and even the Chen family has been brought to Liangjing. As for himself, he was also brainwashed by Day's military slogans at this moment. The idea of fighting for the people, fighting for the country, fighting for the king, dispelled the ideas he had formed in the previous decades. At this moment, he was sent to attack Diaxia, and he was actually suffering in his heart. But military orders are as heavy as a mountain, and he was even prepared to be criticized by everyone. However, there are still smart people in Liangjing. During their peak period, they were not the only rival of Biaoyang who had one city. Could they defeat them now? This battle was a war to annihilate the country, and he was well prepared. However, Xia's response made him secretly applaud. This move of retreating in order to advance is truly bold and brave. Ji Ermao withdrew his gaze. Many division commanders began to shout, "Speaking nonsense, Diaxia is secretly colluding with the Xiongnu, and it's a recipe for death. Captain, since they have surrendered, it will save us a lot of trouble if we capture all those people and use them as laborers. His Majesty will reward us handsomely. Right? Yes, yes. Very valuable when the time comes. The military will intercept tens of thousands of them and sell them for millions of tiles of silver wooden tea. That be wonderful. During a war, it is almost an unwritten rule to retain a portion of the spoils. However, we still need to keep statistics on things that are on the surface." Liyuan allowed the combat team to retain 40, and no one could say anything against it. This is also why these people like fighting so much. Killing people and setting fires can earn you a gold belt. After a battle, which soldier's pocket wouldn't be full? Xiao Yunlong frowned, although he also wanted to make a contribution. Diaxia's move made them passive. However, he did not hold a high position and did not dare to interrupt. "Hold it all. Ji Irma patted the table. Call Kai Yangshu over first to see what Emperor Rexia wrote in the letter. Soon, Kai Yangshu came. And he came in alone. This courage to enter the enemy camp alone is admired by many people. After entering the camp, Kai Yangshu showed no fear at all. Instead, he looked around and bowed to Ji Irma, who was sitting on the throne. General Ji. Kai Yangshu is here to welcome the army into the country on the orders of the emperor. May I ask, this time, will we follow the agreement and send troops to the concession? Kai Yangshu, what did you do? Don't you know what happened? To secretly support the Xiongnu with weapons and armaments and collude with them. Do you still have the guts to come here? Kai Yangshu said calmly. We also heard that His Majesty the Emperor of Day and the Princess of the Xiongnu reached a bilateral agreement, so we got in touch. If it worked for Day's example, we wouldn't dare to do it even if we had 10 times the courage. How dare you? Business is business. And buying arms is buying arms. How can you confuse people? How can buying military equipment not be considered business? Kai Yangshu asked. And the Jing dynasty also had an alliance with the Xiongnu. Aren't the two countries like brothers? Why blame Daxia? Is it that in the past 2 years, Daxia has not paid the annual tribute on time, or that we have not obeyed Day's transfer orders? If there are any problems, please let us know and we will fix them. Daxia did a good job on the surface, suffered a lot of losses, and never had a direct conflict with Day. This kind of wisdom of forbearance is indeed something that most people cannot achieve. Stop talking nonsense. It's very simple to make us withdraw our troops. Let your king come to the capital to apologize otherwise. No deal. Ji Irma also felt that the matter was a bit tricky. The excuses they made for sending troops were refuted by Kai Yangshu one by one. It seemed that all they needed to do was to set fire to Day and forbid Daxia to light a lamp. We are innocent. Why should we plead guilty? Since Day does not allow us to have any contact with the Xiongnu, then we should just cut off the connection. As the saying goes, killing is the last straw. Yi is the suzerain and superior country. Why would it force Daxia? A small country, like this? Kai Yangshu countered the attack, his expression gradually becoming more angry. We never thought of going against Day. If you want to invade us, go ahead, but if any of our people resist, just kill them all. I want to see how history books will record your day. Even if one day you, Day, unify the Middle Earth, you will still be stained with blood, and the people will not obey you. Everyone had complicated expressions. Ji Irma felt something was wrong. This was their territory. How could they be suppressed by Kai Yangshu alone? No matter how many reasons you say, it's of no use. Our people disappeared in the territory of Daxia a few days ago. You must give me an explanation. Ji Irma said lightly. Kai Yangshu laughed sarcastically. When one soldier is missing, an entire army is dispatched. Day really loves his soldiers like his own sons. If you want to play straight, just play. The worst that could happen is that the entire Daxia would be destroyed, leaving tens of millions of Daxia people homeless. When the time comes, we will bring these tens of millions of people in today. Day is the best in the world, so he probably doesn't care about the lives of these people and just kills them. Tens of millions of people were massacred. What do you mean? Ji Irma's heart skipped a beat. You're still using this trick? We didn't resist, so why are we not allowed to save our own lives? The news that Day was going to attack Daxia had already spread everywhere, and the people were worried about their own safety and fled spontaneously. There are 3 to 5 million civilians behind the army now. If we hadn't suppressed them, they would have come out long ago. These 3 to 5 million are just the beginning. And by then it will be 10 or 20 million. When the time comes, everyone will rush into Liangjing. Everyone knows that Emperor Day is kind-hearted and loves his people like his own children. I'm sure he wouldn't let these people starve to death in front of him. I have to say, this move is extremely shameless. But he didn't resist and just gave in. Ji Irma was secretly resentful. He was really afraid that after they rushed in, millions of people would flood into the country, which would bring big trouble. Of course not, but I tell you, if you want to end this matter, the Emperor of Daxia must come to the capital in person to plead guilty. Otherwise you will bear the consequences yourself. Ji Irma said calmly. We must also find the missing soldiers, Your Majesty, and give an explanation to the world. Kai Yangshu was in a difficult situation based on his understanding of the emperor. It was almost impossible to ask him to go to Beijing to apologize. Can the prince be allowed to take his place? To be honest, it's easy to kill the emperor. Do you know that my day airship can fly 1,000 miles in a day? I'm sure you've already received the news about Lanzhou City. Ji Irma chuckled and said, the reason why we didn't send out airships for bombing is because we don't want to launch a sneak attack. We, Day, are a righteous army, not a bandit. We send out troops in a just way and will never kill innocent people. In short, I have one word for you. Either hand over the missing Day soldiers, or let your emperor go to Liangjing to plead guilty in person. Chapter 463, Xiao Yanlong's suggestions. Ji Irma was also very tough. It will be useful if you bring the common people with you. You said they were common people, but I said they were Diaxia soldiers wearing common people's clothes. Just pull them over here if they can cross this line. I'll give you my head. At worst, I can take all the blame myself and be the sinner. You want to blackmail me? No way. Without giving Kai Yongshu a chance to speak, he said, someone, get him out. General Ge, you must not bring shame to Emperor Day. Kai Yongshu's voice became increasingly distant. And Ge Irma-O's face darkened. To be honest, he was really disgusted and was a little afraid to take action. After Kai Yongshu left the camp, the people waiting outside rushed over immediately. Sir, how did the talks go? Are the people willing to withdraw their troops? This is not the place to talk, let's go back and talk, Kai Yongshu said after looking around. He knew very well that although Ge Irma-O seemed tough, he had actually been intimidated by him. And that was indeed the case. Ge Irma-O was afraid of the consequences and immediately sent someone back to Beijing to report. Liu Yang led a division alone. And after receiving the news, he also stopped advancing. His identity is even more embarrassing. Even if he doesn't admit that he is Emperor Xia's son-in-law, it's useless. That's what everyone in the world thinks. If a son-in-law killed his father-in-law, would it sound good to tell others about it? It can be said that Emperor Xia calculated people's hearts to the extreme. But this strategy only works on gentlemen. So we still need a strategy to defeat the enemy. Seeing Ge Irma-O frowning, Xiao Yanlong bravely came to the camp and said, Commander, I have a plan that may break Diaxia's plan. Oh, what plan? Tell me quickly. Ge Irma-O knew that Xiao Yanlong was a martial arts expert, but personal bravery was nothing in front of a modern army. But this kid is really good at training soldiers, and the soldiers under his command are strong enough to defeat 10 enemies with one. In addition, His Majesty had specifically instructed him to do so. So he also looked up to Xiao Yanlong. The plan is actually very simple. At this time, in Jiang City, 400,000 troops were stationed here. More than 1 million people were also forced to leave their homes and come here. The people who had stored grain could still fill their stomachs, but the people who had no grain could only eat 1 meal a day, which was neither enough to fill them nor enough to starve them to death, and they complained bitterly. Kai Yongshu also felt very guilty. But this is the last resort. If this trick is useless, Diaxia will be in danger. He tried his best to have the court transport grain, but Diaxia had suffered disasters in the past 2 years and had lost so much land the court had to pay compensation and tribute, and it was difficult for it. Moreover, there are many lackeys in the country. Some of them transferred their assets to Day in advance, and some others secretly became Day's compradores. My lord, these people are making a commotion. The subordinate hurried forward. It's almost impossible to control them. There are too many people. Haven't we distributed the food to them? As long as we hold on for another 10 days or half a month, we will win. And Day will definitely withdraw. Kai Yongshu believed it without a doubt. There are too many people. If there were 300,000 or 500,000 people, it would be fine, but that's nearly 2 million people. They can't eat or sleep well, he said with a wry smile. I don't know how many cases of bullying women have happened recently. Some hooligans even hurt people. Are 400,000 troops just for show? Let them go on patrol. Only surrender is allowed. No resistance. There are also many voices of opposition in the army. Many people said that they would rather die in battle than be so aggrieved and allowed to be humiliated by Day. Stupid. I'm trying to save their lives. If we endure for 3 to 5 years, we will surely catch up. Kai Yongshu took a deep breath. He didn't expect these people to understand his painstaking efforts. As long as they could stay safe for half a month and Yi Chao withdrew his troops, everything would be fine. But at this moment, there was a sudden riot outside and the noise came over. Kai Yongshu's heart skipped a beat and he quickly walked out of the tent. What happened? Report. Sir, those unruly people are causing trouble and have killed all the patrolling brothers. A soldier pointed outside the city and said, they are rebelling and have rushed into the city. Kai Yongshu looked in the direction of his finger and suddenly trembled all over. He saw angry people rushing into the city through the passage. Then the soldiers guarding the city ordered to open fire. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The sound was like frying beans. In an instant, dozens or hundreds of civilians fell in a pool of blood. Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot. But was stopped by the guards. Sir, we can't go over there. These people have gone crazy. If we don't kill them, it won't be enough to deter them. You can't kill me. It's over. Completely over. Kai Yongshu held his head in pain. What he wanted to do most in his life was to be a wise minister who governed the country well. He wanted to assist the emperor in reviving Diaxia and even unify China. He came from the bottom of society and was born in poverty. He knew too well how hard it was for the common people. The reason why he admired Yefa so much was because Liu Yuan understood him too well. He was impressed by every one of those benevolent measures. He stared blankly at the mountain of corpses. Someone in the crowd shouted, everyone, run away. If you don't, they will use us as shields. We have no chance of survival. In an instant, everyone was in panic and millions of people fled madly. The soldiers behind him shot him with muskets from behind, still unable to stop the escape. Some of them rushed into the city angrily and stabbed the Xi army with their wooden spears. The situation suddenly became chaotic. They failed to scare off Yi Jun, but instead caused internal strife. Stop killing. Don't kill anymore. Kai Yongshu's face was full of pain. However, the riots intensified. These people pulled out knives from nowhere and acted like well-trained soldiers. It isn't known how many Xi soldiers were killed on the spot. Angry people poured into the city to them. The Xi army seemed to be their enemy. Kill them, these bastards. Kill them and let's go today. I heard that they exempted co-RV and agricultural taxes, distributed land equally. Everyone had food to eat and clothes to wear, and there were honest rulers and an emperor who ruled for the people. Let's kill these corrupt officials and go today. These words were like pouring cold water on scorching oil, and the pot immediately exploded. The people, who were already full of resentment, seemed to have found a target and vented all their anger on Xi Jun. Seeing the people rushing towards them, the soldiers in the city did not hold back. Shoot, kill all these rioters. They may not be Yi Jun's opponents, but can they still defeat these mobs? The overwhelming arrows pierced the people into hedgehogs until no one was left standing. Tai Yongshu knelt on the ground helplessly and burst into tears. I am a sinner, I am a sinner, I am a sinner. Chapter 464. I take all the responsibility. Millions of people fled, and as long as someone fled today, they could take the opportunity to make trouble. He suppressed his sadness, walked quickly forward, and looked at Li Siyuendao, the commander-in-chief of the 400,000-man army. This person is the emperor's ninth uncle, but he is the same age as the emperor. Although the two are uncle and nephew, they have a very good relationship. When the emperor was fighting for the throne, he was also a supporter. Who told you to kill someone? Master Kai, you have seen that if I had not taken action against these unruly people, our people would have been the ones to die. But even so, hundreds of our soldiers died. They were all Diaxia's elite troops. They should have died on the battlefield. But now they died at the hands of their own people. Li Siyuendao said calmly, it's all because of your lousy plan to call all the people around here. If it weren't for your poor planning, how could there be unrest? You must give me an explanation for this matter. Otherwise, I will definitely severely criticize you. Ridiculous. How could this happen if it weren't for your poor management that allowed these people to cause trouble? If it was 300,000 or 500,000 people, and you said I didn't manage it well, I wouldn't say a word, but it was nearly 2 million people. How can you expect them to be as well trained as soldiers? They don't have enough to eat, they don't sleep well, and they are in constant fear. How can you expect them not to be afraid? If someone with ulterior motives incites, won't there be trouble? Li Siyuendao sneered. I don't think Day has no shadow behind this riot. You shouldn't put all the people on the front line, you should let them stay in the city. The Day people are not so easy to compromise. Look at what strategy you offer. After using this trick, the people of Day are not fools and will not be fooled again. And you, asking us to give up resistance, are like pulling out the backbone of Diaxia. Even if we get through this time, no one will dare to draw the sword against Day again. You think you are bearing humiliation and hardship, but you are a sinner, a sinner. You. Kai Yongshu was so angry that he was shaking all over. What a good way to blame others for something else. What a good way to make a complaint first. Yi Jun is outside, go and fight him if you can win. Kai, will chop off my head and let you kick it like a ball. As long as you can win, let alone taking my life, I would be willing to be your slave. Do you dare? He rushed to Li Siyuendao in 3 or 2 steps, not afraid of the knife in the other's hand. Li Siyuendao also gritted his teeth. He was indeed not sure. No country in the world dares to say it can win. If they had not been lucky enough to catch Liang, who was hallucinating due to lack of water 2 years ago, Diaxia's fate would have been even more tragic than Ah Jing's. 2 years later, Diaxia had cracked the code of gunpowder and had its own weapons. But 2 years later, They is no longer the same as before. But if you don't have confidence, then you shouldn't fight? If they don't resist, will they let them go? I would rather die than kneel down and act like a dog. Li Siyuendao said coldly, give up your luck. Prepare for war, and tell everyone that we can't tolerate it anymore. As soon as these words were spoken, the generals in the city cheered. They are soldiers, not eunuchs. Death is not the most terrible thing for them. Li Siyuendao, you are a sinner of Diaxia, you are a sinner. Day is worried that it has no excuse to take action, but you want to take the initiative to attack. You are a sinner. Kai Yongshu was very angry. I'm not as stupid as you. Instead of being passive, I might as well trick the Day people here. Li Siyuendao said coldly, if they dare to come in, I will blow them all away. Are you going to launch a sneak attack on them? Kai Yongshu was shocked. Li Siyuendao grinned. how can it be a sneak attack? This is called giving someone a taste of their own medicine. A large number of refugees fled to the border of Day, and Irma seemed to have been prepared to receive the troops, and a team had been arranged to wait there on the borderline. The people who fled to Day realm complained to Irma about how they were exploited and bullied, and begged the suzerain state to seek justice for them. Irma said righteously that he would definitely make the decision for them. In this way, Irma had a reason to send troops. But just when Irma was preparing to send troops, bad news came. The refugees tied bombs on their bodies and attacked the soldiers, causing hundreds of casualties in a short period of time. Irma's face turned pale and he couldn't help but look at Xiao Yanlong. Xiao Yanlong also looked solemn. I'm afraid the Diaxia people have already made preparations. You bastard, fine. This is how you play it, huh? Irma was furious. Pass on my military order. All out war. Commander, these civilians were also coerced, we cannot kill them indiscriminately. But if these people have hidden weapons and carry explosives, should we just let them blow themselves up? Irma realized that the matter was becoming increasingly difficult, but as long as he was ruthless and had no martial ethics, he would not have to worry. Commander, our Day is an army of justice. Xiao. It's true that Day is a righteous army, but we don't have the habit of passively accepting beatings. I've fought in so many battles, but I'd never felt so frustrated. More than 600 people were killed or injured, and the war hasn't even officially started. If this gets back to Liangjing, I'll lose all my face. Also, I don't care about my face, I care about the lives of my brothers. Don't look at me with your own eyes. I don't want shame or fame. If anything goes wrong, I will take full responsibility. It's just a matter of death. I'm not afraid of death. Pass on my military order to stop accepting refugees from Diaxia even if we have to accept them. Let them take off all their clothes. Otherwise, there will be no mercy. Regardless of gender, age or status, all will be shot. If something goes wrong, I will take full responsibility and say it was my order. Irma slammed the table and said, send out the troops. Xiao Yanlong took a deep breath. He understood that Irma wanted to take all the responsibility on himself even if he was held accountable in the future. He was ready to die. He is really far from this kind of awareness. Perhaps in the eyes of outsiders, Irma is rude and kills innocent people indiscriminately, but in the eyes of Day soldiers, he is a good general. He clenched his fists, his brain racing, but at this point there was no need for any negotiation. The entire army was outraged by Diaxia's actions. Liang also received the news immediately. The entire army should advance, and the scouts should prepare for intelligence gathering and beware of traps. On the border, the fleeing victims were also asked to take off their clothes. Some people wanted to take advantage of the chaos to cause trouble, but Day's machine gunner was not merciful. The firepower network formed by the Peepish directly shot and killed these people. After this shock, these people were really shocked. Irma didn't want to use any legitimate excuse, she just knew that his people were killed or injured, and that was enough. He had only one request, which was to defeat the 400,000 troops on the front line of Diaxia as quickly as possible. Chapter 465. Hopes failed. Everyone understands that Day is not easy to mess with, but these people not only messed with him, but also used such stupid methods. Xiao Yanlong chased forward and tried to dissuade Irma, explaining the interests involved clearly. Commander, our enemies are not fools, they clearly know they can't win. So why would they do this? Would it do them any good to irritate us? Why would they do this if there is no benefit? Therefore, there must be a bigger trap ahead. Things are different now. Diaxia has cracked the problem of gunpowder and can even produce muskets and cannons on its own. Although they are far inferior today, who can guarantee that they have no secret weapons? What if they are waiting for us to come forward at this moment? Xiao Yanlong knelt on one knee and spoke earnestly. It is better to take a long-term view than to argue about the short term. Please think twice, Commander. Irma frowned and looked at Xiao Yanlong, lost in thought. After a while, he asked someone to stop the messenger and said, never mind, what you said makes sense. Let's not argue about the short term with our strength. It is not a problem to defeat Diaxia, but if we rashly fall into the enemy's trap, it would be truly foolish. Xiao Yanlong let out a long breath, and said with a folded hand, General, you are wise. He finally understood why His Majesty valued Irma so much. This plain, even ugly man not only has strong leadership skills, but is also able to really listen to the suggestions of his subordinates. I won't have the final say. The war to annihilate a country is never a one-man show. Diaxia is not a small country that lives in a remote corner. Some people in the army were puzzled and even secretly blamed Xiao Yanlong for being nosy and preventing them from killing the enemy and making meritorious service. But Xiao Yanlong did not explain. Irma said, come back if I tell you to. Stop complaining. I've suffered a loss and I'm not happy about it. If anyone complains, don't blame me for punishing them. All the brigade commanders shrank their necks and dared not say a word. As a veteran of day and a meritorious follower of the emperor, Ji Ermayo had a very high prestige, which they could not question at all. Xiao Yanlong was really brave. The military order was issued and he succeeded in stopping the enemy. Even Lu Yong, who was about to break camp, was stopped. Although Lu Yong was puzzled and eager to wash away the shame, he knew better that military orders were as heavy as mountains. So they kept their troops in place and, as Ji Ermao requested, sent out a large number of scouts to gather information. Tell me, after we keep our troops in place, what should we do next? Ji Erma looked at the brigade commanders and then shifted his gaze to Xiao Yanlong. Yanlong, give me your opinion. After calming down at this moment, Ji Ermao felt more and more that there was a trap ahead in his heart. He was actually somewhat grateful to Xiao Yanlong for speaking up for him. If he falls into the trap and causes heavy casualties, he will be a sinner. Xiao Yanlong knew that he was still high profile, but after being with Li Yuan for so long, he also developed a habit of being low-key and often high profile in work. He pondered for a moment and said, Commander, these refugees fled because of our instigation, but judging from the death squads tied with explosives, isn't it also a plot of the Xi army? However, Kai Yongshu would never do this, so there is only one possibility, that someone in the army disagrees with Kai Yongshu. Of course, this could also be Kai Yongshu's strategy. As long as we plan before we act, we can reduce the probability of falling into a trap. Secondly, I believe that these refugees should be screened again and more refugees should be accepted. Only in this way can we demonstrate that Day is an army of justice in the Celestial Empire, and only in this way can we occupy the commanding heights in this war. If Diaxia loses the support of the people, we will have won half the battle. At this point, Xiao Yanlong paused and looked at the crowd. Your Majesty has said that we must unite the majority and launch a mass war. Our battle is not only to destroy Diaxia, but also to spread the ideals of Day and save thousands of suffering people from disasters. Some people think that Xiao Yanlong is too good at flattering, but others think that what Xiao Yanlong said makes sense. Ji Ermao nodded and looked at the others calmly. What about you? Tell me what you think. I also think that the refugee issue should be resolved otherwise. These people are likely to become a destabilizing factor. Notify officials in various places and ask them to prepare to receive refugees. Temporarily escort these disaster victims over since they have come today. They are naturally citizens of Day. Announce Diaxia and let the world see the true face of Diaxia. With everyone contributing their opinions, a complete plan took shape. Ji Ermao nodded, glanced at the official committee member, and seeing that he had taken notes, he said, and let's hold off for now and deal with the disaster victims first. The meeting is adjourned. On the other side, outside the ambush circle, Li Xiuendao waited and waited but Yizhen never showed up. Report to the marshal, there is no trace of enemy troops in ambush circle. No. 1. Ambush circle. No. 2. No trace of the enemy. Ambush circle. No. 3. No trace of enemy troops. Li Xiuendao's heart sank. If Yizhen failed to fall into the trap, then this plan would be completely defeated. He set up an ambush and buried a large number of mines on the road that must be passed. Poison is also mixed into these mines. Once they explode, poisonous smoke will spread and inhaling excessive amounts of it can be fatal. There are also poison C ultrops and so on, which almost replicate Day's methods. No matter which direction the enemy comes from, they will suffer heavy losses. In his view, as long as they inflicted heavy damage on the enemy, they would be able to seize the initiative and then launch an attack. Li Xiuendao was even prepared for a suicide attack. However, their firepower network is not unsolvable. As long as you crawl on the ground and use the corpses as cover, there is still a great chance that you can rush through. It's like the invincible heavy cavalry. As long as you cut the horse's feet, you can win even if it's an infantryman. Wait a moment, Li Xiuendao said, suppressing his anxiety. But they waited for a whole day and night, and did not see any enemy. Li Xiuendao's eyes were bloodshot. This is impossible. How could they hold it back? Marshal, could it be that Yizhen is so scared of being killed by us that he dares not come? Said a general. Don't dare to come? Do you think Yizhen is just here to eat and do nothing? He doesn't even blink an eye in the face of an army of 3 million, so a few deaths are nothing. We have all walked through mountains of corpses and seas of blood. How many of us are afraid of death? Li Xiuendao became more and more frightened. If Yizhen saw through his plan, he would surely be struck by thunder. Report, Marshal, the Yi army has not yet sent out troops. They are just constantly receiving refugees and sending out a large number of scouts to publicize Day's benevolence and righteousness. Report, Marshal, our scout team has hit a mine trap in the forest 15 miles ahead. Chapter 466, knowing there is a tiger in the mountain, we still go there. Report, Marshal, our 37th patrol was attacked 10 miles away and was completely wiped out. Report, Marshal. Enemy traces have been found 30 miles from the base camp. Li Siyuandao heard piece after piece of bad news, which made him lose his composure. But with so many people watching, he could only force himself to calm down and send someone to investigate. He realized that the ambush circle he set up was most likely discovered by Yi Jun. This means that not only has he completely offended Yi Jun, but he has also blocked all his room for maneuver. He began to feel uneasy. Marshal, do we still have to stay in the ambush circle? The enemy is right before our eyes there. There's no point in staying here. Take away all the weapons. The only way does not mean there is no other way. If Yi Jun didn't send troops, would they stay here forever? If he puts most of his troops here, can he defend against Yi's army in the sky? He strode back to the city and found Kai Yongshu as soon as possible. Master Kai. As soon as he opened his mouth, Kai Yongshu interrupted him. I am not worthy of being called a master by the marshal. Li Siyuandao laughed dryly. The Yi army is cunning and will not be fooled. Lord Kai, can you make another envoy? Kai Yongshu sneered. Do you think Yi Jun is a fool? I went to ask for peace in a humble manner before, but you plotted against him in the blink of an eye. If I go there now I'll be committing suicide. You pooped, and you want me to clean your ass? The words may be rough, but the truth is there. Li Siyuandao knew he was in the wrong, so he didn't dare to get angry. He said softly, you and I are both doing this for the good of Daixia. If I win this time, I will definitely be able to severely damage Day. Only by defeating Day can we buy more time. Originally, Yi Jun had already set out, but for some unknown reason, he turned back halfway. It's not that my plan went wrong. It's that the other side has an expert in charge. So, those people are wearing civilian clothes, so we just need to refuse to admit it. Isn't that enough? No chance. Kai Yongshu shook his head. Day will not miss this good opportunity. At the beginning, they were a little bit guilty and their actions were cover-up and far-fetched. But now,